a man who's sick of socializing, so he makes a wish to live somewhere with no one else around, and somehow the heavens answer his wish and hurl him into a world crawling with nothing but beasts. When he opens his eyes, Suho sees two massive moons hanging in the sky. Countless beasts tear each other apart over territory. Suho freezes at the sight. Then he notices there's a wolf pup right behind him. Suho bolts in pure terror, and a system message flashes before his eyes. Stamina has increased by 1. Suho blinks in confusion, trips on a rock, tumbles into a ravine, and barely survives. But the fall gives him a clear view of this new world. Everything here, animals, plants, is several times larger than anything on Earth. 2.5 weeks pass. Suho starts getting a feel for the place. But the wolf pack that chased him is still lurking nearby. He's on edge, convinced they're going to eat him. So he sets out to find somewhere safer. Another year slips by. In that year, Suho not only masters survival skills, his entire body transforms. The one constant, that little wolf never leaves his side. One day, he's perched high in the treetops, eating, when a massive gorilla bursts out of nowhere. Suho can't take it down, but holding his own is no problem. The wolf pup on the ground isn't so lucky. The gorilla can't get to Suho, so it turns its rage on the pup. The pup's hind legs are slashed by a broken branch, and it's about to be torn to pieces. Suho drops from above, homemade dagger in hand, and drives it straight into the gorilla's right eye. The enraged gorilla spins and hurls him across the clearing. The impact completely knocks the fight out of him. He underestimated it. Now the gorilla is about to pound him into the dirt. Then the wolf pack arrives. They tear into the gorilla in a frenzy and bring it down fast. Suho tries to crawl away but has nothing left. Bleeding out, his vision fades. He thinks, I'm done for. But the pack doesn't attack him. They take him in. The pup he saved, it turns out, is the Wolf King's own child. From that day on, Suho lives with the pack, hunting together, fighting endless territorial battles for the survival of the family. Over 100 years pass. Suho starts wanting a woman, but not a single other human being exists in this world. Another 500 years go by. Today is the final battle between the Wolf Clan and the gorillas for dominance. Suho leads the charge. Just as he's about to charge into the gorillas, the space around him twists and warps and swallows him whole. Meanwhile, back on Earth, the Awakener Bureau detects a massive surge of dimensional essence nearby, just as they're about to report it. A portal tears open out of thin air. A yellow-haired girl tenses up, hand gripping the sword at her hip, and then Suho steps through the portal, completely naked. She stares, frozen. That thing, it's huge. After Suho comes back through the portal, he's taken to the hospital. He tells his attending doctor everything, 1,000 years of it. However, the doctor believes Suho is delusional and thinks he's only trying to turn his story into a novel to make money. The yellow-haired girl who got an eyeful of Suho at the portal, Choi Soo-young, has her own doubts. According to the Awakener Bureau's scan, Suho is only F rank. F rank is basically a civilian. So how did he come through a portal? And his diagnosis is post-traumatic stress disorder? Soo-young isn't buying it. She decides to go to the hospital and see him for herself. The moment she walks in, she sees something that stops her cold. Suho is eating like an actual wolf. Savage, relentless. Soo-young swallows her shock and quietly approaches from behind. Hi, I'm Choi Soo-young from the Awakener Bureau. Suho leans in close and takes a long sniff. Your scent. I know this smell. Soo-young explains flatly. I was the first person you saw when you came back. Suho nods like that makes perfect sense, then immediately goes back to eating. But Soo-young is still uneasy. Back at the portal, she had clearly sensed a predator's aura coming off him. Yet watching him now, could her instincts have been wrong? Soo-young sits on the edge of the bed and starts running through basic questions. Suho looks her dead in the eye and says he is 1,000 years old. Soo-young sighs. Right. She almost forgot he's out of his mind. She pulls out a form and asks him to sign standard paperwork for returnees. Suho picks up the pen, curious, and smells it, then draws a wolf head where his signature should go. Soo-young stares at the paper. What the hell is wrong with this guy? She asks if drawing is the only thing he picked up in the last 10 years. Suho, dead serious. It wasn't 10 years, it was 1,000. That does it. Soo-young snaps. She jabs a finger at the form. Look at this, right here. Disappeared in 2015, returned through the portal in 2025. That is 10 years. 10, not 1,000. Suho snatches the form, suddenly wide-eyed, and stares at every word. Soo-young slides a card across to him. Your Awakener ID. Don't lose it. She's done talking to this idiot. She turns and heads for the door. When you're discharged, go back to your family, she says without looking back, and walks out. Suho watches her go. His mind reels. Family? If only 10 years passed on Earth, they could still be alive. But when he looks at the file, his heart sinks. His parents had died the very year he vanished. The only one left is his younger brother. Suho tears down the hallway to Doc's office and tells him straight he needs help. Doc, ever calm with his so-called patience, leans back in his chair and asks what exactly he wants. My brother is alive, Suho says urgently. I need to find him, and I need out of here. Now. Doc smiles pleasantly. In your current condition, returning to society isn't really an option. But if you insist on finding your brother, I can look into it. Suho's expression hardens. I don't think you understand. I'm not here asking for your permission. Doc laughs awkwardly. Right, I can help you, but I have one condition. Suho raises an eyebrow. And just like that, the scene cuts. He's in a taxi. Thank you. I won't forget what you did for me. Doc watches the taxi pull away. His nurse turns to him, baffled. You paid his hospital bill, called him a cab, bought him clothes. Why? The Bureau doesn't even bother with F-rank returnees. Doc just chuckles. I just got very interested in his story. The nurse stares at him. You actually want to hear more of that? that nonsense? Doc waves her off. Never mind that. Go get someone to fix the door. He thinks back to how Suho had pushed that door open and falls into thought. That's the second time a handle has been bent out of shape. After all these years, the scent of an irregular, once again. Meanwhile, in the taxi, the radio is running the news. Military forces battling monsters, awakeners going head-to-head on live broadcasts, even ads recruiting hunters. Suho listens, fascinated. He thinks back to what Doc told him. The world has changed beyond recognition, and he knows none of it. He asks the driver to fill him in on the last 10 years. The driver, with nothing better to do, obliges. 10 years ago, gates to other worlds started opening up all over the globe. Along with the monsters came the awakeners, people with abilities, forming hunter teams and hunting for profit. To become a licensed hunter, you have to awaken and pass the Awakener Bureau's exam. By the time they finish talking, the taxi pulls up in front of Junho's building. Suho stands outside, a heaviness settling in his chest. Up on the second floor, an elderly woman cleaning her windows notices him. Hey young man, looking for someone? I'm here for Junho. The words barely leave his mouth before the elderly woman shouts at him to get lost. Suho blinks. Did he get the wrong place? Then he hears it from upstairs. These loan sharks never stop showing up. Unbelievable. Something clicks. He walks to the entrance and finds the mailbox stuffed with overdue payment notices. This is definitely Junho's place, but things clearly aren't going well. In the wild, strength is law. In civilization, money is. Looks like the first order of business is making some cash. He heads to the Awakener Bureau. Suho's plan is to sign up with a hunter group, but he's told he doesn't qualify, even with his F-rank score. He's still 4 points short of the Awakener threshold. The receptionist tells him impatiently to either attend an Awakener Academy or earn points in the Outlands. Either way, come back when he's actually awakened. Suho walks out, deflated, but on his way out, a bounty catches his eye. 500,000 won for every goblin in the Suwon Outlands. He takes a cab straight to the Outlands. At the entrance stands a massive sign, 27. Suho moves to enter and gets stopped by the guards. No hunter's license, no entry. But just then, a scream rips through the entrance. An SUV comes barreling out, completely out of control. A goblin is on top of the driver, tearing into him. The SUV smashes through the barrier, slams into a wall and rolls. The guards rush in. The goblin barely pokes its head out before getting riddled with bullets. When the chaos settles, the guards remember Suho was standing there. They turn around. He's gone. A couple of rookie guards joke that he must have run off in fright. Little do they know, Suho slipped inside the moment every eye looked away. Walking the monster-infested streets, Suho feels something familiar stir inside him. The smell of blood, the howls of beasts. It takes him straight back to the jungle where he spent 1,000 years. He climbs a crumbling wall and looks out into the distance. So this is what the world has become. Suho waits until dark, closes his eyes, and takes a leap of faith. Time to hunt. The moment he lands, something feels off. His body is heavier than it should be. He tries to sprint, climb. He's slower, weaker. Is this a side effect of crossing back? Then a scent hits him. Blood. He follows it, and finds a large white dog surrounded by goblins. Suho steps out of the shadows. Need a hand? The goblins ignore him completely and go for the dog. Suho grins. No objections? I'll take that as an invitation. Suho snaps into another mode entirely. He drives his fist straight down into the top of a goblin's skull. The head caves in like a watermelon. And then, a system window pops up searching for class. Error. Suho stares at a screen full of error messages, completely lost. He tries to swipe the windows away, but the goblins are already closing in. The pop-ups have him frustrated, so he takes it out on them. Every punch lands with a sharp crack, and in seconds, they're all down. The error flashes again. Druid achieves total victory. Stats initialization. Failed. Critical error. Suho frowns. He remembers about 100 years in. When his body pushed past its limits, the stat system had gone completely silent. And now this, the moment he's back on Earth. Could his weakened stats be connected to this error? Ding. Access granted. System store. Suho's eyes go wide. He has never seen this before. Is this what they call awakening? He opens the panel. 7 points total. Water and bread cost 3 in total. He tries redeeming, and they materialize right in front of him. Then he hears the dog whimpering. He turns. A small white puppy is curled up beside the large dog. Suho walks over and gently strokes her. He can feel it. She's fading fast. Poisoned, maybe. The dog lets out a few soft whines. Suho seems to understand. You want me to look after your pup? Don't you dare die. I never agreed to this. The words barely leave his mouth before she's gone. Suho looks down at the tiny white puppy. Maybe this is fate, he thinks. He takes out the bread he just redeemed and feeds it to the pup. He heads back to where he fought and counts the bodies. 7 goblins. That should be enough to pocket a decent sum. The next morning at the Outlands entrance, every hunter waiting to enter the dungeon freezes. Unlike anyone else coming out, Suho walks through the gate with 7 goblin corpses strapped to his back. A guard stares, jaw dropping. Isn't that the guy from yesterday? He took down that many goblins alone? Suho heads to the settlement hall. 7 goblins, 3.5 million. 3 bloodstones come in at 600,000. After sanitation fees and the puppy's vaccinations, he walks away with 2.1 million. The rest makes sense to him, but the bloodstones, he has no idea what those are, the receptionist explains. They're extracted from inside the goblin's chest. The price depends on how much dimensional essence is stored inside. Since Suho doesn't have a registered account yet, They pay him in cash. He stares at the thick stack of bills in his hands. Once he gets his hunter's license, he can hunt in the dungeons and make real money. Meanwhile, Junho is heading home. A voice stops him. He turns around and gets punched square in the face. Long time no see, Junho. Forget when the payment was due? The man is here to collect. After beating Junho to the ground, Junho pulls out everything he earned today. Principal plus overdue interest. 2.4 million total. Please, just let me go. But the man says it's not enough. Travel expenses, dry cleaning, you name it. He's not here to settle things. He wants to keep Junho on the hook. Junho wants to fight back but doesn't stand a chance. He begs for 3 more days. The man ignores him and swings his bat. Just as he winds up for a second swing, an angry voice cuts through the air. They turn and see Suho walking toward them like death itself. Junho stares at him in disbelief. Suho, how are you back? Suho keeps his rage locked down and steps to his brother's side. Is it really you, Junho? Junho is just as stunned. Where have you been for 10 years? The thug watches this little reunion with zero patience. Save it. Pay up. Suho grabs the man by the hair and hurls him into the staircase. The man flies back and hits the ground out cold. Everyone freezes. Suho turns to Junho, calm as ever. You okay? One of the thugs snaps out of it and launches a kick at Suho's head. Suho doesn't even flinch. He just lets it connect. There's a sharp crack, and the man's leg bends the wrong way. He collapses, screaming. The last one standing has gone completely white. Suho points to the ground in front of him. Come here. The man throws his hands up, shaking. I didn't touch him. I was trying to stop them, I swear. Suho sets down the cash he made today. Take it and get out of my sight. Then he walks away with Junho. Back at the apartment, Suho finds out Junho has a kid. He asks where the mother is. Junho looks down. She knew I'd drag her down, so she left. Suho lets out a breath and suggests they have a drink. Over the table, Suho asks how much debt there is. Not much, Junho says. Just 50 million. And he's already found work in logistics. He'll pay it off soon, he insists. The truck he drives belongs to the landlady's son. Her son died in the Great Calamity. She treats their family like her own. Just then, Junho's sleeping son gets licked awake by the little white puppy. The boy rushes over to his dad, puppy in his arms, begging to keep it. Junho introduces the boy to his uncle. They hit it off right away. Suho suggests Junho work with him. One to load, one to haul. Junho stares at him blankly. What kind of work exactly? Suho, completely straight-faced. Hunting monsters. The next day, the receptionist can't quite believe what she's seeing when Suho's Awakener ID comes up, but rules are rules. She sets him up with a personal account anyway, and hands him a dedicated phone, loaded with the Awakener Bureau app, exam schedules, hunting info, all of it. He can also accumulate dimensional essence through hunting. Once he hits E rank, he'll qualify for the annual allowance and full benefits. After the rundown, Suho opens his system panel. F rank, Druid, ability manifestation. But why are his stats so low? He steps out and calls Junho. I'm heading into a dungeon. Get ready. Junho is stunned. Why not take the hunter's license exam first? Priority 1 is paying off the debt, Suho says, and hangs up. He checks his location. The nearest entry point is the Namyang City Gate. Cut to Gate 77. Vehicles are backed up everywhere, hunters gearing up to enter. In one car, a group in matching gear sits in tense silence, each one quietly praying. The driver grins. You're all Awakeners. Relax. The man in the passenger seat is barely keeping it together. The 3 rookies in the back, this is their first dungeon. As a senior guild member, babysitting rookies is beneath him. But these 3 got in through connections, not talent. The guild's new recruitment plan is clearly a disaster. Just then, Suho shows up at the gate. He registers and walks into the dungeon alone. The guards at the gate are stunned. An F-rank hunter walking in solo? Then one of them does a double take. Wait, isn't that the guy who came out with 7 goblin corpses? At the same time, the man in the passenger seat clocks Suho. Who is that? No gear, no weapon, and he just walks in. His car clears the checkpoint, and he tells the driver to floor it. The car shoots forward, but once they're inside, Suho is already gone. The man stares at the tracks that simply vanish. A slow smile spreads across his face. Well, this one's interesting. Back in the dungeon, Suho kicks into full speed the moment he's inside, partly to hunt fast, but also to test what his body can still do. After a short run, he stops, winded. He really has gotten weaker. He stares at his system panel. Does he have to start all over again? Then, fighting sounds somewhere in the distance. Suho smiles. Metal on metal. Someone's fighting out there. No way he's missing this. He follows the sound to a ruined building. A gang of thugs is swarming 3 hunters. Suho's face falls. Not a fight, just a beatdown. Boring. He turns to leave. When a pickup truck screeches to a halt nearby, a man with a single tuft of hair on top of his head climbs out. The 3 hunters see him, and their voices crack with fear. That's Choi Gusuk. 40 million bounty. Suho stops in his tracks. That punk is worth 40 million? The 3 hunters are in full panic. Gusuk is C rank. Taking out all 3 of them is nothing to him. Just his hope runs out. Suho drops from above, hands in his pockets. He lands right in the middle of everything. The whole place goes silent. Suho walks straight up to Gusuk. Heard you're worth 40 million. Gusuk blinks, then bursts out laughing. You're definitely not Bureau, but since you came here to die, don't blame me. Gusuk's eyes bleed red. Suho feels his body lock up. Heh, you held my gaze for more than 5 seconds. That means you can't move. Gusuk turns to his crew. What are you waiting for? Get him. The crew raise their weapons and charge. Suho drives his fist straight into Gusuk's face. Everyone watching goes rigid. Gusuk stares at him, completely lost. That's impossible. Why can you move? Suho grins ear to ear. Heh, now this is fun. I found the biggest fool in the whole dungeon. Gusuk is shaken, his paralysis gaze it did nothing. But he still refuses to believe Suho can beat him. He sidesteps one punch and walks straight into Suho's knee, then takes a heavy right hand to the face. Before he can recover, a flurry of blows hammers his chest. Pain explodes through his entire body. A final blow catches him at the waist, folding him clean in half. Gusok goes flying. Suho looks almost disappointed it's over. Everyone, the beaten and the untouched, stands in dead silence. Suho looks at Gusok's crew. Anyone else? We're just watching. Great, then get over here and kneel. Actually, what are your bounties? The crew panics. We don't have bounties. Just take Gusok, please. Brothers to the last, Gusok chokes out, actually tearing up. Just as Suho is about to let them go, Zhang Wu steps up from behind. Sir, they're criminals too. There's probably a bounty on them. The crew argues desperately that they're completely worthless, not worth a single coin. Suho loses patience and knocks them all out. On the way back, he rides with Wu, all the criminals stuffed in the trunk. With nothing else to do, Suho asks about Wu's skills. Swordsmanship, tracking, exploration. Wu rattles them off. The tracking and exploration he learned from a skill manual. Suho raises an eyebrow. You can actually learn abilities from a book? Wu glances at him and says nothing. How does he not know this? It's basic stuff. Just then Suho spots a teleportation circle and asks if that's another way into a dungeon. Wu hesitates, then answers. That leads to a tier 1 dungeon, the lowest level. He pauses. Don't you have a hunter's license? No. Wu is floored. Someone who's never even entered a tier 1 dungeon just took down a C rank? What the hell is going on? He works up the nerve to ask. What rank are you exactly? Frank. Wu nearly swerves off the road. Cut to a dungeon exit. Kang Myung-hyuk leads a battered group of hunters out. This hunt nearly drove him out of his mind. He never imagined his group could be this useless. Worse than useless. A guard comes up to report someone just brought in 10 criminals, including the C rank, Choi Gusok. Myung-hyuk looks surprised. Someone serious was here. Then the guard tells him, the one who caught Gusok is an F rank with no hunter's license. Something clicks in Myung-hyuk's mind. Suho's face flashes through his head. Could it be him? He immediately asks where the man went. He just stepped through the portal, the guard says. Myung-hyuk drops all composure and breaks into a run. He has to see it for himself. If that really is Suho, then he is without a doubt the most remarkable man Myung-hyuk has ever encountered. Suho asks Wu to come with him into the dungeon. It's his second time stepping through a portal, and he's surprised. No pain this time, and his clothes are still on. Wu stares at him like he's watching someone miss the most obvious thing in the world. He explains, the clothes are made with dimensional essence woven in. That's why there are no side effects. Even low-grade ones like these go for over 2 million on the market. Suho frowns slightly but says nothing about the price. Then he spots another glowing portal nearby. Wu explains that the dungeon they're in has 38 gates. They came in through gate 24. As he speaks, the gate vanishes. Normal. Wu says. The gates reopen once the dungeon mission is complete. Suho rolls his shoulders and tells Wu to stay put. Before Wu can respond, Suho is already gone. Wu stands there baffled. What on earth is this guy's deal? Then it hits him. If Suho can beat a C rank barehanded, he might clear the dungeon mission ahead of schedule. But here's the thing. Suho has no exploration skill. He might clear every monster in the place and still never find the exit in time. And if that happens, they're both stuck in here. Wu takes off after him. Deep in the forest, a pack of goblins is patrolling without a care in the world. The next second, the one in front gets slammed into the ground. Before the others can react, each one takes a crushing blow to the chest, and Suho finishes off the last one. He picks up a weapon from the ground and starts going through the bodies. Suho pulls on a mask. He finds a bloodstone charged with dimensional essence. Only one from 3 goblins this time, but the bounties alone have already paid well. More importantly, he's confirmed he can gain experience through hunting. Suho tears through everything in his path. By the time Wu catches up, the ground is covered in bodies. Wu stares. Is this really an F-rank hunter? Then Wu's tracking skill pings. Suho has already stopped. After all the hunting, his points have reached 102. More than enough for 2 skills. Beast taming and summon dryad. Just as he's about to pick beast taming, 2 goblins ambush him from behind. Suho barely reacts. 2 punches, done. Then the system fires off another alert. Critical error. Data conflict. Additional synchronization in progress. What the hell kind of garbage system is this? But when he checks his system panel, his stats can finally level up normally. Suho decides to spend his points and unlocks summon dryad. A flash of light, skill acquired. He stares at the panel. Come forth, dryad. A glowing emerald form rises in the light, as if the will of the entire forest has taken shape. Suho is caught off guard. He had seen something like this in the other world, but figured it was just fireflies and never gave it a second thought. He orders the dryad to search for any remaining goblins. The dryad begins scanning, syncing with the memory of the surrounding trees and grass. Suho feels a bit disappointed. Is it this slow because of my low rank? He opens the system panel again and spends his remaining points on exploration and tracking. He presses his palm to the ground, closes his eyes, and reaches out with his senses. Suho tries activating tracking, but all it returns is news of dead goblins. Did he wipe them all out? But just then, a roar erupts from deep in the forest. A feral grin creeps onto Suho's face. That's a goblin, all right. He sprints toward it and climbs to a vantage point, but what he sees stops him. Wu is on the ground with a yellow goblin sitting on top of him. What are you doing? I told you, I hunt alone. Wu's face turns purple. Sir, the situation right now is that I'm the one being hunted. Suho grins. He moves in a flash. The goblin panics. It throws up its shield, but Suho's kick connects anyway. To the goblin it feels like running headfirst into a mountain. The goblin stumbles back to its feet. It drops into a fighting stance, but a second later, Suho's flying kick drives straight into its chest. The goblin gets driven into the wall and stays embedded there. Suho charges in. One clean strike. Done. Level up. 120 points acquired. Suho smirks. Huh, you're worth more than I thought. Wu stands there, completely speechless. That should wrap up the mission. The hunt is over. The two of them step out through the portal. The soldiers waiting outside all freeze the moment they see Suho. Isn't that the guy who took down C-rank Choi Gusuk? My god, he cleared it that fast? Get word to Captain Kang. Tell him we found the guy. Suho has barely stepped away from the dungeon when Kang Myung-hyuk, who has been looking for him, finally catches up. The two of them settle into a cafe. Myung-hyuk introduces himself as the captain of Starfall Guild's 27th Strike Unit and says he wants Suho to join. They'll give him the best environment to grow. Suho doesn't even glance at him. No, Myung-hyuk's expression hardens. He never expected a flat-out refusal. Is this guy trying to drive up his price? Myung-hyuk presses on. At least think it over. Starfall ranks 4th, sure, but rankings among top-tier guilds don't mean much in practice. I can personally guarantee you the best deal on the table. Suho shrugs. I don't take orders from anyone. That's all. He was the Wolf King who commanded over 1,000 wolves in another world. Why would he bow his head to anyone? Suho leaves the cafe and heads home. He tosses Junho an envelope. 50 million in there. Go pay off the loan sharks now. Junho stares in disbelief. One day, and his brother pulled together that much? He asks how. Suho just smiles and doesn't explain. Go and come back quick. Grab some roast chicken and drinks on the way. Junho doesn't push it. He takes the money and heads out. What Junho doesn't know is that loan sharks never let go that easily. Even if you pay every last coin, they'll find some excuse to tack on another charge. By sunset, Junho is back. Not only did he fail to settle the debt, he came back beaten bloody. Suho looks at his brother, bruised and battered, and something cold ignites inside him. These bastards are dead meat. Meanwhile, the loan shark's thugs are lounging around playing cards without a care in the world. Then someone pounds on the door. The boss waves for one of his guys to check it out. The door swings open. One of the thugs stumbles in, face soaked in blood. Boss, we've got a problem. The words barely leave his mouth before a huge hand grabs him by the hair. The next second, he's dragged back out. The screams from outside, raw and blood-curdling, send a chill through every thug in the room, but they have numbers, so they rush out anyway. The moment the lead thug reaches the doorway, a body comes flying in and takes him down. The others shout into the dark, demanding whoever it is show themselves. Then a wave of murderous intent bleeds through the doorway, cold enough to stop them in their tracks. Suho's eyes glow in the darkness like a reaper's. Do you have any idea who you just messed with? Suho steps inside. He grabs a metal crate sitting nearby and hoists it over his head. The thugs freeze, but a second later, he hurls the crate like a cannonball, sending thugs flying in every direction. Every window in the room shatters from the shockwave. The place is a wreck. Moans fill the air. But this is only the beginning. Suho beats every last one of them into the floor. He walks toward the boss, stepping on the thugs' heads. The loan shark boss is full-on panicking now. His voice shaking, he turns to the thug beside him. Who the hell is this guy? The thug is breaking out in a cold sweat. He might be an awakener. Suho kicks the table across the room. It pins the boss against the wall. Suho steps onto the table and looks down at him. So you're Kim Jong-soo. Jong-soo still has no idea what he did to bring this down on himself. Suho doesn't bother explaining. He slaps 50 million on the table. I'm here to settle Junho's debt. At that, Jong-soo suddenly finds his nerve. Are you insane? You know it's illegal for an awakener to assault a civilian, right? Suho didn't expect him to keep running his mouth after all that. He slaps him hard across the face. Jong-soo opens his mouth to fire back and gets slapped from the other side. Suho keeps going, slap after slap. You take the damn money, say thanks, and walk away. That's all you had to do. So why the hell did you have to push it? The slaps knock Jong-soo senseless. Tears streaming down his face, he begs for mercy. Please, I'll fix the debt, I swear. Just let me go. After Suho's thorough lesson, every last one of them drops to their knees and declares Junho's debt wiped clean. Once the dust settles, Suho gives them one final warning. Next time, stay far away from Junho, or you're all dead. But the moment Suho is gone, Jong-soo lifts his head, eyes dark. You think I don't have people behind me? Don't let me find you, or you're dead. Meanwhile, at Starfall Guild, Myung-hyuk rushes to the HR department. He hands a colleague Suho's file and asks him to run a background check. The colleague sees F rank and looks unimpressed. But under Myung-hyuk's pestering, he pulls it up anyway. The next second, both of them go still. Suho's file reads, access denied. And what shocks the colleague even more, this guy has been missing for 10 years. Is he some kind of government plant? He tells Myung-hyuk to drop it. A sealed file like this means Suho is connected to the authorities. But Myung-hyuk isn't ready to give up. He tells his colleague to keep an eye on Suho. On the other side of town, after handling Junho's debt, Suho takes him to the hospital. After some basic treatment, his injuries turn out to be nothing serious. Junho asks if Suho is about to take the hunter's license exam. Tomorrow, Suho says. Junho can't help but feel happy for him. Pass the exam, join a guild. Life would be set. But Suho sees it differently. The former king of the forest bowing to some guildmaster? Laughable. He tells Junho not to worry about that, because what comes next is Suho building his own guild, the first woman to ever see Suho completely naked, and now she's his examiner for the hunter's license exam. The exam hall buzzes with energy. Someone has even started streaming, getting their top donors to cheer them on. Suho stares at the streaming device in the guy's hand, genuinely fascinated. It's the first time he's seen anything like it since returning to Earth, but the guy looks at him like he's a nuisance and tells him to back off. Just then, the examiners start walking in. When his number is called, Suho is surprised to find his assigned examiner is the woman who saw him naked. Also placed in his group is the wild-haired streamer, Han Dong-soo. Examiner 15, Choi Soo-young, spots Suho at the same moment. Isn't that the F-rank guy? After the assignments are announced, everyone heads back to the waiting room. Suho notices Dong-soo looking miserable. Why the long face? Dong-soo explains that Examiner 15 is a certified nightmare. She fails candidates just because she's in a bad mood. If you're unlucky, that's $3 million in registration fees down the drain. Suho shrugs. If you get cut, it just means you're not good enough. Why blame the examiner? The words are casual, but they hit Dong-soo the wrong way. Watch your mouth. Suho just looks at him. Then let's settle it. That sets Dong-soo off. Fine. Today I'll show you I'm not someone you can push around. He accepts the challenge. The other candidates drift over to the sparring ring, eager to watch the drama unfold. Up on the ring, Dong-soo stretches and trash talks at full volume. He throws out a flashy combo and declares that his favorite hobby is putting guys like Suho in their place. Suho can't help but laugh at the display. Dong-soo takes that as a personal insult. He swings at Suho, but at that exact moment, a sharp voice cuts through the noise and silences the room. Soo-young stands at the entrance. Every candidate in the room breaks into a cold sweat. Everyone back to the dorms, now. The crowd that had been watching the drama scatters in an instant. Only 3 remain. Soo-young walks to the edge of the ring. So you two are just dying to get cut, is that it? Dong-soo puts on his most innocent smile and opens his mouth to explain. Soo-young cuts him off. Save it. Let's just eliminate someone right now. She looks between the two of them with the air of someone watching a show. You two fight. Loser goes home. Start. Dong-soo glances at Suho with a flicker of guilt. He only meant to teach him a lesson. He didn't expect the examiner to turn it into an elimination, but his future is on the line. Dong-soo charges at Suho, fists flying, but Suho throws a single punch, and Dong-soo drops, out cold. Even Soo-young is caught off guard. That kind of raw power doesn't belong to an ordinary person. So her instinct was right? She really had sensed an irregular's aura on him, but before she can say anything, Suho looks straight at her. Hey, you spacing out? If you want to turn, come on up, but if I win, this big dummy doesn't get cut. Soo-young blinks. The nerve of this guy. Fine, you want it. You've got it. She sets down her weapon and steps into the ring. Her first question is straight to the point. Are you an irregular? Suho stares at her, lost. What's an irregular anyway? She doesn't answer. She launches forward. Survive this and I'll tell you. Soo-young's fists come down like a storm. Through the entire combo, Suho is on the receiving end. Just as victory seems within her reach, she smirks. If you actually manage to beat me, I'll give you whatever you want. Something lights up in Suho's eyes. He stops just absorbing hits and starts moving. You said it, no taking it back. Soo-young didn't expect him to take all those hits and not even flinch. She puts more force behind it and launches a wide sweeping kick, using the momentum to leap into the air. Thunder gathers beneath her as she rises. She slams down. Suho twists hard to dodge. Facing her, a bold idea suddenly crosses Suho's mind. The moment Soo-young throws another wide kick, a wicked grin spreads across Suho's face. Soo-young seems to read exactly what he's thinking. She twists away fast to block him, but a last-second guard can't stop a hit that was planned from the start. Soo-young goes flying. The thunder shield she had just raised shatters under Suho's fist. She stares at him, shaken. If that punch had landed clean, she'd have been sent flying. Suho rushes in, grinning. Heh, my turn. As his counterattack comes in, Soo-young suddenly smiles. So you really are an irregular. Suho doesn't understand why she keeps bringing that up. Just as his strike is about to connect, Soo-young raises her hand. Enough, I lose. Suho looks genuinely puzzled. We were just getting started. Why stop? Soo-young says there's not enough space to use proper skills. She tells him to name his wish. Suho asks, are there many women as strong as you on Earth? Soo-young thinks he's complimenting her and her face goes red. Then Suho drops the bomb. I've decided, let's make a baby together. Soo-young slaps him without a second's hesitation. The scene is caught by Dong-soo, who has just come to. Before he can make sense of what he just saw, Soo-young storms out. It doesn't take long for Dong-soo to piece it together. He lost the fight, which means he's out. He glares at Suho. This is your fault. Happy now that I'm cut? Suho smiles. You're not cut. Dong-soo blinks. He steps closer and demands an explanation. Suho tells him he asked the examiner to let him stay. Then it hits Dong-soo. The slap he saw. Did Suho take that slap for him? Tears well up in his eyes. In that moment, Suho becomes a giant in his eyes. Meanwhile, the ring's security camera has caught every second of the fight. The examiner watching at the monitor can't believe what he's seeing. Soo-young lost to this guy. He immediately calls Suho over the intercom. Suho arrives at the examiner's office. What do you need? The man brings out a recording device and asks him directly, is he an irregular? Suho is baffled. That's the second person to ask him this. What exactly is an irregular? The man thinks for a moment. So you haven't been briefed on the gateways at all. He begins to explain. Currently, 3 planets are connected to Earth through gateways. The first is planet Aruka, home to elves and dwarves who coexist peacefully with humans. They trade with Earth and share their culture. Humans who visited even came back with magic and crafting skills. The second is planet Guchon, The demon tribe and the central folk there are constantly at war. Land in central folk territory and you might be fine. Step into the demon tribe's side and you're walking into a battlefield. The third is planet Midder. It's home to aggressive half-beasts and massive vicious monsters. The moment a gateway opens there, war breaks out immediately. Beyond that, there are those who traveled to these 3 planets, gained abilities, and returned to Earth. Because their combat strength can't be measured by Awakener ranks, people just call them irregulars. By the time the explanation is over, Suho feels his head spinning. I didn't come back from any of those 3. The man stares. A 4th planet? Then where did you come from? Everything I have to say, I already told Doc. The man's expression darkens. He waves Suho out. The moment Suho is gone, the man calls in an examiner. Take over Group 15. Watch Suho specifically. Report everything he does. The examiner is puzzled, but only the man knows why. Because every word Suho said today was the truth. He has the ability to detect lies. On the second day of the hunter's license exam, when the candidates discover their examiner has been replaced, the whole room lights up. The new examiner announces the event, a physical test. Complete the 100-meter sprint in under 9 seconds, then finish a 40-event iron course within 1 hour. The bar doesn't drop just because you're a support class awakener. The first up is a healer class awakener. She clocks over 9 seconds and is eliminated on the spot. Next up is Dong-Su. 8 seconds flat, barely passes. Then it's Suho. He rolls his shoulders, drops into position, hands on the ground. The signal fires, and Suho launches off the line like a bullet. Everyone watching is frozen in place. Moments later, the phone rings in the examiner's office. After watching the footage of Suho's test, the first thing on his mind is the reporters out in the hall. The examiner turns around to find reporters snapping photos like crazy, beside themselves with excitement. He hangs up and immediately dials the returnee bureau. He sends Suho's test footage to the bureau's chief, Kim Mi-suk. Mi-suk watches the video and goes still. As they review the footage, a subordinate reports to her. The major's ability is lie detection, which means everything Suho said to Doc checks out. Mi-suk's brow furrows. She had written him off as a delusional F rank, but if this is real, he could be a B rank or higher irregular, and possibly the first returnee from an entirely new 4th planet. The thought alone makes her act fast. She orders her team to clear the reporters and lock down the exam site. Her subordinate hesitates. It's already too late. The news is already out. Mi-suk snaps into action. Pull every report. Restrict all media coverage now. On her orders, security floods the exam hall. Reporters are pushed out. On the other side, as Mi-suk calms down, a thought takes hold. Suho passed through the portal with no protective gear whatsoever. Could the absence of dimensional essence have caused the system to clock him as F rank, even though his physical stats never actually changed? And now that she thinks about it, the Bureau's system glitch happened right around then too. There's definitely something about him that doesn't add up, if he truly is a returnee from a 4th planet. The rights to explore that unknown world will belong to us. Back in the waiting room, Dong-Su notices the bags are gone. That means everyone in Group 15 except the 2 of them has been eliminated. The thought weighs on him. Suho looks at him. What's wrong with you? You've got that look on your face again, Dong-Su explains. The next stage is a dungeon raid. More teammates, better odds of making it through. Suho waves it off. It's just a dungeon, I can handle it alone. But Suho is far more curious about Dong-Su's streaming setup than the dungeon itself. He asks what the stream is. Dong-Su stares at him. Did you just come down from a mountain? How have you never heard of streaming? He holds up his phone and walks Suho through it. See her? She's doing a mukbang. 1 million people are watching live right now. Suho's eyes go wide with envy. Seeing how into it Suho is, Dong-Su offers to set up a mukbang session for him. The idea of eating all that food in one sitting puts an instant grin on Suho's face. Suho looks at him. I like you. Join my team. Dong-Su's whole body stiffens. He stares at Suho for a full 2.5 seconds before his brain catches up. You're building your own team? Not applying to a guild? Suho confirms it. Dong-Su's first instinct is to say no, but then it hits him. If he posts Suho's dungeon runs on YouTube, he could blow up overnight. The thought gets his blood pumping. Eyes glistening. He accepts. From now on, I've got your back. He pulls himself together and brings up a snag. A team needs at least 3 licensed hunters. Where are they going to find the 3rd? The waiting room door swings open. A bald monk walks in. This humble one has just been assigned to Group 15. My name is Myung-jin. The 2 of them exchange a glance. Even monks are struggling out here. Just then, the intercom crackles to life. All candidates suit up immediately. The dungeon raid is about to begin. 2.5 days of training, and they finally made it to the last stage. In the Awakener testing hall, the examiner briefs everyone on the dungeon. The dungeon they'll be raiding is a Tier 1 dungeon managed by Phoenix Guild. Suho frowns. What does it mean for a guild to manage it? Dong-Su has officially given up on this guy. He explains anyway. The government divided dungeons into regions and assigned management of them to 12 guilds. In short, form a guild, claim territory, and earn through dungeon hunting. That seals it for Suho. His resolve to build his own guild has never been stronger. At first it was nostalgia, missing the days he ran with his wolves. But now he sees the benefits go far beyond what he imagined. The examiner continues. Since this raid is designed to assess new recruits, the monsters are relatively weak. The one thing to watch out for is that this is a maze-type dungeon. Dong-Su's stomach drops. A maze dungeon isn't about combat. It's about not getting lost. Without an exploration skill, 90% of teams won't make it out. Suho shrugs like it's nothing. I have exploration. Dong-Su freezes. He already learned a skill before the exam? Skill manuals cost at least 30 million. Is this guy secretly loaded? Dong-Su turns to Myung-jin. What's your awakener skill? The question makes Myung-jin bow his head and go quiet. Suho and Dong-Su exchange a look. Then Myung-jin's expression shifts. Something dark crosses his face like a bad memory surfacing. But before either of them can ask, the examiner calls it. Time to enter the dungeon. Geared up, Everyone makes their way to the dungeon entrance. The examiner announces he'll be going in with them, but don't expect him to jump in. Just pretend he's invisible. Dong-su raises his hand a little worried. Sir, there are only 3 of us. If things go sideways, you'll step in, right? The examiner smiles and says nothing. Suho gets to his feet, unimpressed. Why are you so scared? You don't trust me. Myung-jin draws his staff. Dong-su stares, speechless. Is that a weapon made of dimensional essence? A team of 3, one with a skill manual, one with a dimensional weapon. Turns out the clown was him all along. Once the 3 of them are inside the dungeon, Myung-jin takes point and walks ahead alone. Dong-su, tense, tells him to watch his surroundings. Then he slaps a hand over his own mouth. He almost forgot the examiners right behind them. Rule 1. Move in quiet and secure a safe zone. Instead, he just announced himself to every monster in the place. The examiner is absolutely docking points for that. Just then, a skeleton soldier charges out from the shadows. Suho casually reaches out and gives it a gentle pat on the head, and it shatters into pieces. The little schemer Dong-su immediately claims the whole thing was his luring strategy. You've got to hand it to his nerve. Almost as impressive as the racket he made. Dong-su jogs to catch up with Suho, and accidentally triggers a floor trap. A wave of arrows comes flying straight at him. In that instant, Myung-jin draws his solid staff, spins it in a blur, and deflects every single arrow. Dong-su can't help himself. That staff work is insane! But at that very moment, he steps on another trap. The floor gives way beneath all 3 of them. Dong-su, true to form, never fails to disappoint. They land in what looks like an underground drainage passage. The opening above them has already sealed shut. Almost immediately they feel it, the presence of monsters closing in. Myung-jin looks genuinely pained. I'm sorry, my awakener skill is area of effect taunt. Dong-su goes pale. That's an aggro skill. You've been pulling everything toward us? Suho's face lights up. Perfect. Saves me the trouble of hunting them down one by one. He launches into the air and kicks straight through the ceiling in one clean spin. The other 2 just stare. Suho looks down at Myung-jin in the pit. I like what I see. Join my team. The sound of monsters is getting louder. Suho activates exploration and dashes straight toward them. By the time the other 2 climb out, the floor around them is covered in monster remains. Moments later, word reaches the examiner's dispatch room. Group 15 has completed the mission. The commander stares at the clock. 30 minutes. The average clear time for this dungeon is 5 hours. Did something go wrong in there? The examiner assigned to Group 15 calls in. Major Kim, Suho's team has cleared it. I'm sending you the footage now. You'll see for yourself. A dungeon this low level can't come close to measuring what he's capable of. After the 3 of them earn their hunter's licenses, Suho's team is officially formed. Dong-su, ever the goofball, sets up the stream right in Suho's house, even dragging the old landlady into it. Myung-jin hauls in his Buddha statue. Looks like he's settling in for good. The team's roles are clear. Junho handles transport, Suho and Myung-jin handle supply runs, and Dong-su is on recording duty. His awakener skill is visual memory, so he's basically a living camera inside the dungeon. Soon, the team takes on their first dungeon run. The moment they step inside, bats fill the air in every direction. Dong-su's mood tanks. Nobody on the team has a ranged skill. Then Myung-jin raises a hand. Leave this to me. He pulls out his wooden fish, starts striking it, and begins chanting. The bats are drawn to the sound. They swarm together and dive straight for him. Myung-jin raises his solid staff, activates Flame Cyclone Staff, and spins until every last bat burns to ash. The boss finally appears, but doesn't even get a line out, before Suho splits it in 2. After collecting the bloodstones from the bats, Dong-su uploads the combat footage to YouTube, and it blows up the moment it goes live. From that point on, there's no stopping them, like a dam that's finally broken. But for Mi-suk at the Returning Bureau, this is a headache she didn't need. She worked so hard to put a lid on the media coverage, and it turns out one of their own members is a streamer. Her subordinates are at their wits' end. Suho's team is blowing through 20 missions a day, and has cracked the top 3 on YouTube's trending list. If they don't get ahead of this, it's only going to get worse. Mi-suk lets out a slow breath and thinks it over. Then she stands. Get me Suho. I'll handle this myself. Meanwhile, the team decides to take a day off. 3 straight days of dungeon runs. They've already qualified for a rank upgrade, and in those 3 days they've pulled in 140 million in gold. Then Suho notices a system panel hovering in front of Dong-su. Level 3, F rank, YouTuber. He's been spending his points, over 3,000 of them, on all kinds of skills, and apparently that's what opened up this ability. He checks Junho. The panel is there, but no information available. Same for the landlady. But his dog has a panel, level 1. Can even dogs awaken? Something clicks in Suho's mind, but he sets it aside for now. He suggests buying Junho a new car. Junho is thrilled. At the car dealership, Junho zeroes in on the latest model immediately. Suho doesn't hesitate. He buys it on the spot. Junho, buzzing with excitement behind the wheel, asks where they're headed. Suho points toward the restricted zone in the distance. Junho looks confused. Suho speaks quietly. You told me once that the only reason you never awakened was because you couldn't afford it. So today, let's change that. A man who's never even killed a chicken. Now his own brother is forcing him to hunt monsters. The moment Junho hears Suho's plan, panic sets in. No wonder he bought a new car. Might as well have been a goodbye present. The roars of monsters echo from deep within the outlands. Junho's already having second thoughts. Snowy, on the other hand, is absolutely thrilled. Hey, how about you make Snowy your brother instead? I'll just head home. Suho doesn't answer. He steps out of the car and tells Junho and Snowy to wait. Watching his brother walk away, even the dog isn't scared. But he is. Meanwhile, 2 thugs from the loan company have set their sights on Suho. Sure, the guy looks like death himself in the video, but that doesn't mean he can't be dealt with. One of them suggests bringing in Choi Se-won from District 4 to settle the score. The fee isn't cheap, but to save face he's willing to get ripped off. Elsewhere, the the landlady is hurrying home in the rain. Suddenly a car pulls up in front of her. Kim Mi-suk steps out, badge in hand. "Hello ma'am, we're from the Returnee Bureau. Is Suho available?" The landlady just stares. Kids these days, what is even going on with them? Back in the Outlands, it's been half an hour since Suho left. Junho can't sit still anymore. Then Snowy, perched in the back seat, bares his teeth and lets out a low growl. A second later a goblin slams into the window. Junho nearly jumps out of his skin. Then he watches it slowly slide down the glass. The car door swings open from outside. Suho glares at his shaken brother. "Get out, even the dog has more guts than you." Junho climbs out on unsteady legs and finds a barely alive goblin lying on the ground. Suho tosses a weapon at his feet. He turns away, voice flat. "Finish it, then follow me." He's about to leave Junho alone in the rain. Junho cries out, voice cracking. "Can you just skip the whole awakening thing?" Suho looks back at him, cold and unmoved. "Remember this, the weak don't survive. Now move." On the ground, the goblin writhes and snarls. Snowy barks furiously beside it. "Snowy, bite." On Suho's command, Snowy charges without a shred of fear, but his level is far too low. The goblin fights back. Suho sighs. "Snowy's not strong enough. If you're not going to step in, he won't last much longer." Even then, Junho still can't bring himself to move. Suho's expression hardens. "Move, now." Junho knows there's no way out. He picks up the dagger, hands shaking, gasping for breath, still unable to commit. And then, a yelp from behind. Snowy is inches from the goblin's jaws. To save his dog, Junho summons every ounce of courage and tightens his grip on the dagger. He drives it in, hard, but it's not enough to finish the goblin off. "Faster!" Suho shouts. Once, twice, 3 times. The rain washes the blood from his skin, but Junho doesn't notice anymore. He's completely lost in it. Only when his arms give out does he finally stop. He stares at his blood-soaked hands. He can't believe what he's just done. Suho gives him no time to recover. "Keep the blade up," pushed to the edge. Junho is close to tears. I can't do this," he keeps saying, but there's no mercy in Suho's eyes. He says, "You kill it, or it kills you." Snowy suddenly erupts into savage barking. Junho looks up and freezes. Another goblin is crawling toward him. The feeling from moments ago, he never wants to feel it again. Suho watches him, expression blank. "No time. Kill it and follow me. Every second you hesitate, you get closer to dying." He turns and walks away without looking back. Junho watches him go, eyes filled with helplessness. Then, in a daze, a memory surfaces from childhood. He was being bullied at school, and Suho had walked away then too, not out of cruelty, but to make him stand on his own. Something clicks. His eyes go still, and then sharp. He picks up the dagger. In one motion, he's in front of the goblin, driving the blade straight into its open mouth. Junho's eyes go red. "You ugly freak, I'm sick of your noise." The dagger moves fast and hard. A gash cuts clean to the bone across the goblin's skull. He pins it beneath him, driving the blade in again and again. Rain washes blood across the ground. A flash of lightning illuminates his face, and in this moment, he looks less like a man and more like a killer. Then another goblin bursts from the darkness. It tackles him before he can react. But this time, there's no panic, just a slow, dark smile. The dagger goes straight into its throat. After it's done, Junho walks through the pouring rain, dagger in hand. The thrill of the kill hits like nothing he's ever felt, and something inside him has changed for good. When Suho sees what class Junho has awakened as, even he can't hide his surprise. "That's adorable. Did you work part-time at a slaughterhouse or something?" Junho just smiles, letting the rain fall. "Well then, come take a look. I've got a little gift waiting for you." Junho looks up. Behind Suho, goblins are piled high as a hill. Junho lets out a chilling laugh. "Aren't you just the perfect big brother?" After their hunt, Suho and Junho head to the Awakener Bureau together. The receptionist takes one look at them and asks, alarmed, "What on earth happened?" Suho shrugs. "He just awakened, that's all." The receptionist relaxes. She directs them to clean up, get their shots, then head to the 3rd floor dimensional essence testing room. Junho looks confused, so Suho explains. "You need over 100 in dimensional essence to register as an F-rank hunter and take the hunter's license exam. My score was only 96 the first time I came." As they talk, they arrive at the testing room. Junho changes into the test suit and lies down on the machine. The orb pulses with light. A number appears on the screen, 111. The technician asks if Suho wants a turn. He agrees. But something feels different this time. The moment the machine activates, countless eyes snap open, all fixed on him. "Someone observes you. Someone records your information." Suho jolts upright, something wrong firing through his mind. He asks the technician who built the machine. "Scientists, of course," she says. After that, the technician checks his results. 189. Remarkable growth in such a short time. She tells him he'll hit E rank before long. Testing complete. Junho receives his Awakener card and bureau issue phone. Suho asks Junho if he felt anything strange on the machine. Junho shakes his head. Nothing. Suho frowns. Was he just imagining things? "What's your awakening skill?" "Decapitation." Just then, Suho spots a familiar figure. He rushes over and calls out, "Hey, yellow hair!" Choi Soo-young's crew all freeze. Who in the world has the nerve to call their boss that? Suho steps forward. "About what I said at the arena. I misspoke. I'm still not used to talking to civilized people." Soo-young ignores him. "I don't want to see you again." He watches her walk away. He murmurs to himself, almost wistful. What a shame. She's talented, but what a nasty personality. Back at Suho's place, Mi-suk and the landlady are swapping stories over drinks. The landlady's homebrew has Mi-suk feeling warm, and Mi-suk's sweet talking has the landlady absolutely glowing. Suho walks in and stops dead. said. Who is this woman and what is she doing in his house? Mi-suk strides right up to him. Hey handsome, got a minute? After a brief exchange, Suho learns she's from the returnee bureau and she's here to make a deal. She explains that the official term for a returnee is human anchor, and Suho coming back through the red portal means he's one of them. She tells him the portal will open again. It's a gateway, a two-way passage. It will appear near the human anchor. Based on their analysis, Mi-suk believes it leads to a fourth uncharted planet. At that, Suho's mind fills with the faces of the wolves he left behind. He asks urgently when the gateway will open. About 99 days, she says. She needs him to stay in the country until then. Suho frowns, puzzled. Why? Because we don't want you to become the next Li Taiyang. Suho has no idea who that is. Mi-suk explains. He's currently the strongest awakener alive. In the early days of the Great Calamity, authorities detained returnees under the guise of protection. Taiyang, a D-rank awakener at the time, escaped without breaking a sweat. Disillusioned with Korea, he accepted an offer from Japan and left. The planet Guchon Gateway now standing in Tokyo. That's his doing. That's why she's here. Korea can't afford to lose another one. The gateway represents an entire dimensional industry. Suho understands what they want. What's in it for me? Name it, Mi-suk says. Suho grins. Upgrade my team to a guild, and give me an exclusive territory. Behind the wall, Dong-su is eavesdropping, and nearly gives himself away. Mi-suk doesn't even hesitate. Done. She tells him they'll be sending their top dimensional rift detection specialist to assist him. The best they have. Cut to Su-young in the training room, taking her frustration out on a punching bag. Ever since Suho made that comment about having kids together, he keeps popping into her head at the worst moments. Can't punch the real thing. The bag will have to do. Then Mi-suk walks in. You've been assigned a new mission. Su-young reads the assignment, and her whole body starts to shake. She's been assigned to assist Suho. She refuses, flat out. Mi-suk won't budge. You're the best in the detection unit. There's no one more qualified. Su-young opens her mouth to argue, but Mi-suk's expression turns dead serious. If the gateway to the fourth planet opens in the middle of the city, that area becomes hell. The moment signs of a dimensional rift appear, you get Suho out of the city, and until that moment you do not leave his side, not for a second. Not 1 second. Before Su-young can get a word in, Mi-suk turns and walks out. Su-young stares after her, teeth clenched. Just you wait, I'm quitting. Their team has officially been upgraded to a guild, which means they can now take on rank 2 dungeons. But Junho brings up a concern. Their guild is too small. Ideally, you'd want a D-rank member for a rank 2 run. For now, he thinks they should stick to rank 1. Suho agrees. Farm rank 1 dungeons for money, use skill manuals to level up early, then recruit when the time is right, when Myung-jin gets back. The group sets out for the dungeon. Just as they're about to step through the portal, Woo spots Suho immediately. He goes over to say hi. Suho greets him warmly, but Suho quickly notices the others from before aren't around. He asks where Woo's team went. Woo's expression dims. His new teammates call for him. He brushes off the question and leaves. Suho doesn't push it. He steps through the portal with his 3 teammates. The moment they're through, a man appears behind them. It's Choi Se-won, the man the thugs hired to deal with Suho. Meanwhile, Su-young is racing toward the dungeon on her motorbike. She'd been looking for Suho since early morning, just as Mi-suk ordered, only to be told he'd already entered the dungeon. Inside the dungeon, the team is deep in combat. Myung-jin practices his new skills. Junho carves through monsters like a butcher, and Dong-su is streaming the whole thing on the side. Watching the 3 of them work together so seamlessly, Suho can't help but smile. A proud father's smile. 3 people is more than enough for a rank 1 clear. Compared to them, Woo's situation is a different story. His makeshift team has 0 chemistry, and barely enough firepower to keep up. They fall apart fast, scattered by the monsters. Woo can't help but envy Suho's team. But he's just an E-rank swordsman. Why would they ever want him? Suho's team wraps up the dungeon in no time. Suho's satisfied. Next, he wants to try splitting into smaller squads. Then Se-won steps forward to introduce himself. He claims to be a field agent for BDG Guild, one of the top 20 guilds in the country. The dungeon they just cleared? BDG territory. SE1 says it's fate that they're in the same zone, that he's heard all about Suho's reputation, and that to celebrate the guild upgrade, he's offering to waive the entry fee for their first rank 2 dungeon run in BDG territory. Dong-su lights up. The entry fee for a rank 2 dungeon is 10 million, but Junho still has reservations. They're not ready yet. Se-won waves it off. He'll have a strategy guide and all necessary gear ready for them. Just as the team starts to get tempted, Suho says he'll go alone. The others can keep clearing rank 1. They agree. Se-won quietly smirks. What he doesn't know is that the most dangerous hunters always show up looking like prey. Suho has barely left with Se-won when Su-young arrives. She finds out Suho already left with someone else. She gets back on her bike with a sigh. On the way, she reports Suho's movements to Mi-suk. Mi-suk tells her to follow him in and assess his combat ability firsthand. Su-young isn't thrilled. It's just a rank 2, and she's in civilian clothes. The dimensional energy inside will shred them. You have your bracelet. I'll double your mission bonus. Besides, Su-young, don't you think we need to keep Suho on our side? On the other side, Suho steps into the dungeon under Se-won's arrangement. Se-won watches him go in, humming cheerfully to himself, but Suho has barely entered when Su-young comes sprinting up behind him. She tells Se-won she's part of Suho's team. Knowing Suho is already inside, she rushes through. Se-won watches with a satisfied smile. Everything's going to plan. He'd agreed on 2 billion per head with the thugs. Now there's an extra one walking in. How could he not be pleased? Inside, Suho is just taking in the atmosphere when the crackle of a portal fizzes behind him. He turns curious. Then a familiar voice, "Don't move. Close your eyes." Choi Su-young comes through the portal wearing absolutely nothing. She's telling him not to look, and threatening that if he does, she'll make sure he never sees the light of day again. Once fully through, Su-young activates her bracelet. A set of blue combat gear spreads across her body. But when she opens her eyes, Suho is standing right there, staring straight at her. "You creep! I told you not to look." Suho looks completely innocent. "I was just curious about your bracelet. Does it have storage space?" Su-young, burning with embarrassment and fury, demands to know how long he was watching. Suho grins. "Relax, I only looked once, I just didn't blink." Su-young gets even angrier, but Suho points out, "Last time he came through a portal, she saw everything too. Now we're even." Before she can explode, he moves on. "Why are you here?" "I'm the specialist Misuk assigned to you." Suho grins. "Misuk said she was sending someone capable. From what I just saw, I'm not so sure." Su-young stamps her foot. "I just forgot to change, okay?" Suho lets it go. He tells her not to touch his kills, but just then, a roar erupts behind them. They spin around. An orc warrior. Su-young's eyes light up. "Lucky, a boss on the first step." Suho replies, calm as ever. "Looks like there are 4 of them." Before she can process that, 3 more orc warriors come charging from the distance. Su-young stares in disbelief. "This is supposed to be a rank 2 dungeon." Suho looks thrilled. "Of course it isn't. Didn't you feel it when you came through? Although, can't really blame you. Hard to focus when you forgot to put clothes on." Su-young starts to fire back, but before she can, Suho charges in alone, muttering for her not to steal his kills. Dust explodes across the ground. When it clears, Suho has slammed his body straight into the orc warrior's chest. As it flies backward, Suho snatches an axe off the ground. Before it can recover, one swing takes its head clean off. Fluid, seamless, start to finish, under 3 seconds. The other 3 arrive. At the sight of their fallen comrade, they erupt with rage. Suho hurls the axe. A crack. Another one drops. The last 2 can't hold back. They charge after him. Suho leaps, grabs a vine, and vanishes up the cliff face. They barely have time to look up before Suho drops down hard onto one skull. The last one doesn't even get a chance to fight back. One kick. Done. Su-young can't speak. Clean and precise. Brutal and savage. Those 2 minutes will haunt her forever. Suho tosses her a backpack. "Stop staring. Go collect the bloodstones." She stares at him. He really is an irregular. F-rank experience points are just meaningless numbers to a guy like this. Just as Suho digs out a massive chunk of bloodstone, Su-young suddenly remembers something. She tells him this isn't the time for looting. She hasn't detected an exit portal since they took down those 4 orc bosses. And the backpack he gave her? Full of rocks. Suho brightens up. "Perfect. More room for bloodstones." Su-young is completely at a loss. "I don't think you understand the situation. This is at least a rank 4 dungeon. Just the 2 of us. The odds of making it out are not good." That's when it clicks for Suho. C1 set him up. But instead of anger, he laughs. "He gave me a free rank 4 experience. I'll have to buy him dinner when we get out." Su-young has officially given up. What is wrong with this guy? An orc warrior lunges at Su-young out of nowhere. She reaches for her blade on instinct, and remembers she left it on the bike. In that split second, Suho streaks past her. His dagger takes the orc warrior's head. He turns to Su-young with an easy smile. "Don't get too impressed. I'm just that good." A strange tingle runs through her. Then something registers in her senses. She activates clairvoyance. Countless orc warriors, swarming toward them, against the incoming horde. Suho lets out an excited yell. When he sees the orc warriors are riding wolves, his eyes go wide with delight. Su-young refuses to deal with this. She charges in. Suho charges too, reminding her not to steal his kills. She's done trying to reason with him. She summons her backup weapon and throws herself into the fight. On the other side, Suho tears through them with his dagger. Mid-fight, he's still complaining about her stealing his kills. Su-young starts to snap back, but Suho weaves through the orc warriors' formation in one fluid burst, cutting them down with clean, precise strikes. Just as he's about to break through to the back lines, a spiked club slams into him. The warchief steps forward. Su-young lets out an involuntary gasp. Suho shifts his weight and braces himself. His body comes to a dead stop in an instant. He catches sight of the warchief, and a slow smile spreads across his face. The warchief takes it as a taunt and swings the spiked club in a fury. Suho tightens his grip and charges. At the last possible moment, he twists at an angle no normal body should reach, launches himself onto the warchief's head, dagger in both hands, and slams it into the shoulder. But the next second, Suho makes a confused sound. The spiked club sends him flying. The dagger shatters in his hand. At the same time, in the bureau, Misuk is frantically working the phones, tracking their signals. The signals show Suho and Su-young in 2 completely different locations. Suho's phone was left in the car. Junho took it near the rank 1 dungeon. Su-young's is still on her bike. Neither of them is picking up. Misuk tells her team to find out what's happening. Now, the report comes back. Su-young has entered a rank 5 dungeon. Misuk goes pale. How did they end up in a rank 5? Who manages that dungeon? Her subordinate tells her it's BDG guild territory. Misuk's voice goes sharp. Pull the entry and exit logs for that rank 5. I want BDG guild's guildmaster on the phone. Now. Inside the dungeon, after being launched through the air, the orc warriors pile on. Suho lets out a dry laugh, starting to feel it a little. Then he explodes, grabbing one by the body and hurling it into the mass of them. He snatches 2 axes off the ground and sends them flying. Su-young saw Suho get hit and is already moving toward him. What she didn't expect, archers. 3 arrows come at once. She dodges and loses her footing. The orc warriors are on her. She activates Shield Burst, the last card she has left. The Warchief's club comes crashing down. Suho grabs Su-young by the wrist and pulls her clear. Heart still pounding, Su-young asks what they do now. Run first. Figure the rest out later. Orcs closing in behind them. A cliff ahead. Where is there left to go? He doesn't answer. He picks her up. Hold on. This next part is going to be fun. Suho jumps off the cliff with Su Young in his arms, and several orc warriors who can't stop in time go over with them. Unfortunately for them, they don't land like Suho does. Every single one goes headfirst into the ground. Su Young stares in disbelief. Suho dumps her on the ground. Worn out. Almost didn't make it. Su Young collapses where she lands, staring up at the cliff face in shock. The orc warriors won't even jump from there. And they survived. They take cover in a nearby cave. Su Young asks if they should do something. Suho says he's only 4 orc kills away from leveling up. Su Young stares at him, speechless. Leveling up just removes a cap. It doesn't boost your actual power. For me, Suho says, it does both. Outside the dungeon, it's chaos. Reporters everywhere, all scrambling to cover the story. Choice A1 has been formally arrested. He's drowning in regret. If he'd known that woman was from the bureau, he'd have never let her in. Meanwhile, Misuk is in her black stockings. She strides into the director's office and makes her stance clear. Not one of them walks free. The director sighs. They've all been arrested. The loan company's boss slipped away, but the warrant is already out. Misuk isn't satisfied. A small-time middleman doesn't have that kind of reach. The people pulling the strings haven't shown themselves yet. The director sighs. We can't just shut down BDG Guild's rank 5 dungeon over this. And even if we did, it won't bring Suho and Su Young back. That breaks Misuk's composure entirely. She's the one who sent them in together. And now there's nothing she can do. Word is already out. The chances of either of them walking out alive are close to none. Inside the dungeon, a lone orc warrior, suddenly drawn in by a chubby little dryad. It reaches to crush the thing, but this plump little creature is surprisingly quick. Embarrassed and furious, it swings its axe and gives chase, but it loses the dryad almost immediately. Confused, it looks around. When a single leaf drifts down and lands on its head. The next second, Suho drops from above, dagger straight into the skull. Heh, 3 more and I level up. Su Young activates clairvoyance and spots a lone orc warrior nearby. Before she can finish, Suho is already moving. She's still talking. It's a lone, yes, but it set a trap. Just as Suho's dagger is about to strike, the orc warrior stamps the ground. A massive trunk erupts from the earth and sends him flying. Then, the orc warrior blows a horn. From underground, orc warriors that had been lying in wait begin to surface. Every orc warrior within earshot goes on high alert. Su Young shouts for him to get up, but Suho is running on empty, 2 days without food, and his body is starting to slow down. The orc warriors charge in screaming. At this critical moment, Su Young twists and fires a volley of energy orbs. Explosions tear through the horde, but against an army this size, it barely makes a dent. Su Young collapses. Those last orbs were everything she had left. While the orc warriors are still disoriented, Suho seizes the moment and grabs an axe off the ground. One swing slits the throats of 2 orc warriors. He smirks. One more. He swings the axe high, right at the moment of the killing blow. The spiked club comes from nowhere. Suho never sees it coming. The spiked club catches him square in the ribs. Su Young watches him fly, and her eyes fill with despair. But she's underestimated one thing. The protagonist's plot armor. Suho crashes into an orc warrior. The axe slips from his hand and spins upward, and comes back down like a guided missile, straight into the skull of a downed orc warrior. Thud. Even Suho looks stunned. Level up confirmed to unlock B shift. Suho stares at the system panel baffled. The war chief turns its gaze to Su Young on the ground. She can't even stand. The spiked club is about to come down, and then something shifts. Back home, Snowy is happily eating dinner when a strange energy wraps around him, and in an instant he vanishes. The landlady watches with wide eyes. Back in the dungeon, black smoke surges up and engulfs him entirely. He activates B-shift. Is he about to turn into a dog? Suho's body begins to change, visibly, rapidly. Sharp claws tear through. Fangs emerge. The transformation is complete. Suho is no longer human. As the war chief's spiked club comes down, Suho explodes forward. A razor wind whips around him, claws gleaming like blades. He moves so fast he leaves only an afterimage, closing the distance in an instant. The war chief hasn't even reacted before it's already inside his reach. Every strike lands like a sledgehammer. Unstoppable. Fists rain down like a storm. The war chief's face is a swollen, bloody mess. Then Suho opens his jaw, wide, full of fangs, and clamps down on the war chief's throat. Blood erupts. Su Young can only stare. When the war chief finally goes still, Suho turns to look at Su Young. The air itself seems to freeze. The only sound is blood dripping from the corner of his mouth. Su Young calls out Suho's name, a tremor in her voice, but instead of an answer, he lets out a low bark. Su Young freezes. Then she just slumps to the ground awkwardly. No wonder you never act like a human being. Turns out you literally are a dog. By this point, 3 days have passed since Suho entered the dungeon. The director of the Awakener Bureau steps in front of the camera to brief the public on the situation. This is a rank 5 dungeon, the one they call the Orc Castle. To clear it, you're looking at either a full 30-man B-rank team or a 30-man squad with no fewer than 10 A-rank hunters in the mix. The director talks on and on in front of the camera, while the camera crew visibly loses patience. In their eyes, there's no way Suho and Su Young can clear this dungeon. Meanwhile, Snowy suddenly reappears back home. The landlady has absolutely no idea where he's been. Inside the dungeon, Suho has already deactivated B-shift and returned to human form. He finally understands. The skill isn't a simple transformation. It lets him merge with tamed animals. He glances at Su Young, who's sitting there in a daze. Hey, stop spacing out. Let's grab the loot and go eat. But Su Young looks utterly defeated. It won't matter. This place is going to be our grave. Suho stares at her, confused. Dark clouds gather overhead. Rain begins to fall, and Su Young's mood sinks with it. The orc warchief is dead, but the portal still hasn't opened. The real boss has yet to show himself. Su Young drifts into memory. Back then, when she was trying to advance to B rank, she led a 20-man team, alongside her boyfriend, into a rank 5 dungeon. That dungeon was nearly identical to this one, another orc castle. But her boyfriend, an A-rank hunter, died right before her eyes. It was something she could never forget. The look of despair in his eyes. The terrifying face of the boss. Just thinking about it is enough to make the tears come on their own. Suho sees this and pulls her close. Don't worry, I'll get you out of here, I promise. Meanwhile, outside the dungeon, Dongsu is live streaming in full meltdown. Misuk is on her knees, crying out for them both. Someone has even called in a shaman. Everyone is holding their breath, waiting for word that Suho and Su Young made it out. None of them could have imagined that Suho and Su Young are not only alive and well, but feasting on all the grilled meat they could ever want, right there inside the dungeon. After leveling up, the system store has stocked up with a whole new selection of food items for Suho to redeem. During a rest break, Suho asks about her ex-boyfriend. From what she tells him, she had passed out during the battle, and when she came to, she was already in a hospital. All her boyfriend had left behind was a single longsword. It took the sacrifice of 2 A-rank hunters just to bring down the orc overlord. His power was beyond anything even 5 orc warchiefs combined could match. So you're saying there's an orc overlord here too? Then where is he? Su Young isn't sure, but she can confirm there's no trace of him within a 1-kilometer radius. She explains in most cases the orc overlord stays inside the castle. The 4 surrounding towers are home to the orc warchiefs, and beyond the walls are thousands of orc troops. Just then, the dryad Suho had sent out comes flying back. She leans close to his ear and whispers that she has found the orc castle. Su Young didn't expect the dryad to be that fast. She asks Suho if he has a plan. Find him. Kill him. That's the plan. Su Young is speechless. She opens her mouth to object, but somehow can't find the words. At that moment, war horns blare from the orc castle. The gates swing open and orcs pour out in a torrent. Su Young holds herself still in the bushes, every muscle tight. The moment the orcs are clear of the castle, she shouts, "Now!" Suho activates B-shift, hoists Su Young onto his back and charges. The orcs on the walls and at the gate are caught completely off guard, but they snap out of it fast and give chase. Inside, orcs scramble to shut the gates. Archers take aim and open fire. Su Young throws up a shield to cover them both. In the split second before the gates slam shut, Suho leaps. His fingers barely catch the edge of the gate. The pursuing orcs are already at the wall. Su Young doesn't hesitate. She detonates a defensive bomb. The shockwave obliterates the gate bridge. Before the orcs can regroup, they ignore every orc in their path and sprint straight for the central tower, because there is only one goal: take down the orc overlord. Suho barrels into the orc castle with Su Young on his back. The explosion has thrown the whole place into chaos. They cut through the smoke like it's empty air. In one relentless push, they charge up the tower where the overlord waits. The orcs guarding the tower finally react, leaping down to block the way. Su Young is caught off guard and gets yanked off. Suho spins around to go back for her, but she shouts, "Don't! Keep going!" Mid-fall, Su Young twists back and catches the outer edge of the wall, uses it to haul herself up and lands safely back on top. But there are orc warriors waiting up there too. Su Young summons her longsword and throws herself into the fight. On the other side, Suho blasts through every obstacle and closes in on the top of the tower. Up on the throne at the tower's peak, the orc overlord snaps all 3 of his eyes open. He rises slowly. He steps to the edge and gazes down at the castle below. Why is there so much noise? But the moment he leans his head out, a dog's head comes flying at him. Before he can react, his throat is clamped in iron jaws. He can't make a sound, but it's not hard to imagine what's going through his head. The force of the bite sends him flying backwards, his entire body plummeting from the top of the tower. A sickening crack, and the overlord is impaled straight through on the castle's own spire. And just like that, one of the most feared boss-level monsters in existence dies without getting a single line. The spire buckles under the overlord's weight and starts to collapse. Back on the wall, Su Young is overwhelmed by sheer numbers. She's forced to trigger a defensive explosion on the tower itself. The blast sends her hurtling through the air. Through the haze, she sees the ground far below swarming with orcs waiting for her. A creeping thought, is this really where it ends? Then a hand catches her. Right when it matters most, Suho is there. He wraps his arms around her and rolls them both clear of the orcs below. Su Young stares at him, stunned. "You actually killed the overlord?" Suho nods, but now's not the time to talk. He throws her onto his back and bolts toward the castle exit. "Quick, use your exploration skill, find the portal." Su Young is still reeling from the shock of the overlord's death. It isn't until her exploration skill picks up the portal that it truly sinks in. He really did it. Meanwhile, outside the dungeon, everyone is in shock. A countdown appears on the dungeon monitor. The orc castle's gate is about to break open. They did it. Misuk bursts into tears. The waiting crowd erupts in cheers. Inside the dungeon, Suho is running at full speed. Su Young calls out from his back, "Portal is 700 meters past the wall, 11 o'clock. 10 minutes left." The orcs are right on their heels. Suddenly Suho senses something. He cuts into a side path. "What are you doing?" Su Young snaps. "We don't have time for this." Suho just grins. He spotted the orcs' demon wolf training grounds, and he's taking every single one of them with him. He activates his taming skill, and an exclamation mark pops up above each demon wolf's head. "Follow me." At Suho's command, every demon wolf leaps the fence and falls in tight behind him. Su Young blinks in disbelief. "Are you seriously taking them with us?" Just then, a massive orc force blocks the road ahead. Suho braces to punch through, when a dryad zips in and whispers that there's a small exit nearby. Su Young immediately activates her exploration skill. Sure enough, tucked around a corner, there it is. Suho leads the wolf pack out of the castle at full sprint, 23 seconds until the dungeon portal closes. They're almost at the portal, when an orc behind them hurls a spear. Su Young turns. The spear is aimed straight at her. It cuts through the air and drives into her. The impact throws Su Young off Suho's back. By sheer luck, the pack loaded with bloodstones absorbs part of the blow. But what does it matter? The portal is about to close, and the orcs will finish her off. The thought hits her like a wall of ice. Through the haze, she makes out the shape of a dog running toward her. It's Suho. Su Young's expression tightens. "Don't come back!" she screams. The moment an orc spear thrusts toward her, Suho snatches up the spear and drives it straight through the orc. 8 seconds to portal close. Everyone outside watches, barely breathing. 4 seconds. Suho shields Su Young with his body. Su Young forces out the words, "Why did you come back for me?" He doesn't answer. "Hold on tight. I'll show you what real speed and power look like." The countdown hits 0. Every orc freezes. The portal shatters. The dungeon begins to collapse. Just as everyone outside loses hope, a wolf howl tears through the distance, and then a flood of demon wolves comes pouring out. As all eyes lock onto the wolves, a dark shape streaks across the sky. When people rush over, they find the shape was Suho and Su Young, both unconscious, but still holding each other tight. Cut to the Awakener Bureau conference room. Every major outlet is scrambling to cover Suho and Su Young clearing a rank 5 dungeon. Some don't stop there, pushing inflammatory stories just to farm engagement. This draws intelligence agents from across the globe. They all have one goal: recruit Suho, the irregular. Inside the conference room, everyone is talking over each other. The consensus is clear. One contract alone will never be enough to keep Suho in Korea. But Doc sees it differently. As long as Suho's family is in Korea, he won't leave easily. Looking back through the case files, Doc has noticed something. During the 1,000 years Suho spent living among wolves, he never forgot his family on Earth. And when he returned to Earth, he missed the wolves he had spent those 1,000 years with. It tells you everything. He wants to be with the people he loves. Give him territory where he can live with his family in peace, and he won't leave Korea, let alone work against us. After some discussion, Mi-suk identifies an abandoned hotel in Namyang City that fits the bill perfectly. It's far enough from the city center that even if a gateway to the 4th planet opens, they'd be safe. A quick renovation, restrict the perimeter to authorized personnel only, and hand it over to Suho. The director cuts in. Is Su Young still our eyes on him? Mi-suk confirms she's the best fit. Has she filed her dungeon report yet? A dog-like man, Mi-suk says that is the report. Everyone stares at the screen in silence. Meanwhile, after joining forces with Japan, Lee Tae-yang took on a new name, Sonoda Hiroshi. Today is fight day, his first bout in Japan, but he shows no mercy whatsoever. 2.5 moves, that's all it takes. His opponent is dead. The crowd is unsettled. Was a kill really necessary? In a sparring match? He offers no explanation. That's 22 straight wins. Back in the locker room, a red-haired woman rushes to embrace him. Word is you killed him. Hiroshi's face stays blank. That's right, he was going to be one of the 7 evils. The woman pulls out a file on Suho and hands it to him. Hiroshi glances at it. No recognition. Sonoda Hiroshi is a returnee who had lived through 25 cycles. Over the span of 500 years, he had done the same things over and over, and remembered a great deal of what the future held. Killing the 7 evils, joining Japan, it was all for the sake of saving the Earth. In his previous cycles, he had watched monsters devour humanity firsthand, as the skies, the land, and the seas all fell under the rule of beasts. Japan had been humanity's last stronghold, so this time, he was determined to build Japan's foundation strong. Prepare for the apocalypse, no matter the cost, even if it meant being despised. Yet across all 25 cycles, he had never once heard the name Suho. When the woman tells him Suho is supposedly a returnee from the 4th planet, Hiroshi scoffs. As far as he knows, the 4th planet will not appear anywhere near Earth within the next 5 years. So in his eyes, Suho is nothing more than a Korean propaganda puppet. The woman tries to say more, but Hiroshi has already tuned out. If he's still standing when the apocalypse comes, we can talk then. On the other side of the world, Suho's crew is driving to their new territory. When they arrive, the sight stops everyone cold. Is that a haunted house? I think I just saw a ghost on the 2nd floor. Su Young shoots Mi-suk a glare. You seriously found us this place? Mi-suk just smiles. Renovations start tomorrow, but Suho takes one look and announces he loves it and wants to move in immediately. Su Young pinches him in the back like she owns the place. Have you lost your mind? What about my feelings? Since Suho is on board, Mi-suk shoves Su Young aside and gets down to business. Mark the territory and we can sign the contract. Then let's start now. Around Suho, lights bloom like a scatter of stars. They are dryads, every one of them answering his call. They dive into the earth, roots spread, sprouts push through the soil fast enough to watch. Within moments, towering trees surround the entire area. Done. Mi-suk pulls out the contract with a smile. Su Young steps in and grabs the contract to read it herself. Mi-suk's smile vanishes. Looks like her girl has gone and completely lost herself to him. Ever since Suho got his territory, Su Young's life has only gotten better. One morning, she's deep in a perfect dream when Mi-suk calls. The whining on the other end of the line, Mi-suk completely loses it. She's drowning in work and this woman is still in bed. Across the country, monsters have been appearing everywhere. Sea, sky, nothing is safe. Mi-suk tells Su Young to get up and get to work. Su Young hangs up on her. her. She brews herself a cup of coffee and savors the quiet morning. Suho, meanwhile, is busy giving names to his wolf pack. Ever since bringing them back, he's noticed a problem. Each wolf's dimensional essence is higher than his own, which means merging with them risks him losing control. So for now, leveling up the wolves is off the table. Just then, Su-young walks over and asks where Junho and the others are. They headed to a dungeon first thing this morning. Clearing regular dungeons doesn't need him anymore. Suho offers to show Su-young what he's been working on. She's happy to come along. Suho activates Beast Shift. He tells Su-young to climb on. The breeze rushes past their faces. They race across the open fields alongside the wolf pack. Meanwhile, Junho is driving back home. A month has passed since everything went public. Dong-su notices Suho is still trending at the top, and that funds sent from various countries have now exceeded 4 billion. The international appetite to recruit Suho shows no sign of cooling. While Dong-su is still wrestling with whether to tell Suho all of this, they spot Suho and Su-young running across the field. Dong-su leans out the window at the sight of them. "Hey, Su-young," he hollers, dripping with implication. Su-young responds by clenching her fist in his direction. Dong-su just cackles. "Eating, sleeping, living under the same roof. What else am I supposed to call you?" Watching Suho sprint, Junho gets the urge to race him. Beast and car tear across the field side by side. But then, Su-young senses it. A dimensional rift. She knows that feeling. She had once asked Suho what his planet was like. He told her it was an animal kingdom. Every creature locked in endless battle for territory. Even the tribal leaders were at least U rank, and even after he became king of the planet, they kept coming for him. Su-young thinks to herself, if the world Suho described ever connects to Earth, this place will become a battlefield. She asks if Suho can keep those creatures in check. He was their king after all, but Suho shakes his head. Right now, he's nowhere near as strong as he used to be. If they saw him like this, they'd probably want to kill him on the spot. Su-young goes quiet. Well then, let's head northeast toward the outlands. She tells Suho to take them somewhere less populated. They've just ducked into a patch of woods. When Su-young feels space itself begin to warp, she calls Misuk immediately and reports their location. Misuk's voice goes sharp. She orders armored missile vehicles to the location at once, on standby to bombard the portal the moment it opens. Then Suho pauses. Something's off. "This isn't a gateway from my planet," he tells Su-young. Before Su-young can ask how he can tell without any equipment, she senses it too. When Suho first returned, the dimensional essence surge was far more powerful than this. Could this actually be a regular dungeon portal? The disturbance has already drawn outside attention. Expert teams from the Awakener Bureau are converging on the area. The appearance of the fourth planet would be enough to shake the entire world. Within minutes, the Bureau's sensory team arrives. They deploy their specialized equipment and begin scanning. Suho's eyes light up at the gear. One of the technicians explains that the equipment can determine both the dungeon's rank and its opening window. The results come in. 4,280, a rank 4 dungeon. Misuk can't hide her disappointment. Meanwhile, Su-young is already swapping into her combat gear on the spot. She's going in with Suho to check it out firsthand. The director shoots to his feet the moment he hears the news. If Suho isn't a fourth planet returnee, every one they've poured into this is money down the drain. Misuk waves him down. It's just a preliminary read. And besides, Suho's shown a level of power no rank 4 dungeon could ever account for. But the director isn't hearing it. A return-free investment is a failed investment, and those angel investors are not patient people. He tells Misuk to shut it down. If word gets out that this is just a rank 4 dungeon, the new planet stocks will collapse overnight. Their move right now, buy time and pull the funds in. Outside the portal, the full scan results are in. Gate 272, 50 days remaining before opening, meaning the earliest this place erupts is in 50 days. Suho isn't quite following. The technician explains, to prevent an eruption, they'd need to clear it 4 to 5 times a day on average. He's worried Suho simply doesn't have the manpower, but Suho doesn't care about any of that. He's far more interested in the detection equipment itself. The technician tells him the equipment costs around 3 billion. Most guilds own at least one unit. That price tag stops Suho cold, but the technician adds, they can loan one to him free of charge. Just sign a form. Suho blinks. You're just handing over something worth 3 billion? The man explains they just received orders from above. Even if Suho turns out not to be a fourth planet returnee, he is to be treated with full respect. Besides, word is that foreign parties have been circling him. They hope Suho will choose to call Korea home. Suho is even more confused. Foreign parties? I haven't gotten any invitations. From behind, Dong-su taps Suho's shoulder and quietly pulls him aside. He whispers, since Suho doesn't go online, all the foreign support funds were quietly wired to Dong-su's own account, so he figured Suho should keep both sides warm for now and decide when the time comes. Dong-su braces for a lecture about being kept in the dark. Instead, Suho turns it around on him. You can love money, just don't let it own you. One good neighbor you can actually talk to is worth more than any amount of funding. Dong-su nods sincerely, then admits he's already committed to 3 headhunting firms, and if Suho doesn't at least glance at their proposals, those firms will have Dong-su assassinated for taking their money and delivering nothing. Suho sighs. Tell them I looked. Tell them I didn't respond. Tell them money doesn't interest me. As for the support funds, Dong-su can keep managing them. Right now, Suho has one thing on his mind. Find out if this dungeon is the place he once called home. Just as Suho is about to step through, Four Eyes cuts in front of the group. The Bureau is sending a strike team. They want to go in together. Suho refuses flat out. Per the contract, only 2 observers are allowed, and they cannot take part in the hunt. Four Eyes still looks uneasy. Can this small a group really clear a rank 4 dungeon? Su-young tells him to mind his own business and just handle the camera. Snowy comes trotting up behind them. If you want to tag along, then we'll level up together. 5 people and 1 dog step through the portal. What greets them is a withered, dying forest. Something about this place feels familiar to Su Suho, but he can't be sure. Su Young suddenly raises her hand to halt the group. 3 hostiles 70 meters ahead. A moment later, snarling sounds drift in from that direction. At that, Junho lights up and snatches his cleaver. Four Eyes stares at him blankly. Why is he suddenly excited? Junho is already walking toward the monsters with a grin plastered on his face. But as he passes Suho knocks him out cold. Wake him up and give him a sedative. Four Eyes has no idea what just happened. Su Young, completely unfazed, explains, once Junho picks up that cleaver, he goes feral. Right then, a dark tentacle shoots out from the bushes. Suho's eyes light up. Nobody touch them. These are mine. A split second later, a massive fang-filled maw bursts out of the undergrowth. Lizard folk. The group snaps to attention. Four Eyes hits record. Suho steps forward alone. 3 fanged monsters before him. He moves, and the kills are clean, effortless, like he's done it 1,000 times. Every thrust of the dagger sprays a clean arc of blood, from first charge to last kill, under 3 seconds. Four Eyes stands there dumbfounded. Are those the reflexes of a human being? Suho waves Junho and the others over to collect the loot. As Four Eyes watches Junho and Dongsu methodically break down the monster carcasses, he's completely beside himself. Lizard folk are C rank and above. What in the world is this group? Suho sends Snowy ahead to lure more monsters back. Four Eyes panics. Isn't that animal abuse? What if he drags back hundreds of them? Su Young tells him to mind his own business. No job is too dangerous, not with a brave little pup on the team. Monster roars echo in the distance. Junho lets out a chilling laugh. Watching Junho's face twist into something unhinged, Four Eyes completely loses it. Cold sweat pours down his face. The worst decision of his life was walking into this dungeon with these lunatics. This time, Suho doesn't stop him, just lets Junho take the whole performance all the way. Snowy comes bolting back, a pack of spear-wielding lizard folk hot on his tail. Junho sees them and surges forward, cleaver in hand. In this moment he is something unchained, a force of pure devastation. He tears through the pack, going absolutely berserk. Snowy, not to be outdone, launches onto the nearest lizard folk and bites like mad. Suddenly Four Eyes cries out. A fanged lizard folk maw lunges straight for Junho. A single shot blows its head clean off. Dongsu opens fire, rat-a-tat-tat. Junho's cleaver comes down, chop chop chop. In the blink of an eye, the two of them wipe out every last one. Four Eyes looks like he needs a moment to process what he just saw. Is this actually a rank 4 dungeon? Why isn't anyone even slightly on edge? The rest of the path goes smoothly. The dog leads, the humans follow. Dog stops, humans stroll. Every encounter along the way is just more lizard folk. No pressure whatsoever. Outside the dungeon though, the Awakener Bureau is under a very different kind of pressure. Reporters have packed the perimeter of Suho's territory and several of them block Mai Suk's car to get the story first. The lead reporter says they'll move if she answers just one question. I just saw Captain Lee Myung-song go in. His strike team specializes in rank 4 dungeons. Does that mean a rank 4 is about to open in there? Mai Suk says nothing, but the reporter reads her silence perfectly. He waves the crowd back. As Mai Suk's car pulls away, the reporter already has his headline. Inside the car, one of Mai Suk's staff can't hold back. Wasn't Suho's situation supposed to be classified? Did you just give them something? Mai Suk shrugs. Which matters more to you, the brass's money or Suho himself? If I let the world believe Suho is a rank 4 returnee, those vultures will stop circling him. At the portal entrance, Lee Myung-song is running roll call. His strike team is locked and ready to enter. Just then, Mai Suk's car arrives. She tells the strike team to stand down. Per the contract, no one enters this dungeon without Suho's consent. Myung-song is not pleased. He scrapped his original plans and came all this way for this mission. He starts to push back. Mai Suk cuts him off. I'm here to sort this out, the director's situation included. Myung-song pinches the bridge of his nose. One rank 4 dungeon. How is there this much red tape? Mai Suk invites him to talk in the car. Meanwhile, the director is on the verge of losing his mind. The dungeon story is already out. It's on every front page, and he's been calling the angel investors non-stop trying to explain. But his own phone won't stop ringing either. Right now, he genuinely wants to tear Mai Suk apart. Within 2.5 hours of the story breaking, Suho's name dominates every major headline. Doc sees the news and is genuinely surprised. Another twist? Just as he's about to believe it, something clicks. When he had taken Suho's statement earlier, Suho mentioned something, that he had lived by the sea for a time, but there is no ocean in a rank 4 dungeon. This raises a bigger question about the origin of dungeons altogether. Could they be fragments born from exploded planets? Then again, when Doc helped Suho locate his brother, the condition was that Suho would tell him everything about the last 500 years, but at the time, he hadn't taken Suho seriously at all, and Suho never called back. What a waste. Though to be fair, back then, who would have believed an F-rank hunter was the king of another world? Inside the dungeon, Suho cuts through lizard folk the whole way. Soon they break through the forest. Suho looks around. The feeling of familiarity won't go away. Dongsu spots writing carved into a stone. Suho stares at it, and something stirs in the back of his mind. Su Young initially thinks Dongsu is messing around, but he swears it wasn't him. Su Young is puzzled but has no explanation. She tells Four Eyes to record everything. Then she notices Suho walking alone toward a cave. She and the others follow. Inside the cave, the walls are covered floor to ceiling in text and markings. Are you telling me humans actually lived here? Four Eyes spots a particular passage that catches his eye. Dongsu rushes over and whistles. Well, people aren't exactly holding back, are they? The two of them sit on the rocks, barely containing their laughter. Then Junho spots something. Come here, there's my brother's signature. And that's not all. Dongsu finds Junho's name too. It hits them both at once. This is the other world where Suho spent 1,000 years, and they were just mocking that writing. Awkward. Meanwhile, Suho, who hasn't said a word, is staring fixedly at a map on the wall. Kuro, the tiger he had fought countless battles with across 1,000 years. A wave of memories crashes over him. His head reels. He turns and runs out of the cave. Dongsu assumes it's because of his earlier mockery. Su Young runs after him immediately. Outside, Suho scrambles up to a high vantage point and stares out at the landscape stretching before him. The shock hits him like a wave. This is the other world I lived in, but why does it look so different? Suho stands at the mountain peak, overwhelmed by a mix of shock and confusion. The traces of his past life are here, but the world around him feels completely foreign. He remembered a snow-capped mountain standing straight ahead, and on the other side, an orchard, with the ocean stretching out beyond it. But now, all of it is gone. Hearing this, Choi Su-young is stunned. How could there be an ocean inside a dungeon? But Suho tells her that was the Roaring Sea, a place no one should ever set foot in. The writings in the cave were left by him as a reminder not to forget civilization. At first, he had taken shelter there to hide from the animals, and after moving on, he would return regularly just to write, to keep the habit of literacy alive. As for the lizard folk, they never used to exist here. Su-young asks with concern, so where did all your animal friends go? At that, Suho's expression grows distant. This area used to be leopard territory, and knowing them as well as he does, leopards don't run from lizard folk. But Su-young points toward the distant haze. That, she says, is where the dungeon ends. Suho goes still. If that's the boundary, then where did the leopards go? Then, from below, comes the sound of lizard folk. Looking down, they're scaling the mountain at terrifying speed. Over 100 of them. Han Dong-su and the others catch up, and at the sight of the lizard folk, everyone tenses up. But Suho's face is dark. At the rear of the horde is the boss, the Lizard King, wearing a helmet carved from bones, the bones of leopards. At the sight of it, Suho's eyes turn cold. Stay here, I'll handle what's below. With that, he leaps off the edge, diving straight into the swarm. Meanwhile, back home, the landlady is feeding a pigeon. Suddenly, a flash of light engulfs the bird, and she nearly has a heart attack on the spot. Right before her eyes, the pigeon vanishes, just like Snowy did before. Back in the dungeon, Su-young watches in disbelief as Suho's arms transform into wings. His target is clear: kill the Lizard King and avenge the leopards. Suho dives at full speed, and in the instant before impact, he shifts his B-shift form again, merging with Snowy, and slams straight into the Lizard King. His claws pin the Lizard King's skull and rake across it with savage fury, the rage he had held back finally breaking free. The Lizard King is beaten to the edge of death, and Suho hauls him upright by the scruff. He tears off the leopard bone helmet and throws it aside. He leans in close, voice ice cold. Where did the leopards go? But the Lizard King, teeth knocked out and all, still has the nerve to talk back. He lets out a sharp, chittering chi-chi-chi. Judging by Suho's expression, it was a string of deeply offensive insults, and to top it off, the Lizard King takes a swing and clocks Suho right on the head. That does it. Suho is furious. He seizes the Lizard King in an iron grip, and a crushing aura of pressure radiates across the entire landscape. If you want to die that badly, I'll gladly oblige. He launches himself into the air, the Lizard King locked in his grasp. Up on the peak, the others are still fighting off the climbing lizard folk when they look up and see Suho carrying the Lizard King high into the air. All four of them, and the dog, freeze. Then Suho hurls the Lizard King straight toward them. Four Eyes is screaming internally. What the hell? Can't you see there are people up here? The Lizard King crashes into the mountainside with a thunderous impact. Level up. Wind attribute skill unlocked. Suho got what he wanted, but the lizard folk and his own teammates paid the price. The impact triggers a rock slide, and the group barely has time to react before they're tumbling down the mountain. Fortunately, they're a tough bunch. Nothing but minor scrapes. Then Suho's calm voice drifts over. Let's go. The gate's open. Four Eyes just stares. That's it? It's over? Outside the dungeon, Kim Mi-suk and her group are waiting in silence. When Suho's team emerges, Mi-suk steps forward with a smile to greet him. Behind her, Lee Myung-sung lets out a scoff. That's Suho? He looks like he couldn't hurt a fly. Suho gives the group a brief glance. He's not in the mood to talk. The next second, he shifts into B-shift and flies off without a word. Everyone just stands there, stunned. Mi-suk stares blankly. Wasn't he a dog? Why is he a pigeon now? Mi-suk asks Su-young what happened inside, but Su-young just shakes her head. If you're here to negotiate with him, you'd better come back another day. Mi-suk is at a loss. Then where's the footage? As Su-young turns to leave, she calls out to Four Eyes. The footage is with him, and he's to head back to headquarters with Mi-suk. But Mi-suk stops her. You're coming too. The mission to observe Suho is over. The Bureau has new orders for you. Su-young bristles. What the hell? Am I just your personal errand girl? But Mi-suk's face is dead serious. The northern defense line needs you. The situation there is critical. With that settled, everyone returns to Awakener Bureau headquarters. The director is eager to find out what happened inside the dungeon. After watching the footage, the room falls silent. The Lizard King was at least a rank, and Suho took him down like it was nothing. So what rank is Suho exactly? Su-young weighs in. After spending time with him, she's found that while Suho's official rating is E rank, his baseline combat strength is at least S+, and in his transformed state, he surpasses triple S rank. And unlike other Awakeners, leveling up doesn't just make him stronger, it removes the caps on his abilities entirely. Myung-sung can't help but wonder, is that how all irregulars work? If every returnee had Suho's combat power, Korea would already be a superpower. But Four Eyes points out, crossing through a portal without gear almost always tears a person apart. Someone like Suho is basically one of a kind. Listening to all this, the director feels a headache coming on. But regardless, the official preliminary conclusion stands. Suho is a rank 4 dungeon returnee. Su-young immediately opens her mouth to object, but the director cuts her her off. What matters now is uncovering the secrets of that dungeon. At that thought, the director mutters, we already have a signed contract, so why is Suho blocking the Bureau's investigation? Mi-suk figures he's probably looking for better terms. Su-young watches them go back and forth and can't take it anymore. She walks out before the meeting is even over. A bunch of idiots. There's no secret to his power. Back in the conference room, Mi-suk shares her idea with the director. To win access to the dungeon, she proposes sending Suho a very generous gift. What exactly that gift is, even the director is curious. The reinforcement forces heading to Daegu are fully assembled, but Su-young stands there clutching her phone, completely distracted, not even registering when the commander calls her name. If her teammate hadn't nudged her, the commander would have made an example of her on the spot. Once roll call is done, the convoy of armored vehicles rolls out toward Daegu. Inside the vehicle, Su-young still has her phone in hand, waiting for Suho to call. Because this time, the situation in Daegu is bad enough that she may never see him again. But at this very moment, Suho is fast asleep in his bed. Her calls ringing right beside him over and over, and he doesn't stir. Since returning from the dungeon, his mind has drifted back to the other world he once called home. He misses his family there. He misses the red wolves and the wild beasts he had fought alongside for centuries. He had hoped opening the dungeon would bring him back to them, but all he found was a small, unfamiliar patch of land. No friends, just strangers, the lizard folk. A bitter laugh escapes him. Maybe it just wasn't time yet. Then Junho comes in. Suho hasn't eaten since he got back, and Junho is worried. Suho says he's fine, and follows him out to eat. He never sees Su-young's missed calls. Walking past her room, Suho frowns. Where's the yellow-haired woman? At the table, he brings it up. When the others hear him call her yellow hair, they stare at him in disbelief. Bro, you seriously don't even know her name? Are you two actually a thing or not? Suho blinks. A thing? You mean mating? Dong-su nearly chokes. Does this guy have nothing but animals on the brain? Junho cuts in to break the awkward silence. Su-young has been deployed to the front lines. You weren't picking up, so she called me. Also, our guild needs new members. The portal detector needs an operator, and the dungeons we're assigned to, we have no idea when they'll activate. With our current headcount, we're way understaffed. Suho turns to Dong-su. Anyone in mind? Dong-su says he can probably scout some die-hard fans from his channel subscribers. Then Suho asks about Myung-jin. Where's that monk? Junho says it's been a while since anyone heard from him. Word is he and his senior monk have been living in Seoul with the orphan children. What none of them could have guessed, though, is that Seoul is in the middle of a zombie crisis. Su-young stares at her phone, a flicker of disappointment in her eyes. Then the intercom crackles. Entering corpse lunatic red zone. All personal communication devices must be switched off. Su-young slowly slides the power button. If I don't make it back, I hope he at least remembers my name. At that same moment, Suho picks up his phone. When he sees her missed calls, he dials back immediately, but her phone is off. He sighs. He tries Myung-jin next. No answer. What he doesn't know is that Myung-jin is currently running for his life. Just then, Mi-suk arrives with a team from the Awakener Bureau. They're here to negotiate about the dungeon. Suho is puzzled. He's already been officially confirmed as not a returnee from a new planet, so why are they still so fixated on his dungeon? Mi-suk is blunt. They want to find the secret behind his power. Suho almost laughs. You really need to investigate that? Just train for 1,000 years like I did. But Myung-sung, who came with Mi-suk, isn't buying it. He insists Suho is hiding something. Korea is in crisis. They're all countrymen, and they should be helping each other. Rank 6 dungeons are appearing with increasing frequency. The infected population in the outlands is exploding, putting massive strain on the city centers. Food and manpower are both running critically short. They desperately need someone of Suho's caliber, Myung-sung says. Suho's expression turns serious. He asks what the infected are. Mi-suk explains, they're people infected by a virus that drives them to attack humans and animals indiscriminately, spreading the infection further. The Bureau officially calls them corpse lunatics, but in plain terms, they're zombies. Every red zone on the map is zombie territory. After extensive research, they suspect the virus entered Earth through the portals. With their current capabilities, fighting it is nearly impossible, which is exactly why they want to study Suho's powers. Now that everything's on the table, Suho cuts to the chase. If you want exploration and hunting rights in my dungeon, you're going to need to show some good faith. Mi-suk says she can meet 2 conditions. First, she'll help upgrade his guild to rank 5, giving them the right to take on rank 5 dungeons. Second, she'll give him a piece of territory. The northern district of Gwangju is close to his current base. After deliberation, the Bureau has agreed to hand it over to Suho. Looking at the map, Suho sees right through it. So on paper you're giving me land, but really, you want me to be Seoul's shield. Mi-suk quickly adds, it's barren land right now, sure, but develop it. Build farms, build commerce, and the revenue will be astronomical. Myung-sung chimes in, North Korea is in full chaos right now. It won't be long before people start flooding south, and when that happens, your territory will practically print money. Listening to all this, a sly, knowing grin spreads across Suho's face. Everyone's playing their own angle, he thinks, and without wasting another second, Suho agrees. They can sign the contract, but first, the Bureau needs to do 2 things for him. First, he wants to meet the expert who developed the dimensional essence detector. Second, he needs them to track Myung-jin's phone location. Meanwhile, inside the Starfall Guild building, a group of hunters is waiting to interview for a position. Among them is a familiar face, Jang Woo, the one who first brought Suho into a dungeon. Just days earlier, he had cleared Starfall Guild's background screening. His 3 years as a small squad fighter and freelance hunter had earned him a shot, but this was just the beginning. He still had to pass the interview to officially join. At least 50 hunters showed up today. Only 10 would make the cut. Then Then his phone buzzes with a text. He opens it and freezes. In the interview room, a batch of candidates has just finished their session. The interviewers look thoroughly unimpressed. This recruitment drive is a disaster. Barely anyone stands out, but Kang Myung-hyuk has spotted one worth keeping. Jang Woo, with 3 years of field experience, he's only rank 1, but his class is swordsman. With the right training, he has real potential. Myung-hyuk says on the spot, "I want him." But when the next group is called in, they find that candidate number 50, Jang Woo, is already gone. The text he received was from Suho, and that was the team he had always dreamed of joining. There was nothing to think about. Meanwhile, on the front lines, a convoy of armored vehicles advances through a canyon. The soldiers pick up signals on radar. Something has been circling them. At first, they figure it's afraid of their firearms and keeping its distance. But as they near their destination, the truth hits them. These aren't monsters, they're zombies. And retreat is no longer an option. They have no choice but to blast their way through. But when the first rockets hit, they realize their mistake. The noise only draws more of them in. Within moments, they're caught in a death spiral, surrounded on all sides. Elsewhere, a car is tearing down the road at full speed, a massive horde of zombies closing in from behind. Suddenly, the fuel warning light flickers on. Myung-jin and his senior monk exchange a panicked look. They have no choice but to steer toward a nearby campground. Taking on a pack of low-level zombies is no challenge for Myung-jin on his own, but he's worried about the children in the back of the car getting caught in the crossfire. The car runs completely dry less than 100 meters from the campground. Myung-jin and his senior jump out immediately, grabbing the children and sprinting, with a massive zombie horde closing in behind. Just as the zombies are about to catch up, Myung-jin sets the children down and tells them to run ahead, while he turns and raises his weapon to hold the line. But the horde is overwhelming, and his skills are still on cooldown. Just as he's about to be completely surrounded, a strange energy begins to swirl around him. He looks up. Dryads. The dryads conjure a tornado that instantly engulfs the zombie horde, and within moments the entire mass of them is torn apart. Myung-jin spins around in disbelief, and there is Suho, hands in his pockets, standing on a rooftop above. "Stand back, don't get caught in it." The massive tornado tears freely through the sea of corpses, sending countless zombies spiraling into the air. Watching his new skill in action, Suho can't help but smile. But the armored convoy on the front lines isn't nearly as fortunate. The zombies surge forward, blocking the convoy's advance, and flipping the armored vehicles. Su Young is inside one of the vehicles not far behind. Is the entire unit about to be wiped out? The zombie horde has the armored forces completely surrounded, and this is Su Young's sensory team. Taking one look at what's outside, she immediately orders her team to reverse. But there are too many of them. Reversing is impossible. They can barely even open the doors. Su Young makes a split-second decision. She activates the barrier bomb. A burst of golden energy explodes outward, blasting the doors open with tremendous force. But the zombies outside show no sign of thinning. Su Young orders everyone to abandon the vehicles and break out on foot. She draws the long blade at her waist and charges into the zombie tide, cutting through them without mercy. But one person can only do so much. Most of the soldiers manage to escape the vehicles and fight back, but some freeze up. And compared to the sheer number of zombies, the ones who can actually fight are few. After all, this is the sensory team, not the strike team. Soon, soldiers begin to fall. At this rate, total collapse is only minutes away. Just as all hope seems lost, a thunderous explosion erupts from the sky, and countless zombies are blown to pieces. Looking up, soldiers leap down from drones, the Awakener Bureau's special forces. These professionally trained fighters are on a completely different level. Armed with advanced weaponry, they quickly seize control of the battlefield. Su Young is still fighting alone in the middle of the horde. Suddenly, a man appears before her. Sun Jin-woo is completely calm, not a trace of urgency on his face. His partner has already activated their high-tech gear, and Sun Jin-woo pulls Su Young close. "Don't worry, my shield will protect you." Massive energy blasts detonate through the zombie horde, and Su Young emerges unharmed, sheltered beneath his shield. Just as the special forces begin to think it's over, a massive, unidentified object appears on radar, moving fast. Back with Suho, he's going absolutely wild with his newly unlocked tornado skill. A wide-area skill like this is incredibly satisfying to use, and even Myung-jin can't help feeling a little envious. The little monks he looks after are staring up with wide, awestruck eyes. As the last of the zombies are swept away, everyone breathes a sigh of relief. Suho smiles. "All clear, time to go home." "How did you even know I was here? You could have given me a heads up." But before he can finish, a zombie lunges out of nowhere. Myung-jin's face goes pale. It bites him, right on the ankle. In Osaka, Japan, a red portal erupts in the middle of the city, and monsters pour through from another world. Just as the city is on the verge of destruction, a man arrives. Sonoda Hiroshi, the world's #1 hunter. Working in perfect sync with his team, the monsters are eliminated in short order. Crisis resolved, Sonoda turns and walks away without a word. His team just happened to be passing through. Saving people was simply a matter of convenience. He's barely back in the car when his girlfriend brings up Suho. She says the internet has been flooded with news about Suho's guild, including an official Korean broadcast confirming him as a rank 4 dungeon returnee. Sonoda says he figured as much. He traveled back from 500 years in the future, and he had never once heard Suho's name. He glances casually at her tablet, but the next second, he freezes. "Are you sure this photo is his team?" His eyes are wide with disbelief, because the face of Junho's son is the future 8th evil, because he was just a child. Sonoda had placed him last on his assassination list. But why is he standing beside Suho? Sonoda picks up the tablet again, and his composure begins to crack. Jang Woo, the Hell Blade Master. Master Myung-jin, the indestructible destroyer monk. Who exactly is Suho? Why are 3 of the future's greatest villains all on his team? His girlfriend pulls up the video of Suho's battle against the lizard folk. Watching the footage, Sonoda feels like his head is about to explode. There's no way a dungeon returnee has this kind of power. hour. If he's an irregular, then why have I never heard of him across 500 years of history? Could he be a time traveler like me? And his purpose is to gather the future's villains? Is he rewriting the future just like I am? The questions pile up in Sonoda's mind, and he forces himself to stop, because if his suspicions are right, then 500 years of careful planning will turn to nothing. He decides on the spot he needs to meet Suho, but his girlfriend tells him they can't leave right now. The Wyvern's Lair dungeon erupted recently. All air routes have been completely cut off, and the sea routes are no different. Looking at the data she pulls up, Sonoda's mind is churning. Then his phone rings. It's the defense chief. He says Sonoda's team is needed in Hokkaido. A rank 7 dungeon has appeared. At those words, Sonoda's expression freezes, and the questions in his mind suddenly connect. Everything is happening ahead of schedule. The Wyvern's Lair dungeon wasn't supposed to erupt for another 3 months. The rank 7 was even further out. Suho must be the variable, and he may come from a future even further away. If that's true, then Suho already knows Sonoda exists. He needs to find him, fast, and if they're not on the same side, then for the sake of humanity, Sonoda will have to eliminate him first. Back on Suho's side, after bringing Myungjin back, the team is finally complete. To welcome Jangwoo aboard, Suho presents him with a Hell's Blade. It's a weapon that only a B-rank hunter can fully master, but Jangwoo is thrilled. He swears he won't let Suho down. He'll grind his way to B-rank. Watching Jangwoo with his new weapon, Myungjin mentions he'd like an upgrade too. He's had his eye on a crescent wing spear for a while, but his rank isn't high enough to buy one. Suho opens the system store, finds the crescent wing spear. 120 million? He doesn't even blink. Consider it a gift, and just like that, he buys it. Myungjin lights up at the sight of it, and immediately picks it up to test it out. Suho turns to Dongsu. Does he want anything? Dongsu says he's happy with what he has. And to Junho, Suho just asks one thing. You ready? Junho grins. Always. Watching this group, Jangwoo starts to have second thoughts. What the hell did I just sign up for? Why does everyone here seem completely unhinged? Over at the camp command post, Mai Suk is at her wit's end as her team reports. Her group takes 28 hours to clear a dungeon run. Suho's team does it in 8 minutes. How is she supposed to compete with that? At this pace, Suho's team will clear the dungeon out of existence within a week, and then there'll be nothing left to research. No wonder he agreed so easily. She completely underestimated him. On the other side, Suho's team is geared up and heading back in. Myungjin pulls the monsters using his area of effect taunt skill. Suho corrals them with his tornado, and Dongsu hangs back, picking his moment to strike. As for Junho, well, that goes without saying. He picks up his weapon and goes absolutely berserk. Fighting alongside them for the first time, Jangwoo is speechless. This is a rank 4 dungeon. Are these people insane? Dongsu notices Jangwoo standing there dazed and tells him to get moving. Jangwoo snaps out of it, grabs his weapon and charges in. After taking down his first lizard folk, something shifts. He starts to enjoy it. Whether it's the Hell's Blade doing something to him or not, he's starting to look an awful lot like Junho. Every kill sends a rush through him that only makes him want more. The Lizard King appears soon enough, and at that same moment, Junho comes charging in. The Lizard King never could have imagined he'd be facing 2 complete maniacs. Before he can even react, Jangwoo and Junho hit him from both sides and tear him apart. Watching those two go to work, even Suho and Dongsu are at a loss. You killed the boss already? We didn't even get to collect the bloodstones inside. Jangwoo gives a casual apology. He got a little carried away. The portal opens. Suho says they'll head out now and get the bloodstones next time, but as everyone runs toward the portal, a sharp pain shoots through Myungjin's leg, the very ankle that was bitten by the zombie. Is Myungjin about to turn? By this point, Suho's team has cleared dungeon after dungeon in a row, while Myungsong's team hasn't even finished their first run. He brought his best people, and even outfitted them with high-tech weapons. While he leads his group through a side area, another squad gets completely wiped out by the Lizard King. When he rushes back, he finds his teammates have taken the Lizard King down with them in a final explosion, standing over their bodies. He can only curse under his breath. He was mocking Suho not long ago, and now this. He's never been more embarrassed in his life. He exits the dungeon, and reports to Misuk, 2 dead, 2 critically wounded. Misuk is immediately alarmed. How do you take casualties like that in a rank 4 dungeon? Myung-song explains. Splitting up to cover the exploration objectives left them exposed, and the lizard folk took advantage. He plans to regroup and go back in 2 hours. Misuk tells Myung-song's group to hold position. She asks her own team if they've found anything useful, but they've come up empty. The only confirmed finding is the time ratio between the dungeon and Earth, 2-to-1. The first team spent 48 hours inside, while only 24 had passed on Earth. Misuk stops. If Suho was gone from Earth for 10 years, that means he spent 20 years in the other world, but Suho told her he lived there for 1,000 years. The math doesn't add up at all. Misuk's head is spinning. She is completely overwhelmed. On top of everything, she's received the final footage from before Su Young went dark. After the special forces had rescued Su Young's group, a massive creature had suddenly appeared in the canyon. Its fireball took out the special forces helicopter in an instant. The footage cuts out at that moment, and it leaves Mei Suk with questions. The route on the footage clearly wasn't where Su Young's team was supposed to be. So why were they there? But her subordinates refused to say a word about it. Mei Suk's fury breaks through. I don't care who it was. Whoever sent those soldiers into the zombie zone to die will answer for it. She can't help but feel for Su Young. That woman never catches a break. Every mission something goes wrong. Mi-suk keeps calling Su Young's number, desperately hoping for any sign that she's alive, but every call goes unanswered. Somewhere, Su Young's phone lies forgotten on the ground, and her fate remains unknown. When her team reports that Suho's group cleared rank 4 dungeons 50 times in 14 hours, Mi-suk goes completely still. Apparently, Suho's team called it quits. They'd fought so much they were sick of it, tired of even looking at monsters. Suho's team is currently on their way to the Awakener Bureau. After 14 straight hours of combat, everyone is leveled up. Jiangwu feels like he's dreaming. 3 years of grinding just to reach E rank, and he'd never even set foot in a rank 3 dungeon, let alone rank 4. And now, in less than a day, he's a D-rank hunter. How could he not be excited? They arrive at the Awakener Bureau. Suho is here to get everyone's updated rank registered in the dimensional detection chamber. Lying in the detector, Suho can clearly feel that the eyes in the void are sharper now. He had asked Mi-suk to help him get in touch with the detector's developer. Mi-suk told him she already sent the email, and once a reply comes through, he'll be able to travel to the UK and meet with them. The detector's results come in, 488. Everyone congratulates Suho on reaching C rank. Suho sits up with a puzzled look. Why does everyone only learn his rank now? Does he see his own status window, and no one else can? He turns to a staff member. Who created the status window? The staff member seems genuinely excited by the question. She tells him, after the Great Calamity, people discovered a stone pillar in Zone U, engraved with glowing red text, and it was at that moment that people discovered they each had a status window. People begin calling the stone pillar a god and worshipping it. Once the inscriptions are deciphered, messengers carry fragments of the pillar to every corner of the world. These fragments serve as the CPUs of the Awakener Bureau's dimensional computers. Without them, managing the Bureau's system panels would be impossible. Suho is curious about what the inscriptions actually say. The staff explains that the texts contain foundational knowledge about Awakener leveling systems and how to harness dimensional essence, common knowledge today, but a groundbreaking discovery back then. The group is still talking about it as they walk out of the Awakener Bureau. None of them had heard any of this before. But either way, everyone leveled up this time. Suho turns to Junho and asks if the rank 5 Orc Castle dungeon is still up. Junho confirms it is and asks what he has in mind. Suho says his beast mastery stats and rank have gone up, which means he can tame more gray wolves now. He wants to head back and bring more of his family home. He plans to go alone this time. As for the rest of the team, they can use the lower rank dungeons to build up their coordination. With that settled, Suho suggests they all go grab a meal. That's when Han Dong-su suddenly remembers something terrifying. He looks like he's seen a ghost. Everyone asks what's wrong. Dong-su's face crumples. I'm about to get assassinated, he stammers. Once they settle into a small restaurant, Dong-su comes clean. Turns out he's been receiving support funds from multiple countries. The total has already hit 10 billion. Junho frowns. They already made it clear. Suho isn't a returnee from Planet 4, so why are they still sending money? Dong-su says they want Suho for his plant control ability. Human-controlled land is shrinking at an exponential rate, and most of the world's food supply is now imported from planet Aruka. In their eyes, having Suho on their side means the food crisis is solved. Suho still doesn't follow. What does any of that have to do with you getting assassinated? At that, Dong-su's eyes well up. They wanted to talk to you, but you kept disappearing. They said if you don't show up within 2 days, they're cutting off my head. Didn't I say I wasn't going? Yeah, but they were being so annoying, so I played a little joke on them. Dong-su had replied to them saying Suho thought the money wasn't enough. He stares at Suho with his best puppy eyes, begging him to clean up this mess. Suho sighs but agrees. He tells Dong-su to make it quick. He's not letting this ruin his meal. Dong-su sets up the live stream equipment in no time. After a brief intro, he calls Suho over to go on camera. Suho just says not going and walks away. Dong-su's face goes dark. Are you trying to get me killed faster? Just as everyone is about to head out for food, Dong-su's phone buzzes with a message. They say if you won't go to them, they want to come visit you in person. Just send them an invitation. Suho barely glances up. Fine, tell them to come. He couldn't care less about meeting them. But after the group leaves, Four Eyes drops his casual act, and his expression turns dead serious. He wastes no time reporting back to a man known only as the general manager. The moment he learns where Suho's group is headed, the general manager orders his men to bring them in. Then he makes another call, to a woman. After a hushed conversation, the man grins, slow and sleazy. They say no hero can resist a beautiful woman. A man who hasn't been near a woman in 1,000 years? There's no way he won't crack. The general manager is the son of the BDG group chairman. His sister is a top celebrity, and to seize control of the group, the general manager hatches a plan, leverage his sister's celebrity status to cook up a scandal with Suho, pull him into the guild to build his own power base within the group, and push his father out the door. But when the chairman hears his son plans to recruit Suho, he immediately panics. Knowing his son's track record, the chairman thinks he should count his blessings if nothing goes wrong. He orders him to back off. He's already sent Chief Cheon to handle it, but the general manager ignores him entirely, and grumbles that Chief Cheon is stealing his credit. Meanwhile, Chief Cheon is leading his men in pursuit of a wanted man. That man is none other than the loan shark boss who set Suho up. Once they have him in custody, Chief Cheon orders him locked up. This man is his gift to Suho. Meanwhile, the general manager arrives at the dungeon entrance with his sister, only for his men to inform him that Suho just went in. The general manager's face flushes with rage. His sister, Sophie, is just as disappointed. Turns out this visit wasn't entirely her brother's idea. She's a huge fan of Suho herself and has always wanted that one perfect moment with him. Inside the dungeon, Suho is on an absolute rampage. He's only 3 points away from unlocking the beast farm. He activates his exploration skill, and sure enough, there's one survivor hiding among the corpses. Suho grabs his weapon and leaps. The orc is completely thrown. Playing dead doesn't even work. He takes it down and scores 23 points. Suho successfully unlocks the beast farm. After a quick look around, Suho sets up the hunting ground inside his territory. He checks the taming roster and notices one entry marked as a hybrid. That has to be Snowy. Another pack of orcs comes charging out. Suho gives them a slow, unbothered look. He raises his right hand. "Come on out, everyone!" Several portals tear open in front of him. His tamed gray wolves and doves pour through. Suho grins. Not bad at all. This is what the king of the forest is supposed to look like. Suho is loving every second of tearing through these monsters. Ever since he unlocked the beast farm, he can't get enough of becoming one with his animals. He shifts freely into beast shift and launches himself straight at the orc overlord. After taking down the orc overlord, Suho brings another pack of gray wolves back with him. Even as he walks out of the dungeon, Suho is still fiddling with his beast farm system. That's when Sophie walks up to him. "You must be Suho," she says sweetly. Suho blinks, caught off guard, and asks what she wants. Reporters capture the whole exchange on camera. The crowd immediately smells a story, assuming the two are an item. Four Eyes sees the whole thing and reports back to the general manager immediately. He also notes that Suho's demeanor toward her is surprisingly warm. The general manager looks smug. Obviously, a man who hasn't seen a woman in 1,000 years. How could he resist my sister? Right there in front of everyone, Sophie loops her arm through Suho's and walks him toward a cafe. The general manager floors it the moment he hears. But when he arrives, he finds Sophie in tears. "Where did Suho go?" he demands. Sophie sniffles and tells him that Suho took one sip of water and left. He said she was too weak and wasn't worth his time. Her brother stares in disbelief. "Too weak? You're a 10 out of 10. What more does he want?" Sophie slams the table. "I was talking about combat stats." She storms off, announcing she's becoming an awakener tomorrow. The general manager watches her go and sighs. "That's a bust. Guess I need a different woman." Four Eyes mentions there's another candidate on their team. She's a bit rough around the edges though. When the general manager hears the name, he rubs his temples in frustration. Just then Suho walks out of the dungeon again. The general manager lights up and rushes over. This time, he's handling it himself. But the moment he opens his mouth to explain why he's there, Suho ignores him completely and walks straight back into the dungeon. The general manager is completely lost. What does this man actually want? Chief Cheon arrives at that moment with the same goal in mind. The general manager seethes. Everyone plays nice with the chairman's son to his face, but he knows exactly what they're all thinking behind his back. He forces a smile and exchanges a few stiff pleasantries, then leaves, barely holding back his contempt. Once that troublemaker is finally gone, Chief Cheon calls the chairman. He's barely halfway through his report when Suho walks out of the dungeon. The speed and power this man operates at is beyond anyone's imagination. He hangs up immediately and approaches. "I'm Cheon Dae-myung, Secretary General of BDG Group," he says. He explains that he's here to apologize. One of his subordinates was responsible for getting Suho thrown into that rank 5 dungeon, and he intends to make it right. As a gesture of goodwill, he's already reserved the finest restaurant in District 4. The moment food is mentioned, Suho is interested. Cut to Suho, completely satisfied. Dae-myung has pulled out all the stops. The meal alone runs nearly 100 million won, and on top of that, they throw in 5 top-of-the-line pickup trucks valued at 300 million. The sheer extravagance has Suho genuinely curious, but Dae-myung says this is just the appetizer. The real gift is still coming. Suho cuts to the chase. "What do you actually want?" Dae-myung says BDG Group wants to establish a formal partnership with him. The main reason BDG hasn't become the representative guild of District 12 is simple. They don't have a rank 6 raid team. All the money in the world can't change that. Suho cuts him off. He has no interest in becoming the representative guild of District 12. Dae-myung nods. He expected that. Their goal isn't District 12 either. What they want is to open up District 13 of Seoul, together with Suho, just like District 12 in Zone S. Once a rank 6 guild establishes itself, a city can form around it. Right now, District 12 is struggling to clear rank 6 dungeons, and the citizens are uneasy. But if they establish District 13 and prove their strength, people will flock there, and the city will grow on its own. Dae-myung tells Suho they know his team isn't ready to run a city on their own. That's exactly why they're here today. In short, BDG wants to invest in Suho's team. Suho closes his eyes and thinks. He has to admit, the man makes sense. Knowing his teammates, managing an entire city would honestly be a stretch. But he doesn't say yes on the spot. District 13 isn't something that gets built overnight. Dae-myung is a little disappointed, but he thanks Suho anyway. At least the door isn't closed. Just as Suho is getting up to leave, Dae-myung calls after him. "You haven't seen your gift yet. Just spit it out," Suho says. Dae-myung nearly chokes, but what comes next is even more awkward. He tells Suho he's captured the loan shark boss and has already had him declared legally dead, so Suho can do whatever he wants with him. Suho doesn't even blink. Why would a man like him concern himself with the lives of ants? Dae-myung is at a complete loss. Just as he's about to go, a thought crosses his mind. He may not care, but Junho might. Since the man has been delivered, might as well let his brother handle it. He texts Junho that someone wants to meet him and tells him to take his meds before going. Junho is curious, but Suho doesn't reveal who it is. He wants to see for himself how much Junho has grown. He sends the address and drives off. Junho pulling up at the location Suho gave him. Dae-myung's men are already waiting. They lead Junho to a shipping container. Inside, the loan shark boss is raging uselessly. The metal door swings open, and both men freeze. The loan shark boss never expected to see Junho. He asks what he's doing doing here? Junho says he doesn't really know either. He just heard someone wanted to meet him. Same as ever. Did your brother come with you? No. The loan shark boss lets out a small laugh. Junho asks why he wanted to see him. The boss pauses, then it clicks. Junho has no idea what's going on. He looks at Junho with an expression of deep regret and says he wants to sincerely apologize. The one who tricked Suho into that rank 5 dungeon wasn't him. It was BDG Guild. He was just a scapegoat. He claims to be the real victim. His company collapsed because of them, and now he's stuck waiting to die. Junho just says sorry to hear that and turns to leave. The past is the past. He wants nothing to do with any of this. But just as he reaches the door, the loan shark boss calls out, voice cracking, begging Junho to save him. I helped your wife find a job once. Remember? Then his head dips, almost sheepish. She told me not to say anything, but beneath the act, a barely visible smirk crosses his face. Junho doesn't notice. He's completely frozen by what he just heard. His wife was looking for work? Does that mean she's still alive? Seeing Junho's reaction, the boss speaks up quickly. He mentions he once ran a monster industry employment agency. Junho's wife came to him saying life at home was unbearable, asking for a job referral. If Junho frees him, he'll take him to see her. He watches Junho stand there, dazed, and thinks he's got him completely in his grip. What he doesn't know is that the man standing before him has long since become something like the Grim Reaper himself. Junho had always been like his brother growing up. No interest in people, no social life. Games were his only escape from reality. Even after getting married and having a child, nothing changed. All he ever brought his wife was endless poverty and fits of rage. Before long, he had racked up 500 million in loan shark debt. He always assumed his wife had run off with another man. But the truth was that the loan shark boss had his eye on her. While Junho was away, he forced her to sign a debt bondage contract. And just like that, his wife was forced into a life she never agreed to. Standing in that shipping container today, Junho still doesn't know any of this. The boss feeds him the lie, free me, and I'll take you to her. Junho believes him. He knows he wasn't a good husband. He desperately wants to find the woman he once loved. But what he doesn't know is that every single word of it is a trap. On the other side of the city, Suho calls Junho as he's almost home. The phone is off. Suho feels something is wrong. He turns the car around immediately. By then, Junho has already freed the loan shark boss. Following his directions, they drive to the old loan office. The car is barely stopped when a pack of thugs pours out of the building. The boss greets them warmly. These are his old crew. Someone recognizes him. Isn't that coward Junho? Since when does he drive a luxury car? Junho says nothing. The boss tells his crew Junho is here to find his wife and has them lead him inside. A shutter rolls up and Junho is shoved through. He expected to see his wife. Instead, there's only an industrial shredder soaked in dried blood. Before he can process it, the loan shark boss cracks him over the head with a club. Then the iron bars come out. If it weren't for you and your brother, would I be in this mess? He screams, venting every ounce of his rage. Come looking for your wife? Looks more like you came here to die. One of the crew fires up the shredder. The boss crouches down and looks at Junho with pure contempt. I'm going to do to you exactly what I did to your wife. Break your limbs first, then feed you through. Her fault for marrying a spineless piece of trash who couldn't follow orders. One of the crew steps forward with a sledgehammer. Brace yourself. This is going to hurt. But then, something shifts in Junho's eyes. Cold. Murderous. Thanks for telling me the truth. Looks like I owe all of you a proper thank you. Everyone in the room goes still. One cut is enough to kill. 2 cuts send you straight to hell. Junho raises both blades, and all hell breaks loose. Blades rise. Heads fall. Junho tears after the goons without hesitation. Nearby, on a rooftop, Suho has already taken out several snipers. He watches his brother descend into fury below and can't help but smile. Looks like you've really grown. Have your fun today. Su Young has been off the grid for a while now. Mi Suk had assumed the worst when she went unreachable. Fortunately, the special forces managed to wipe out the monsters. Su Young's unit has just returned to base when the news on TV catches her eye. The headline, a rumored romance between Sophie and Suho. A murderous aura blazes off Su Young. That little bastard sneaking around with women behind my back. Meanwhile, Mi Suk's brain is about to short circuit. After all that time clearing Suho's dungeon, they found no rare encounters, no hidden treasures, nothing. Was he actually serious about the 1,000-year training thing? Did she waste all that time for nothing? That's when Suho calls. He asks Mi Suk what happens when someone gets bitten by a zombie. She's puzzled. Did you get bitten? Nobody got bitten. I'm just curious, he says. Mi Suk runs through the global data. 38 confirmed cases of the zombie virus so far. After 48 days of observation, 2 patients died from acute leukemia. 26 developed severe hair loss. 7 more experienced intermittent pain at the bite site, with no other symptoms so far. The remaining 3 turned into zombies. Research shows the lower an awakener's rank, the higher the chance of full zombie conversion after infection. Early symptoms include high fever, full body pain, and reddening of the eyes. Anyone bitten must be quarantined at the disease control center immediately. Suho hangs up after hearing all of this. He makes his way to a street medicine stall. The dealer spots him and grins. Here to pick up your brother's meds? Turns out Junho sedatives have been coming from this very stall all along. Suho's become a regular, but today he's not here for sedatives. He asks if the dealer has anything for the zombie virus. The man pauses. Then he starts rummaging through his stall. This'll do the job. It's made specifically for rabies. Suho takes the ointment without a second thought and asks how to use it. Apply it morning and night, the dealer says. Should clear up in about a week. One catch, though. The patient needs to be knocked out first before applying. Suho doesn't question it. He buys 10 bottles on the spot. Shortly after he leaves, 2 city enforcement officers come running from down the street. The dealer sees them coming, packs up his stall in an instant, and leaps off the building. The officers arrive completely baffled. Where did he go? Meanwhile, Myung-jin is curled up in his room, groaning in agony. His eyes are bloodshot. His wounds are festering. Every sign points to an imminent zombie transformation. Jongwoo and the others are pressed anxiously against the door outside. Dong-soo pulls out his phone. I've already planted a bomb on Young-jin. The moment he goes off, I press this button and he's confetti. Junho's son hears this and immediately presses the button. He wants to see a human bomb go off with his own eyes. Nothing happens. It was all made up. Dong-soo's attempt at lightening the mood. Junho's son stares at Myung-jin, visibly let down. I really thought he'd explode. What a shame. Just then, Myung-jin's convulsions suddenly stop. He sits up. Has he fully turned? Suho heads back to his car with the ointment. A message comes in from Misuk. Dr. Tordler has responded, and he's inviting Suho to come to England. Dr. Tordler is the pioneer behind the dimensional essence detector and the bloodstone generator, and the person Suho has been trying to track down. To uncover the secrets within himself, Suho has to meet this man. After replying to Misuk, Suho arrives home to find Myung-jin mid-episode. No hesitation. One punch, Myung-jin hits the floor. Time for the ointment. At the same time, at the entrance of a rank 7 dungeon in Japan, a crowd waits eagerly for Hiroshi's return. After nearly 11 days, Hiroshi and his team emerge, but the mood is grim. 7 teammates didn't make it out. Hiroshi collapses on the spot and is rushed to the hospital. When he finally opens his eyes, 2.5 days have passed. His girlfriend is at his side, relieved but worried. She tells him not to blame himself. Hiroshi is long past feeling anything about it. Through hundreds of cycles, he has watched thousands of teammates die. His girlfriend alone has died in front of him more than a dozen times. Then she tells him, Suho has invited Dago. Hiroshi's expression shifts. Dago belongs to the Esper Authority, an organization even more official than the Awakener Federation that Hiroshi himself is part of. This means Japan is moving in on Suho. The thought alone sends Hiroshi over the edge. They're ripping off his entire strategy. The early appearance of the rank 7 dungeon already had him furious. He blames all of it on Suho. If not for Suho's return, none of these complications would have appeared, and gathering the 7 evils, that alone is reason enough. This man cannot be allowed to live. He turns to his girlfriend. Get me a boat. I'll build one myself if I have to. I'm meeting Suho. Back in Korea, Suho's team hasn't been running any dungeons lately. Everyone's been occupied with their own business. Junho passed the hunter's license exam and got his certification. Dong-soo has been managing the guild's social accounts. Even after word got out that Suho is a dungeon returnee, the guild's following didn't drop. It hit 1 million, and their funds have climbed to 10 billion. As for Jongwoo, he hasn't had a single idle day since joining the team. Anytime he's not in a dungeon, he's at the training ground working on his swordsmanship. Jongwoo knows exactly where he stands compared to the others, and he intends to close that gap one swing at a time. He refuses to be the weakest link. Meanwhile, Suho meets with Myung-jin's senior monk. Ever since the monks moved nearby, Suho had a temple built for them. Suho asks him how Myung-jin is doing. The senior monk tells him, ever since Myung-jin started using the ointment Suho brought back, he's been much better. He still has episodes, but at least he can eat and do his morning exercises again. Meanwhile, out on the open sea, a small boat is slowly making its way towards shore. Hiroshi stands at the bow, expression dark, eyes locked on the coastline. Wait for me, druid. We'll meet very soon. Myung-jin was born without hair. The other children called him a witch's son and beat him for it until he found his master. But his master was later killed by monsters, and the temple burned to the ground. That was the first time darkness took root in him. He lost himself in endless slaughter. It was his senior monk, returning from a journey, who finally pulled him back. Reunited with Myung-jin, the senior monk shares this with Suho. Since using the medicine Suho brought, the condition has been kept in check, though his eyes still carry some lasting effects. He tells Suho it was Suho who pulled him back from the darkness once again. This time his mind is made up. He will stay by Suho's side, even if it means walking a path of blood. To make his point, Myung-jin draws his weapon and smashes the floor to pieces. Everyone in the room goes silent. The team already had one maniac with blades, and now they've got a lunatic with a gun. Just then, the landlady comes charging in with a cleaver, cursing up a storm. Who's tearing up my place? I'll kill him. Myung-jin hears her coming, crashes through the window and bolts. Cut to the dining room. Because of the floor incident, Myung-jin has been too scared of the landlady to show his face at meals for days. Suho tells everyone he's planning a trip to England. Before he finishes, Dong-soo says that's not possible right now. Wyverns and sea monsters have grounded all flights and shut down all sea routes. According to official reports, it'll be at least a month before things resume. Suho is not amused. A month is not an option. Junho suggests Suho could transform and fly. Suho shakes his head. Beast shift with the doves only lasts 10 minutes. That's nowhere near enough. Then Dong-soo lights up. He has an idea: tame a golden eagle, an awakened one. He saw it in an online video. The border buffer zone has become a paradise for wild animals. Many have awakened into fierce beasts just to survive. Golden eagles among them. Suho doesn't even finish eating. He grabs Dong-soo and they head out to find one. Meanwhile, Hiroshi has made landfall on his small boat and is now heading towards Seoul. His girlfriend warns him to be careful. If anyone finds out they snuck in, it could spark an international incident. Hiroshi says he understands. Once Suho is quietly dealt with, they leave immediately. Out in the outlands, Suho has already tamed a wild boar and a black rabbit. Awakened animals are different from ordinary ones. When merging with them, Some of the animal's instincts bleed through. For example, Dong-su offhandedly comments that the boar is ugly, and Suho attacks him before he can even think about it. Suho only calms down after he shifts back, and Dong-su apologizes directly to the boar. The two of them ride through the forest, one on a boar, one on a wolf, searching for any sign of a golden eagle. After a long search, not a single feather. Suho thinks of Su-young and tries calling her. No answer. He reaches out to Mi-suk instead, asking her to get in touch. Su-young is at the front lines clearing monsters. Ever since she saw the news about Suho and that celebrity, she's gone completely silent on him. Then her phone rings. When she hears Suho's voice, her heart jumps. Is he calling to apologize? So the idiot actually does think about me. But what she hears instead is Suho asking her to use clairvoyance to help him find a golden eagle. Her fury ignites instantly. You shameless creep, you have the nerve to ask me to find a golden eagle? You're lucky I'm not coming there to beat you senseless. The line goes dead. Suho stares at his phone, baffled. How did I become a shameless creep? He turns to ask Dong-su what that was about, but Dong-su is staring into the distance, frozen. Hey, what is that? Suho looks up and sees the valley below swarming with a thick mass of dark shapes. Dong-su pulls up his phone and checks. A gate has torn open nearby. The unkillable Yi dungeon. Monsters that breathe fire and detonate even in death. Before they can react, the dark shapes are already hurtling straight at them. They squint. A massive swarm of crows, blotting out the sky. Below, the wildfire is spreading fast. Dong-su tells Suho they need to fall back, but Suho's eyes light up. Fire destroys forests, but it also drives out the animals hiding in them. Whatever is hiding deep in that forest, there's bound to be a golden eagle among them. Sure enough, Suho spots one almost immediately. C-rank beast, dimensional essence 462, just below Suho's stats. Perfectly tameable. Once it's secured, Suho becomes one with the boar and tears into the forest. Fueled by the boar's savage momentum, Suho unleashes a storm of tornadoes across the forest. The unkillable Yi are wiped out. The wildfire slowly dies with them. Back home, Dong-su uploads the footage to YouTube. Within 5 minutes, it crosses 400,000 views. At the end of the video, Dong-su adds a clip with text. It announces that Suho has departed for England to save humanity. Shortly after, Hiroshi's girlfriend spots the video online. Since sneaking into the country, the two of them have been searching for Suho non-stop. But based on the video, Suho is already gone. Hiroshi completely loses it. He assumes Suho found out about him and is deliberately hiding. He even convinces himself Suho isn't ready to fight him. Then I'll just have to force him into the ring. Just like he dealt with the 7 evils, he will kill Suho. Meanwhile, Suho is exhausted to the breaking point. He's been flying for a long time, and he still hasn't reached England. With only 60 seconds left before Beast Shift wears off, he suddenly notices he's unlocked a fire attribute ability. Several skills are available for purchase in the system store. They must have unlocked when he put out that wildfire. He passed out from exhaustion back then and missed the system notification entirely. Down in the forest below, 2 hunters are chasing a cow. They open fire with their machine guns, and every bullet finds its mark, right in the cow's backside. Intense searing pain floods its body in an instant. Then a dark shape drops out of the sky. The 2 hunters watch in disbelief as it crashes down onto the cow like a thunderbolt. With a massive crash, the cow flips completely upside down, all 4 legs in the air. The hunters are left completely dumbfounded. This is absolutely insane. Shaken as they are, they steel themselves and move in to investigate. But then a burst of energy explodes from the crater, and they freeze. What on earth is this thing? After a brief exchange, Suho learns that the younger hunter is Chio Lin, and the older one is Zhang Song. They're in Sinuiju. Just a short way ahead lies the Yalu River. When they find out Suho is a wandering awakener, both men go on guard immediately. Zhang Song makes it clear that cow is their lifeline, and Suho needs to stay out of it. Suho just shrugs it off and ignores them. Right now, he needs to confirm he's been heading in the right direction. But his bloodstone phone is smashed. Left with no other option, he goes back to the 2 hunters. They're busy butchering the cow. When Suho asks to borrow a phone, Chio Lin blurts out that there's one back at their village, but Zhang Song cuts him off immediately. Their village had been raided by wandering awakeners before. An outsider like Suho is the last person they'd trust, but Suho has never been one for social niceties. Fighting is all he knows. He hoists the entire cow over his head and offers to carry it back to their village, in exchange for using the phone. The 2 men are at a complete loss. Anyone who can lift a cow like that is not someone they can fight, but if they don't bring back the cow, the elderly and children in their village will go hungry. Zhang Song makes a hard call. He'd rather lose the cow than lead this stranger back to their home. If Suho turns out to be a raider, they're done for. His plan, jump on the motorbike, ditch Suho, and find food somewhere else. But Suho assumes they're leading him to the village, and casually catches up to the motorbike with the cow still on his back. The 2 men are utterly stunned. There's no shaking this guy. With no other choice, they bring him along. But when they arrive, the village gate has been destroyed. Injured villagers come running toward them, telling Zhang Song that a winged monster just attacked the village and snatched He Yon. Zhang Song's face goes pale. The moment he learns which direction the monster flew, he jumps on the motorbike and tears off after it. Then Chio Lin drops to his knees in front of Suho. He begs him to help. He knows full well their village stands no chance against a monster like that. Suho sighs but agrees. One condition though, when he gets back he gets to use that phone. With that, lightning crackles around his entire body. In an instant he transforms. The villagers watch as he shoots up into the sky, every face stunned. Chio Lin, who is this guy? Chio Lin stares up at the sky, jaw open. He said he's an awakener from Korea, the king of animals. Elsewhere, a group of hunters are locked in a brutal fight with a black bear. These are the village's awakeners, all 4 of them. They set out to rescue Hee-yeon but ran straight into this bear on the way. This is no ordinary bear, it's an awakened beast. Ordinary people are like helpless prey in front of it. Even awakeners aren't guaranteed to walk away in one piece. Sure enough, one of them takes a brutal hit. The leader is starting to panic. If they keep this up, everyone dies here. Just as hope begins to fade, a hurricane comes crashing down from above. Suho lifts his leg and delivers one single kick, and the bear goes down on the spot. Everyone stares in shock. When did people start falling from the sky with wings? Suho says calmly that Chio Lin sent him to rescue a little girl. He asks if any of them know where she was taken. The leader is Jong Min. Looks like he and Jong Song might be related. He tells Suho the mountaintop is the wyvern's nest, but as for exactly where the girl is, no idea. Suho spots the injured hunter and pulls out a vial of potion without hesitation. Then the bear suddenly explodes back to life and lunges at Suho from behind. Suho glances back and throws a back kick without even turning around. Hands in his pockets, he follows up with a rapid-fire series of kicks. The bear crumples to the ground. Suho nudges it with his foot. Stop playing dead, open your eyes and come with me. The bear opens its eyes. A moment later, an exclamation mark appears above its head. It sits up like a tame dog. Nothing like the ferocious beast from moments ago. The hunters behind them are floored. Did he just tame it? Suho names it Big Bear. After taming it, Suho learns Big Bear was once king of this mountain, until the wyvern stole its territory and wounded its pride. No wonder it was so furious. Well, if you know where the wyvern is, lead the way. Big Bear lets out a roar as if answering. Jong Song arrives on his motorbike. Suho gives him a cool glance. All of you stay here. I'll get the girl back. And don't forget, I'm borrowing that phone when I return. With that, he charges off with Big Bear at his side. Everyone watches the pair disappear into the distance, completely speechless. Just what kind of person is he? Up in the cave at the mountain summit, the wyvern lets out a series of thunderous roars. Beneath its feet lies a heap of bones. Little Hee-yeon is huddled in a corner, trembling. Tears stream down her face as she cries out for her father. The wyvern, busy feeding, grows irritated by the noise. It snaps a roar in her direction, but at that very moment, a massive silhouette appears at the cave entrance. Wyvern and bear lock eyes. Old enemies. One look, and the air between them burns. They charge at each other, but this time a golden eagle soars behind Big Bear. A blinding flash of light erupts. As Suho activates his fusion skill, his arms transform into massive bear paws. The wyvern clamps its jaws around one of them, but the other crashes down like a wrecking ball. The wyvern recoils in pain and releases its bite. Suho wraps both arms around it, then hurls it with everything he has. The wyvern tumbles toward the cliff's edge, scrambles to grab the rock face, and beats its wings to steady itself. But Suho doesn't press the attack. He turns to Hee-yeon with a gentle voice. Stay right here and be good. I'll deal with the wyvern first, then come back for you. On the other side, the wyvern has barely hauled itself back up the cliff when Suho comes swinging in. From what he's observed, the wyvern's dimensional essence exceeds his own. He's not sure if his taming skill will work under these conditions. Then a system message flashes before him. To tame a wyvern. If the beast's dimensional essence exceeds the tamer's by more than 100%, bring its HP below 10% before attempting to tame. Suho's eyes light up. Tame the wyvern and he gets a flying mount. But just then, his expression twists. His strikes begin spiraling out of control. Wild, unrestrained, far too powerful. Big Bear is still seething over the wyvern stealing its territory. And as an awakened beast, Big Bear's emotions are not easy for Suho to keep in check. Massive blows keep raining down on the wyvern. Suho shouts, "Stop! You're going to kill it." One final punch sends the wyvern off the cliff. Suho instantly deactivates the fusion skill and recalls Big Bear to the beast farm. He dives after the wyvern at full speed, watching its HP drain before his eyes. Finally, when the wyvern's HP hits 9%, his taming skill activates. He immediately follows up with his healing skill, mending the wyvern's wounds. HP restored to 99%. Wounds healed to 99%. The wyvern opens its eyes once more. Suho calls to it and the wyvern turns sharply. Suho lands squarely on its back. At last, he has a flying mount. Cut to nightfall. The whole village has gathered at the entrance. Hee-yeon still hasn't shown up. She must not have made it. Then a wyvern's cry splits the sky. The villagers raise their weapons. Jong Min stops them. He spots 2 figures on the wyvern's back. Sure enough, it's Suho and Hee-yeon. At the sight of his daughter safe and sound, Jong Song nearly drops to his knees in front of Suho. That night, everyone gathers around the campfire sharing the beef. Since being tamed, the wyvern has become completely gentle. Children climb all over it, and it doesn't even flinch. Through its memories, Suho learns that this wyvern was born weak. It survived only because it fell behind and was left for dead. It escaped, but barely, starving the whole time. It only truly survived after crossing the border into Big Bear's territory. A few drinks in, and the conversation starts to flow. Jong Min tells Suho that after the Great Calamity, warlords rose to power and factions began preying on one another. A fight they they could barely win even united, now fractured beyond recognition. Against monsters that never stop coming, how is anyone supposed to hold the line? The weight of it drove many to flee to the neighboring country. Their group once had over 400 people. After 2.5 years, only 60 remain. Suho asks quietly, everyone runs to the neighboring country. Is it actually safe there? Jungmin shakes his head. Nowhere is safe anymore. That country is just vast, which means more beasts and more dungeons than back home. Refugees arrive there with no connections and no shared language. Life is hard, but in this dying world, staying alive is the only hope they have. Listening to him, Suho finds himself thinking back to what Misuk once told him, that as monsters claimed more of the world, the outlands would keep expanding, and one day his territory would need to take in refugees from the north. She wasn't wrong. He needs to get to the bottom of all this, and fast. Jungsong pulls out a bloodstone phone. Suho checks the functions and navigation. Everything works. He decides to head for England overnight. Time is running out. Before leaving, he leaves them with a large handful of bloodstones, hoping it helps them get through what's ahead. He mounts the wyvern and says his goodbyes. What remains to be seen is whether this journey will finally unlock the secrets he carries. On the way to England, Suho cuts through wave after wave of monsters from the wyvern's back, almost as an afterthought. But every single time, the paparazzi are right there to catch it all. His fame explodes overnight. Suddenly, everyone knows his name. Hiroshi, who has wanted Suho dead for some time, can no longer hold back. He steps in front of the cameras and throws down a challenge, a fight to the death, with rank and fate both on the line. Reporters are puzzled. Why would the world's top-ranked hunter be so fixated on Suho? Facing the cameras, Hiroshi claims the fight is to expose Suho as a fraud. Everything in those videos, he says, is just special effects manufactured by Korea to build his image. That's exactly the play. Force Suho into the ring through public pressure, then finish him there. Dong-soo watches the news with a can of cola, shaking his head. Some people really don't know when to be afraid. But Hiroshi's challenge gets no response, because Suho is busy taking photos with a Russian president. Junho and Dong-soo see the news and have no words. This guy really has no worries. But the director of the Awakener Bureau is anything but calm, calling Junho almost every single day. But ever since Suho's phone broke, he's gone completely off the grid. The phone he got from the village head was only used for navigation and maps. He never once called home. Junho and Dong-soo have no way to reach him. The reason the director is so anxious is the emergence of a rank 7 dungeon. 60% of Korea's population has expressed fear, and many want Suho's territory, officially designated as Zone 13. If that designation goes through, people from all over the world will find ways to migrate there. The director had already told Junho they want to build walls around Suho's territory, in exchange for agreeing to Zone 13 status. The guild's taxes would be waived, and military units would be dispatched to handle minor dungeons within the territory. It sounds like a great deal for the guild, but Junho didn't agree, because the director also said, if a rank 7 dungeon appears in Korea, Suho's team would be deployed as a vanguard unit. Junho can't make that call. It's trading lives for wealth and status. Under the current circumstances, it's not the right move. And thinking about all this just reminds him of that brother of his, off somewhere taking photos without a care in the world. Meanwhile, in a ruined city somewhere in England, a red car is speeding through the wreckage. Inside is Dr. Tordler, the very man Suho has been looking for. But right now, a pack of stone Goliaths is hot on his tail. The moment Suho gets his location, he arrives on the wyvern at full speed. Combining fire attribute and wind attribute, Suho unleashes the fire cyclone. The fearsome stone Goliaths don't stand a chance. Watching Suho take them down with ease, the doctor can't help pulling out his phone to film it all, especially seeing the wyvern up close. He can barely contain himself. My God! To tell Suho's wyvern apart from others, the Russians had a master artist paint markings onto it. After a brief conversation, Suho recalls the wyvern to the beast farm. He tells Dr. Tordler that he came to find answers, secrets about himself that he needs to uncover. The two get into the car and head toward the research facility. The whole way there, the doctor fires off questions like an excited child. When they reach a large bridge, the doctor is still rambling. Suho's expression sharpens. He tells him to watch the road. Suddenly, massive waves erupt from beneath the bridge. An enormous whale bursts through, snapping the bridge clean in two. Suho sees it's a C-rank beast, but its HP is already dangerously low. Beneath it, countless octopus tentacles reach out from the water, and then a massive shark erupts from the surface. The doctor gasps, "This is the monster that's been blocking the shipping lanes, a shark-octopus hybrid." Nearby, a squad of fully armed soldiers is on the water hunting the shark-octopus hybrid. Then the Muscle Queen and a bald soldier at the rear of the squad spot the red pickup. "Isn't that Dr. Tordler's car? He's going to fall." The Muscle Queen dives into the water, searches through the wreckage, and finds the red pickup, but it's empty. Meanwhile, the shark-octopus hybrid is still chasing the whale. The whale launches itself upward in a massive leap, rocketing out of the water and into the air. Suho and the doctor are clinging to its fin. The shark-octopus hybrid launches after them, jaws wide open, waiting for them to fall straight in. But before the whale even comes back down, Suho's fire cyclone tears through the hybrid. One move, instant grilled fish. The doctor is completely blown away. Watching elemental skills unleashed from this close, it's unlike anything he's ever seen. With the shark-octopus hybrid defeated, Suho unlocks the water attribute, and the whale is successfully tamed. The next day, the two return to the doctor's home. They sit by the sea over coffee, talking casually. Toddler tells Suho he's still not over what he saw yesterday. No awakener in recorded history has ever possessed both taming and elemental control at the same time. He's desperate to understand how Suho does it, and Suho has just as many questions of his own. How does the dimensional essence detector work? Why does he always feel like something is watching him every time it's used? And the one planet he once visited, so many things he still doesn't understand. Why did that planet transform into dungeons of all sizes? What happened to all the creatures that once lived there? And why hasn't he aged in 1,000 years? How is he still alive? The doctor listens to this flood of questions and feels his head start to spin. It sounds like your questions are very close to what I've been researching lately. In that case, come with me to my secret lab. Inside the facility, Suho is stunned to find words he once carved into a stone wall, right here in the lab. Damn it. Those were just some words he scrawled when he was lonely and longing for a woman. Are these scientists out of their minds? Toddler is intrigued by the writings. He tells Suho that over the past few weeks, the same writings have been appearing inside other dungeons across the world. Suho's stomach drops. Misuk had told him, coordinate portals only open near returnees. So why are his words showing up in completely different dungeons? Could it be because these aren't newly formed planets? He asks Toddler where exactly these writings have been found. All over the world, Toddler says. Different times, different dungeon ranks. He doesn't know why, but he's certain it connects to the theory of dungeon origins. He hopes Suho will help him find out. Suho feels like banging his head against a wall. He came all this way to England, and the man knows nothing. Then Toddler says he has something to show him. After some rummaging, he produces a stone. He tells Suho it's a memory stone, and asks him to close his eyes and touch it. Suho does. The next moment, countless eyes watching him. The exact same feeling he gets from the dimensional essence detector. Toddler tells him the detector is made from this very stone. When the Great Calamity struck, these stones fell from the sky. After years of research, he discovered they could be used to build remarkable devices. He reaches over and picks up a small box. He asks Suho to place his hand on it. Instantly, Suho's dimensional essence reading appears on the screen. A portable dimensional essence detector. Then Toddler brings out another box. He tells Suho this is his latest invention, set to be unveiled tomorrow. It measures the human body's biological stats, such as muscle strength and reaction speed. It clicks for Suho, so no one on Earth can actually see another person's stats, except him. Toddler asks Suho to try this one too. This time, no numbers appear. Instead, sparks start crackling from the device, followed by a system error. Toddler is baffled. It worked perfectly yesterday. What's going on? He quickly calls his assistant to cancel the launch event and gets ready to fix the machine. He apologizes he won't be able to stay with Suho today. He'll have his assistant show him around. Suho nods, then asks one last question. Where did these stones come from? Toddler tells him, ore from planet Aruka. Meanwhile, back at Suho's territory, Junho's son is playing in the mud with a few little bald-headed kids. Suddenly, a dark figure approaches, gripping a blood-stained blade. A little kid playing with monks? You must be John Woo, planet Aruka, a world of elves. There, memory stones are far more common than one might think. If bloodstones are batteries, memory stones are communication devices. High elves use them to communicate across planets. Suho falls quiet, deep in thought. Toddler continues. What he's been working toward is building a communication network on Earth that mirrors what the High Elves use, and then constructing a physical transit network, connecting portals directly to Earth. He tells Suho that High Elves can use memory stones to view another being's dimensional essence level and primary abilities. Suho's expression goes dark. The ability to read another person's stats? Isn't that exactly what he can do? Does he have a memory stone inside his body? While he's still processing this, the system panel in front of him suddenly blurs, and a system error chime follows a moment later. Suho is caught completely off guard. What just happened? Toddler says he needs to get back to fixing the machine, and excuses himself. He'll send the assistant over shortly. Suho wanders through the lab, taking in the research around him. Then he spots those writings again. God, that's embarrassing. If only he could take them back. But thinking about it now, Planet Aruka is a name he's never heard before. Maybe the High Elves know what's been watching him. Maybe they even know the secrets of the dungeons. It's settled. He needs to visit Planet Aruka. The assistant walks over. He tells Suho to call him William. Anything about the facility, just ask. Suho says he wants to go somewhere. He points to a dungeon on a nearby screen. He wants to take a look inside. William tells him that's Portal 101. Located on the south side of London, the 11th Infantry Brigade's operational zone. He asks if Suho wants to enter the dungeon. Suho nods. Back in his room, Toddler returns with the detector. The error is still bothering him. It worked fine for him, but the moment Suho touched it, it failed. Then a tall, powerfully built figure walks in. It's the Muscle Queen, Davina. The first thing out of her mouth is asking where Suho went. Toddler explains he had something urgent to deal with and sent his assistant. He pulls out the detector and asks Davina to test it. Davina places her hand on it with obvious curiosity. Results come up normal. Muscle strength 839. Agility 159. Davina grins and flexes, clearly pleased. Toddler tells her she really is in a league of her own. Davina just shrugs it off. Her target is 4 digits. Toddler does a double take. He starts typing rapidly. The detector's current maximum is 999. Could Suho's physical stats actually be 4 digits? If that's true, just how terrifying is his body? So Suho arrives at Portal 101 in London, led there by William. England operates differently from other countries. They prefer hunting monsters outside dungeons, capturing them through paralysis, then selling them to research firms. It's It's just the norm here. But Suho doesn't care about any of that. He's here for one reason, to see the writings he left behind. At the entrance, William tells Suho the company has arranged a team of A-rank hunters from the strike team to support him. The team leader, Robert, steps forward to introduce himself, but Suho walks right past him. Total overkill in his opinion. He tells William no one follows him in, and he steps inside. William freezes. That's a rank 5 dungeon. He tries to stop him, but there's no time. Then Davina shows up. After giving Robert a hard time, she notices William looking miserable. She asks what's wrong. William says Suho went into the rank 5 dungeon alone. He tried to stop him, but it happened so fast. If something goes wrong, is he going to get fired? Davina bursts out laughing. Is that all? You clearly don't know him well enough. Come on, let's wait at the pink ice cream shop. But the words barely leave her mouth when a flash of light erupts behind them. They turn around. Suho is already walking out. Everyone present is stunned. How long was he even in there? He cleared a rank 5 dungeon just like that. Is he even human? Davina, on the other hand, doesn't look the least bit surprised. She goes up to greet him warmly. One look at her arms and Suho remembers she was the muscle queen out on the water. Just then a shout comes from behind. Look out! A fire attribute monster just escaped from the dungeon. A wild boar with blood-red eyes comes barreling out of the portal. Davina snaps. You little monster, don't you dare charge at my beloved ice cream shop. Absolutely unforgivable. Her fist, the size of a cooking pot, meets the charging boar head-on. One punch. The boar's eyes nearly pop out of its head. Suho watches and gives a nod of genuine respect. Davina walks over and extends her hand. She's wanted to meet him for a long time. From the day she watched him take down the shark-octopus hybrid, she knew they were cut from the same cloth. She tells him her muscles? She owes them to him. Suho looks confused, so she explains. All this muscle was built with bananas. She once saw a drawing Suho carved into a cave wall, a figure hanging from a tree, training with an enormous banana. Most people mocked it, but she got it. She worked on a banana farm, so she started training exactly like that. She even pulls out photos from back then to show him. Listening to her, Suho's mind drifts back to that ancient time, a cave drawing the whole world laughed at, and it changed someone's life. That alone is enough. This friendship is sealed. Davina says she wants to see him use dimensional essence with her own eyes. Suho gives a small smile. Sure, see you inside. William watches the two of them walk into the dungeon and looks absolutely horrified. I'm just a regular employee. Please don't get me fired. After becoming friends, Suho and Davina tear through dungeon after dungeon. 15 rank 5 dungeons cleared in just 40 minutes. Beyond the Awakener Bureau extending its goodwill, the Queen of England herself grants Suho a knighthood. Watching the news online, the director feels a headache coming on. After everything invested in Suho, the man goes and makes headlines in another country, and still not a single call home, and a rank 7 dungeon is right around the corner. The director sighs. If only he could clone 100 Awakeners with Suho's strength. Mi-suk, watching him stress, says she'll figure something out. She tells him, Suho just hasn't been online yet. Once he sees what Hiroshi has been doing, he'll come running back without anyone needing to ask. Back in England to celebrate the dungeon clearances, the Queen holds a banquet in Suho's honor. At the banquet, Davina asks if Suho has ever met Sylvia. Suho says the name doesn't ring a bell. Davina is surprised. The #1 beast tamer in the world, and Suho's never heard of her? She tells him Sylvia is a friend, and she's not the only one. Plenty of beast tamers want to meet him, because in their eyes, he's the dragon rider. No beast tamer in the world has ever tamed a wyvern. Suho shrugs. It wasn't that hard. Then Davina shifts her tone and urges Suho not to accept Hiroshi's challenge. Suho looks puzzled. Who's Hiroshi? Davina can barely believe it. Do you ever go online? She pulls out her phone and shows him. She tells him, stay far away from this man. On the surface, he's the world's top-ranked hunter, a hero in the public eye. In reality, he's a psychotic killer. She once tried to get close to him, not knowing what he was really like. He went for the kill on the spot. She rolls up her sleeve, revealing the scars on her arm. 8 major surgeries, she tells him. All because of Hiroshi. She studied his fight videos since then. There are people who surrendered, and he killed them anyway. In her view, he doesn't fight to win. He fights because he enjoys killing. Suho is puzzled. Why would someone like that come after him? Then he sees a news headline on the phone. Hiroshi attacked his territory. Suho's expression hardens. He calls home immediately. Junho sounds exhausted. Suho hasn't called once since he left. When Hiroshi showed up, he said if Suho wasn't handed over, he'd kill everyone. The 2 wolves out on patrol, he killed them. Suho goes still. Why didn't the system notify him when the wolves died? He checks. No signal. Of course. That system error earlier must have caused it. But when his companions were being attacked, what were the others doing? Were they locked to their assigned zones? Suho takes it out on Junho. Junho is close to tears. Hiroshi is the world champion. What were they supposed to do? Suho hangs up in a rage. One thought burns in his mind. When I get back, I'm going to train all of you into the ground. Suho says goodbye to Davina and asks her to pass his farewells on to Tordler and William. He moves to summon the wyvern, but no matter what he does, the system doesn't respond. In another room, Tordler watches Suho on a large screen and chuckles to himself. I was hoping to keep you around a little longer. Such a shame, all because Davina had to open her mouth. No need to worry, it'll wear off soon enough. Suho's status panel shows a countdown. When it finally hits 0, the system comes back online. Staring at the names of the dead gray wolves, Suho's face twists with grief and rage. Sonoda Hiroshi, I will tear you apart piece by piece. It turns out the stone Tordler gave Suho was actually a synthetic mineral, a fusion of memory stone and Aruka ore. Through his research on Suho, Tordler discovered that Suho commands 3 elemental affinities, earth, wind, and fire, and that his method of activating dimensional essence is nearly identical to the elves of planet Aruka. The error in Suho's system panel started the moment he touched that stone. A mineral of that size causes roughly 24 hours of system failure upon contact. During that window, every dimensional essence skill is completely unavailable. After Suho leaves, Reynolds, director of the British intelligence agency, calls Davina and tells her to bring back the recorded footage of Suho's fight. He then calls Dr. Tordler, asking whether the test was a success. Tordler confirms it. The results matched his predictions exactly. The stone works on planet Aruka's elves just as well. A greedy smile spreads across Reynolds' face. It's time to put those arrogant elves in their place. Tordler feels uneasy. After all, the elves had shared a wealth of otherworld technology with them, but Reynolds brushes it off. In this world, there are no permanent allies. The elves of planet Aruka could change their stance at any moment. With awakener crime rates climbing across the globe, the day will come when humanity cuts ties with planet Aruka for good. An age where rank is power is coming. They need to find a way to control the elves before that day arrives. With that, Reynolds hangs up. Listening to the dial tone, Tordler frowns. Reynolds isn't wrong. The issue, however, is that Suho's physical stats hover around 8,000. Even with the synthetic mineral, can they really stop a monster at that level? Meanwhile, Junho and the others are gathered around together. The moment they see Suho's message, their faces fall, like students who'd completely forgotten their homework. While Suho was away, they had completely let themselves go. Training hadn't crossed any of their minds. Even Myungjin the monk had snuck off to a bar. Dong-su is already on the verge of tears. What does this have to do with us? That's Sonoda Hiroshi, world champion. Are we supposed to just throw ourselves at him head on? At that very moment, the TV cuts to footage, the exact encounter they had with Hiroshi. They all freeze. Holy crap! They called us trash on live TV. Is Korea seriously going to let this slide? Junho sniffles. There's nothing we can do now. Our dignity is already gone. Let's just wait for Suho to handle it. Myungjin suggests they lie low somewhere until things settle down. Sonoda had made his threat clear. If Suho didn't show his face within 10 days, he'd come back and finish what he started. Jiangwu can't hold back. That was absolutely humiliating, he mutters. They couldn't even lift a finger against Sonoda. Dong-su admits that if they'd fought back that day, they'd probably be dead. Myungjin nods along. Restraint was the right call. After a while of chattering back and forth, Dong-su asks Junho how his son is doing. Junho shrugs. He's fine. Since that day, he's just been locked in his room watching TV, which is actually a relief. Keeps him out of trouble. What no one expects, though, is that Jianwu has been watching nothing but Sonoda's fight footage on a loop, and like someone under a spell, he has made Sonoda his idol. Meanwhile, wyvern wings stretch wide over the skies of Tokyo, a dark cloud descending on the city. Sonoda Hiroshi, show yourself, coward. Come out and die. The commanding voice echoes through every street below. Civilians scatter in every direction, overcome with panic. Word spreads fast, and the Japan Awakener Bureau rushes to the scene. Leading the response is Jae-dawa Guan, currently ranked 15th among all Awakeners worldwide. At the same time, Japan's tanks and missile systems are brought online, all of them targeting Suho. Inside the command center of Japan's Esper Authority, two senior officials stare at the surveillance feed. They are Chief Daigo and Defense Minister Kurosawa. Daigo looks uneasy. After all, Suho is exactly the kind of person they've been trying to recruit. But Kurosawa couldn't care less. This is the perfect opportunity to get a real look at what Suho is capable of. Zhuaguan steps forward to face Suho. His expression is dead serious. Mr. Suho, you are suspected of illegal entry, disturbing public order, inciting mass panic, and multiple violations of civil law. I am placing you under formal arrest. Suho barely glances at him. Damn, do you ever stop talking? Are you Hiroshi? No? Then get out of my way. The onlookers are left speechless. Nobody has ever seen someone this bold. Zhuaguan's expression darkens. You've got some nerve. Two crimson magic circles materialize in his hands. Dark red energy surges towards Suho and wraps around his body, locking him in place. Zhuaguan charges forward with a grin. Don't struggle. The more you move, the tighter my binding gets. Starting now, you're coming with me by force. He leaps into the air, fist flying straight at Suho's face. The crowd erupts. In their eyes, Suho is already a lamb waiting to be slaughtered. But the moment he gets close, a brutal gust of force slams into his face. With a thunderous crack, Suho shatters the energy binding and drives his fist straight into Zhuaguan's face, sending him flying. Zhuaguan scrambles to stop himself, staring at Suho in disbelief. What just happened? Why is my face on fire? Suho gives a cold smirk. Not bad. When your territory is threatened, you should fight back with everything you've got. Shame you're just too weak. The wyvern lets out a thunderous roar, its crushing pressure washing over the entire area. Jiaguan wipes the blood from his nose with a strained look. A dragon rider lives up to the legend, I'll give you that. Suho shows him no mercy. Then you know what to do. Get lost and bring me Sonoda Hiroshi. But Jiaguan refuses to back down and charges again, magic blazing. Predictably, things go very wrong for him. Suho, now genuinely irritated, activates Wind Vortex. Zhuaguan spins like a top, completely at the mercy of the vortex. With a casual flick of his hand, Suho sends Zhuaguan rocketing into a nearby building like a rubber ball, only for him to bounce straight into another one. The crowd and the entire Esper Authority team stand frozen in shock. This is the world's 15th ranked Awakener. How is he getting demolished demolished this easily. Suho has had enough. He rises to his full height and bellows. The wyvern beneath him erupts in flames. I'm here for Sonoda Hiroshi, not you weaklings. Bring him to me, or I swear nothing within 1 kilometer will be left alive. Pure panic ripples through the crowd. If the 15th ranked awakener got dropped in one punch, who in the world can stop this man? Then a broad-shouldered man steps forward. Suho gives him a quick glance, and is surprised to find he's just an ordinary person. Suho asks if he's here to stop him. The man introduces himself. His name is Jongju, and he's the security guard for this district. He's here to ask Suho to stand down. Suho has no interest in killing an ordinary man. 2,800 a month, is that really worth your life? But Jongju tells him, Sonoda can't come right now. He's inside a rank 7 dungeon. He should be out in about 10 days. Suho lets out a short, sharp laugh. Someone who needs 10 days to clear a dungeon thinks he can challenge me? How pathetic. Jongju stands there at a loss for words. That's a rank 7 dungeon he's talking about. Suho sees his expression and lets it go. 10 days it is, I'll wait. He turns to Jongju. Tell him this, Sonoda Hiroshi. Only the lowest kind of thief sneaks into a den and steals the cubs while the alpha is out hunting. With that, Suho mounts his wyvern and shoots into the sky. Back at the Esper Authority, a few hotheads are still pushing to go after him. But Kurosawa sees the situation clearly. With what strength are they supposed to stop that man? Meanwhile, the media is already running the story. Junho and the others see the news and crack open beers, cheering as Suho reclaims their honor. But then, out of nowhere, a chill runs down all their spines. A flash of light outside the window, and then Jian Wu's voice rings out. Uncle Suho, you're back. Dad and the others are in the conference room, drinking beer and watching TV. Every single one of them breaks into a cold sweat. The door crashes open, and Suho stands in the doorway, his expression dark as a storm cloud. Looks like everyone had a great time while I was gone. Meanwhile, inside a government conference room in Korea, department heads from every agency are packed in, arguing heatedly over what to do about Suho. The room is divided. One side argues that Suho provoked Japan on foreign soil and is stirring up an international incident. The other side fires back that Sonoda started it, and Korea had every right to respond. Even the president has no clean answer. Regardless of who started it, Suho going on a rampage in Japan would spark a full diplomatic crisis. He's considering handing Suho over to Japan, but the Awakener Bureau director disagrees. He believes this is all a Japanese trap. It's always been their way. This time, they're likely using this incident as a pretext, pushing Korea to hand Suho over so Japan can keep him for themselves. Because after careful investigation, the Bureau has determined that Suho's power belongs to an elemental magic system, one that only high-ranking elves can normally wield, which means he may possess the ability to create food. The room goes silent. If the director's analysis is correct, Korea could become the new alternative to planet Aruka itself, effectively the food hub of the entire world. This man must stay in Korea. That is non-negotiable. After the meeting, the director sends Mi-suk to find Suho. She arrives with Max, a representative from the arena circuit. She lays it out plainly. If Suho wants to settle things with Sonoda, the arena is the best way to do it. It prevents a war between two nations and comes with a very generous prize. That gets Suho thinking. Earth has its own rules. He can afford to defy them and make enemies of the whole world, but his family can't. If there's a legal way to destroy Sonoda, why refuse? He turns to Max. Can I kill him in the ring? Both Mi-suk and Max go stiff. Max manages to explain that technically deaths in the ring don't lead to charges, but that's not exactly what they encourage. Suho smiles calmly. Good enough, set it up. After Max leaves, Mi-suk pulls out a file. She informs him that the Awakener Bureau has officially upgraded his guild to rank 6 and is granting them a new territory. From this point forward, Suho's guild territory will be designated as District 13 by the Korean government. When the news reaches the rest of the crew, they're all against it. New territory means moving. Junho thinks they're being used by the Bureau, but Suho agrees because his beast farm needs room to grow. He plans to set up the main base in Namyang, then expand from there. Dong-su lights up immediately. If we're setting up branches, does that mean I get to be a district lord? That fires up the others too. They're all suddenly very interested. Listening to the chatter, Suho's jaw tightens. You lot couldn't even hold down the fort at home, and you're talking about being district lords? Get your asses back in the dungeon and train. Right then, Jang-woo pulls out his phone. Sonoda's out. 8 days. That's all it took Sonoda to clear a rank 7 dungeon, and he's already fired back at Suho through the media, vowing to show him what a real fighter looks like. Suho reads the headline, and a slow, dangerous smile crosses his face. Good. Start counting your days. Meanwhile, Sonoda's girlfriend hacks into the Korea Awakener Bureau's database. When she pulls up Suho's file and sees the words, 1,000-year returnee, she goes pale with shock. She brings the news straight to Sonoda. He doesn't buy it. How could any person live that long? But she's done her research. She tells him that there is a fruit called the Crimson Spirit Fruit. Once every 1,000 years, it blooms on one planet in the universe and vanishes 10 days later. And that very fruit was the first thing Suho ate when he arrived in the other world. It grants immortality, but Sonoda couldn't care less about the details. Anyone who gets in the way of his plan is dead. What he doesn't know is that the power he takes such pride in is nothing more than an ant standing before Suho. After accepting Sonoda's arena challenge, the day of the fight arrives quickly. Suho descends onto the ring, riding his wyvern, and calls out Sonoda's name for all to hear. The crowd ignites. Sonoda refuses to be outdone, making his own entrance with equal flair. The two men lock eyes. Sonoda gives a sly smirk. Before they fight, he says, there are a few things he needs to confirm. He demands to know, is Suho a doomsday survivor? does he carry a regression stone? And how many years back can his regression stone take him? Suho stares at him. What the hell is wrong with you? But Sonoda is convinced Suho is playing dumb. He firmly believes Suho is a returnee from the future. Dark energy pours off his twin blades. If you won't talk, I'll beat the answers out of you. Sonoda charges, dual swords raised, but a split second later, to everyone's utter disbelief, Suho's fist connects squarely with Sonoda's face. One casual punch sends him flying several meters back, just one punch, and Sonoda is flat on the ground, unable to get up. Suho rolls his wrist and walks toward him slowly. Stop playing dead. I haven't even tried yet. Sonoda's body trembles. The blow wasn't lethal, but his head is ringing like a bell. He forces himself upright, blood coating his mouth, staring down Suho's contempt. He charges again in a rage. History repeats itself. A bone-hard fist cracks into his face, followed by a charged, devastating haymaker. Suho roars and unleashes a tornado. Before Sonoda can react, the world is spinning around him. Suho leaps into the air, flame energy gathering in his hands. Fire Spirit Barrage activated. A storm of fireballs rains down on Sonoda. This is no longer a fight. It's a one-sided slaughter. The arena commentator has run out of words. On the ring, Suho grabs Sonoda by the throat and hoists him up. I know you're still alive. Open your eyes. I have questions. And he's right. Suho can see Sonoda's stats. He's not dead yet, but he's close. Let me ask you something. Why did you come after me? Sonoda lets out a broken laugh. Because I want you dead. Even as he speaks, Sonoda's health bar begins to spike, his eyes burning red. Because of you, 500 years of planning have gone up in smoke. Sonoda's power keeps surging. Suho has no idea what's happening to him, and Sonoda's words make absolutely no sense to him. Then it happens. A violent burst of crimson energy explodes from Sonoda's body. He transforms completely, a towering red creature with horns. Face God's wrath. This is the descent of the demon. It turns out Sonoda had secretly downed the fiend's elixir earlier, and now savage energy surges through every part of him. Sonoda lets out a sinister laugh, his full power unleashing all at once. The audience is stunned, and then their expressions freeze forever. The blood-red energy shatters the arena's protective barrier in an instant. Everyone in the arena gets a one-way ticket straight to the afterlife. In the arena's broadcast room, Kurosawa of Japan's Esper Authority watches the footage with an amused grin. Fiend's elixir? I didn't expect that. It seems Sonoda picked up some interesting tricks on planet Guchon. Now, with the arena at the center, everything around it is nothing but rubble. Almost no one in the stand survives. Even Sonoda's girlfriend backstage doesn't escape. The shockwave knocks her unconscious. Sonoda now resembles a true demon. The move he just unleashed was his ultimate technique, God's wrath. The only reason he had to summon the demon to channel it was because a human body simply cannot contain that kind of power. What a waste. He'd been saving this for the rank 8 dungeon boss, the Toad Lord. He never imagined a single human would push him this far. But then Sonoda's brow furrows. Not far away, Suho is slowly walking out of the rubble, green light particles drifting off his body. That was quite a bang you made. Had me going for a second. Sonoda stares in complete disbelief. He survived God's wrath, and his stats are still climbing. Sonoda panics. What is that on you? Is that a return artifact? Suho lets out a cold snort, killing intent radiating off him. I have no idea what this return business is, and what's on me is no artifact. It's a skill that fully restores my stamina and spirit energy in 5 seconds. Cold sweat breaks out across Sonoda's face. 5-second full recovery? That's literally cheating. He can't believe what he's seeing. Sonoda launches himself at Suho again in desperation. Suho finally gets a clear read on Sonoda's panel, hybrid, U-rank. He can't help but laugh. A U-rank monster this cocky? Seriously? One punch straight into Sonoda's face. Suho's patience is completely gone. His left hand fires off the tornado skill, and Suho roars, "You're saying I ruined 500 years of your plans? Then come kill me, let's see it." Sonoda's face contorts with fury as he struggles to block Suho's onslaught. Suddenly, a violet crystal appears in his hand. Sonoda bellows and a purple barrier erupts around him. "I worked for 500 years to get here, and you dare destroy it? This is unforgivable." Suho answers with a flying kick. This time Sonoda shifts to defense instead of offense. A barely visible smile tugs at the corner of his mouth. "Go ahead, show me everything you've got. When I return next time, every power you have will become mine. I'll consume even your soul." At that moment, a panel appears before Suho's eyes. Copying, 79%. Playing dirty? You picked the wrong man. Lightning explodes across Suho's fist. Sonoda's eyes go wide with fear. As Suho charges, he shifts mid-stride. Bear form. One punch. Gods and devils fall alike. Several of Sonoda's teeth shatter on impact. His body hurtles backward so fast that even the reinforced concrete wall can't stop him. He flies clean out of the arena like a deflected ball, and the demon transformation dissolves completely. Sonoda lies on the ground barely breathing, his once jet black hair now completely white. So close, just a little more time, and the cloning stone shattered as his consciousness begins to fade. Suho swoops down from above in winged form. "So, are you seeing things clearly now? The reason you've spent all this time and still couldn't save the Earth is simple. You're just too weak." Suho's words cut deeper than any blade. Sonoda's blood boils with helpless rage, but Suho doesn't give him the chance to respond. "Don't ever show your face in my territory again. Next time I see you, I'll put down this delusional paranoid myself." Back home, Choi Soo-young watches Suho defeat Sonoda on television and feels nothing but emptiness. The gap between them just keeps growing. She had once offered herself to him, her first time, and Suho turned her down. His reason? She was too weak. Her body couldn't withstand the power inside him. And now, to add to her frustration, there's a new story about Suho and Sophie getting cozy together. She mutters a quiet curse. What a jerk. Meanwhile, the fallout from the arena fight explodes across the media. Stories flood every platform. Sonoda's reputation crumbles overnight. The internet is a pile-on. When you're down, everyone lines up to kick you. After a full week unconscious, Sonoda jolts awake from a nightmare. He can't get Suho's terrifying face out of his mind. His girlfriend walks into the hospital room. The moment she sees him reaching for his phone, she snatches it away. She's worried he won't be able to handle the haters online. Sonoda waves her off. He just wants silence right now. After he watches her leave, he climbs out of bed and moves to the window. The street below is filled with people demanding justice. When he triggered that transformation without a second thought, everyone in the arena paid with their lives, and the public despises him for it. Sonoda stares at them with cold indifference, then turns back and opens his system panel. What a waste. If I had held on just a little longer, I could have copied everything Suho had. He raises his right hand. Regression stone. Activate. A swarm of miniature Earths materializes before the glowing red stone. This was the stone that had sent Sonoda back 20 years, but it's still in cooldown, at least 2.5 more years before it can be used again. I need to get it to level 3 as fast as possible. Then the door swings open. His former subordinates walk in. Leading them is Jace. He says the Esper Authority has summoned Sonoda. Sonoda is confused. He never received any notice. He asks why Grant and Wade came along too. They claim they also got the summons and just happened to run into each other on the way. Too much of a coincidence. Sonoda doesn't buy it for a second. He furrows his brow. He already has a pretty good idea how this ends. He tells them to step outside while he gets ready. Jace agrees and starts to head out, but Grant and Wade don't move. Jace, drop the act. He already knows. Sonoda gives a short, sardonic laugh. Smart people, all of you, but do you really think the three of you can take me? Jace doesn't want things to go sideways. Sonoda was his boss after all. He steps forward and explains, this is just a routine inquiry. Sonoda watches them with cold eyes, thinking someone from the Esper Authority must have spotted his dimensional pocket during the match. He calls it out directly. You're here for the regression stone, aren't you? Jace tries to deny it, but Wade lays all the cards on the table. While they're still arguing, violet energy floods the air around Sonoda. Do you have any idea how far over the line you've stepped? The others activate their skills to defend themselves. A thunderous explosion rocks the room. The two guards stationed outside rush in and find Sonoda in full Daemon form, holding Grant and Wade like ragdolls. Anyone moves, and I snap their necks. I may have taken a loss, but I am still something you could never look in the eye as equals. With the demon transformation active, no one dares move a muscle. Even heavily wounded, Sonoda is still far beyond anything this group can handle. When he learns the order came from Suzuki, director of the Esper Authority, Sonoda's mind goes calm. So Suzuki is a blood purity fanatic, a genuine fascist who has been waiting for this moment all along. He had been waiting for Sonoda's downfall all along. Sonoda lets out a low laugh. Every person in this room was blinded by that man's promises. I have watched Japan fall 25 times. I came here to use this land's strategic position to change that fate, but I forgot. Treachery and baseness run deep in the veins of this land. He turns to Jace. Does my girlfriend know about this? Jace trembles. She does. That's the last thing Sonoda needed to hear. Grant and Wade explode into a mist of blood. His eyes go dead cold as he stares down the remaining three. Your turn. Face my wrath. The news breaks fast. Sonoda has killed 2 S-rank hunters, left 3 critically wounded, and escaped. At Japan's Esper Authority, Suzuki stares out the window, seething. He never imagined his people would fold so completely. Not only did they fail to bring Sonoda in, they let him escape. But perhaps this works in his favor. He can use this to convince the Emperor, and use it as justification to purge every foreigner within Japan's borders. He calls in his aide and orders a press conference in 2 hours. On the other side of things, Suho returns home and gets to work building his territory. The Awakener Bureau has announced the development of District 13, and public confidence in the area is sky high. Some analysts are already predicting that District 13 will become the most expensive real estate on the planet. One day, Dong-Su is browsing the web when a headline catches his eye. Sonoda has killed multiple Awakeners. On top of that, Japan holds a press conference claiming Sonoda is a Korean spy planted on their soil. Wow, there is a lot going on here. But wait, has Sonoda really dropped off the radar? What if he comes here looking for revenge? The thought hits him like a truck, and he panics. He bolts out of his room to find Suho, but the moment he steps into the courtyard, a bolt of lightning crashes down from the sky. Workers come sprinting out of the forest in a panic. Dong-Su freezes. Is that maniac actually here? Without a second thought, he spins around and runs. Just then, Jong-Woo intercepts him. Dong-Su is frantic. That lunatic Sonoda is coming for us. Jong-Woo stares at him blankly. Did he seriously break you? I just got word. A dungeon portal just appeared up ahead. Everyone's heading this way. Dong-Su turns around sheepishly. Oh, just a portal. Let's go check it out. What neither of them expected, though, is that the dungeon appearing in Suho's territory is Korea's very first rank 7 dungeon. The moment they see the readings on the scanner, everyone's faces go pale. 42 days. How is that even possible? When Japan's rank 7 dungeon appeared, they were given 120 days. Clear it in that time? This is practically a death sentence. Even Junho is starting to regret agreeing to set up District 13. But Myung-Jin isn't worried at all. We can always just move, he says calmly. Truly a monk. All is vanity, and he sees right through it all. That said, said it's still a last resort, and there's no way Suho would ever agree to it. Speaking of Suho, no one has seen him in days. They can't tackle this dungeon without the one who carries the whole team, so the four of them agree to split up and search. But barely 2 steps in, a meerkat opens its mouth. Did you all forget why you came out here? The moment they recognize Suho's voice, the blood drains from their faces. He's been here the whole time. Every word of their complaining. Heard. Junho forces a smile and says he got caught up in the excitement of District 13. Dongsu and Jiang Wu blame the district lord talk. As for Myungjin, all he can offer is a soft Amitabha. Suho looks at all of them. The reason we moved here is the hunting ground. It's massive. He tells everyone to close their eyes and feel the world around them. The monsters are literally coming to us now. Shouldn't we be grateful and go take them down? But Junho and Dongsu push back. They're too weak for this. That sets Suho off. God, you're all hopeless. Stay in your comfort zone and everything you've worked for means nothing. Raw strength and resources aren't everything. What matters more is courage and belief. Give up and you've already lost. Try and you still have a fighting chance. Those words hit like a spark. All four of them feel something ignite inside. Suho's words are exactly the push they needed. Shifting back to human form, Suho announces he'll take 2 people in for the first run. And so, Suho, Jiangwu, and Dongsu step into the dungeon together. The moment they're inside, a zombie lunges straight at them. At the same moment, the scanner at the entrance displays the dungeon's classification. Undead Land. The appearance of the Rank 7 dungeon sends the public into a spiral of panic. International airports are overwhelmed. Anyone with money is trying to get out of the country. At the Awakener Bureau, the director is meeting with department heads to discuss the situation. They stare at the stat rankings of the 3 who entered, and the mood in the room is grim. This is a Rank 7 dungeon. Can those 3 actually pull it off? Even the director looks troubled. He asks whether the strike team is ready. His subordinates look like they might cry. A Rank 6 dungeon nearly broke them. A Rank 7 dungeon? That's basically a death sentence. The director's head is spinning. Someone suggests pulling Suho's guild out for now and walling off the dungeon from Seoul's borders. But this is no long-term solution. A Rank 7 dungeon has appeared in Korea, and where there's one, there will be another. That said, the tree wall surrounding Suho's territory is undeniably formidable. If Suho can successfully clear this dungeon, Seoul will be the safest place on Earth. Looks like he needs to find a way to get himself over there. With that thought in mind, the director orders his staff to pull up the surveillance feed and check on progress at Suho's territory. But when the feed comes on, everyone in the room is left utterly speechless. While they're over here on the edge of their seats, the people over there are going about their day like nothing happened. Eating, drinking, acting as if the dungeon doesn't even exist. The director sends a drone up to find out what Kim Mi-suk is up to. Turns out Mi-suk is lounging in a bikini soaking up the sun. The director shouts, "Mi-suk, you're starting to remind me of Choi Su. I sent you there to supervise, not go on vacation." Mi-suk throws on her clothes and tells him that with Suho here, there's absolutely nothing to worry about. She tells the director it's been 2.5 hours since the dungeon appeared. Junho is overseeing construction. Myungjin is training the recruits. Everything is running like clockwork. She asks if there's anything else he'd like to know. The director is left speechless. Just then, a subordinate rushes in. The special forces are ready and can move into Seoul at any moment. At those words, the director lights up. Get them prepped to move out and bring me my combat gear. I'm heading to Suho's territory to take personal command. Everyone in the room sees right through him in an instant. Sure, take command. More like run for cover. Meanwhile, in an interrogation room in Japan, Sonoda Hiroshi's girlfriend sits chained to a chair. The iron door groans open, and Suzuki strolls in, one hand in his pocket. Akiko glares at him with pure hatred. Still got that fighting spirit, little cat? Want another taste of the iron rod? He drops a pair of iron rings onto the table. The moment Akiko sees them, her composure cracks. Curious where I found these? Don't bother guessing. I've already read everything inside. Fear floods Akiko's eyes. What do you want? There's a diary in there. A very interesting one. One that even Sonoda himself has never seen. Looks like you have a talent for gathering intel. That diary records future events. Who will become a hero? Who will become a villain? Sonoda knew the future. That's how he recruited people before their potential ever surfaced. Left to their own devices, those people would have become the backbone of Japan regardless. Yet that scheming rat Sonoda reeled them in, claimed the champion title, and sold himself as a national hero. And behind all of it, the regression stone, wasn't it? Akiko scoffs. All that talk and it comes down to that. Suzuki's expression darkens. Tell me where Sonoda is. At that, Akiko breaks into a slow smile. Don't worry, you won't need to find him, because he'll find you. After Sonoda had escaped through the sewers, no one had seen him since. On a beach somewhere, a man sits chewing on scraps of food he begged for. It's Sonoda, hair cut short, every trace of his former arrogance gone. He's scrolling through the news on his phone when his eyes go wide. What? Suho and 2 guild members walked into a rank 7 dungeon, just the 3 of them? Sonoda's brow furrows. Arrogant fool. He pulls out a notebook and starts writing down everything about Suho. He has 2.5 years before he can use the regression stone. Until then, he'll lay low and survive, and gather every piece of intel on Suho he can find. Back in Korea, the special forces roll into Suho's territory. Watching the convoy of armored vehicles pour in, Junho can barely hold back his curses. Suho has never liked strangers walking into their territory, and now there's a whole army of them. The director climbs out of one of the vehicles. Junho and Mi-suk stare at him, dumbstruck. What are you doing here? The director declares that in times of national crisis he refuses to sit comfortably in his office. He's here to provide the guild with his fullest moral support. Mi-suk stares at him, completely at a loss for words. Before long, the Awakener Bureau sets up camp on the grounds. Junho's headache aside, The landlady is suddenly cooking for 20 plus extra mouths. Her cleaver moves faster than Junho's battle blade. Mi-suk finds the director and asks point blank if he's here to take refuge. The bluntness hits him like a slap. He freezes. Well, since you've already called it, get that hammock of yours moved into my office. That evening, the Special Forces captain approaches the director and requests permission to enter the dungeon that very night. But the director isn't in any rush. Honestly, he has real doubts about the Special Forces capabilities. Suho cleared a rank 6 dungeon in 8 minutes flat. This is rank 7, and they're nearly a full day in with no sign of coming out. And even Sonoda, as formidable as he was, still lost several team members in his run. The Special Forces are Korea's last line of defense. He can't afford to lose a single one of them. The captain reads between the lines. The director wants to wait for Suho to come out first. Fine, one more day. Elsewhere, inside one of the camp tents, Choi Soo-young lies in her bunk, tossing and turning. She's been assigned here as sensory team captain, but truth be told, she just wanted a chance to see Suho. Just then, Mi-suk walks in. Came all this way, and Suho isn't even here. What a shame. Soo-young claps her hands over her ears. La la la, I'm not listening to a word you say. Mi-suk just laughs. Then why were you calling Suho so many times when you were away? With her secret exposed, Soo-young flushes and snaps at her for snooping through her call log. While the two of them are bickering, a red-haired woman appears at the door. Mi-suk's face lights up and she throws herself at her. Sehi, I've been waiting forever to see you. The three of them huddle together, digging into fried chicken and trading gossip about men. Then Sehi brings up Suho and that Sophie girl. After some digging around, she's found out that Suho never actually dated her. He cut her loose in under 5 minutes. She wasn't strong enough. Soo-young's whole mood lifts. She can't hide the little smile creeping onto her face, so she'd been misjudging him this whole time. Mi-suk watches her fidget and squirm, a knowing look on her face. This girl has genuinely fallen for him. Then Sehi pivots. Does Suho have a thing for strong women? Mi-suk isn't sure where she's going with this. Sehi continues, I'm ranked number 1 among women in Korea. So would Mi-suk mind setting me up with Suho? The words are barely out before a sharp crack rings through the tent. Soo-young has bitten clean through her drumstick. This piece of meat is already in my mouth. I'd like to see anyone try to take it. 24 hours after Suho entered the rank 7 dungeon, the Special Forces can't hold back any longer. A 30-person team, Soo-young included, lines up at the dungeon entrance, ready to deploy. The rank 7 dungeon has a 42-day window. Within that time, it must be cleared 88 times to be permanently eliminated. They can no longer place all their hope on Suho alone. But there are too many people trying to enter at once. In the end, 2 members are left outside when the portal closes before they can get through. The director is absolutely losing his mind. The Special Forces aren't exactly powerhouses to begin with, and now 2 of the S-rank members have been left behind. Then suddenly, a staff member notices the dungeon countdown on the screen. Everyone turns to stare at the entrance, frozen. Suho and his 2 companions walk out slowly from the dungeon entrance. The director's mouth falls open. A rank 7 dungeon cleared in 24 hours? This is a record for the ages. When word reaches the public, the streets erupt in cheers. The director fawns over Suho like he's greeting a long-lost savior, begging him to put together a dungeon guide as soon as possible. Suho looks confused. Mi-suk steps in to explain. A map and monster intel would be a huge asset for the teams that follow. Suho's eyes narrow. His voice drops. Did you send people into my dungeon? The director rushes to explain. To prevent the dungeon from erupting, we needed to deploy multiple teams. Suho cuts him off. This dungeon is his, and he doesn't need anyone else involved. He's more than enough on his own. It dawns on Mi-suk. To everyone else, this dungeon is a catastrophe. But to Suho, it's a treasure vault in his own backyard. Anyone who walks in uninvited is, in his eyes, stealing from him. The director seems to realize it too. He shoots Mi-suk a desperate, sweaty look, silently begging her to bail him out. Mi-suk looks just as panicked. Suho's expression is thunderous. Who gave you permission to enter my hunting ground? Like 2 kids caught in the act, they immediately point the finger at Junho. Suho grabs Junho by the ear. Clearly you've got too much free time. Get in that dungeon and train. And Junho isn't the only one dragged in. Myung-jin gets pulled along too, as the 3 of them disappear back into the dungeon. The director is a storm of conflicting emotions. Then it hits him. Han Dong-soo is an awakener with visual memory. Get him to the break room. We're getting every piece of intel out of him. Han Dong-soo and Yang Woo are brought to the break room for a physical assessment. When the staff check their dimensional essence readings, everyone is stunned. 1 dungeon run and they're B-rank hunters? Suddenly both men jolt awake. They've been back for half an hour, but their nerves are still locked in combat mode. Once reality sets in, they open their system panels and start buying equipment and skills. They know it won't be long before Suho drags them back in. Back on the beach, Sonoda stares at the news on his phone, his face hollow with shock. It took him 8 days to clear a rank 7 dungeon. Suho did it in under 1. But even as he's still reeling from that, Suho walks out of the dungeon again. This time he's cut 3 more hours off his record. The moment he's out, he's heading straight back in. This time he's taking Jang-woo and Dong-soo with him. Time inside the dungeon flows 3 times faster than the outside world, so they can rest and recover fully while inside. Back at camp, the director reviews the footage extracted from Dong-soo's visual memory. Since Dong-soo woke up early, the footage is limited, but even so, it's enough to shake everyone in the room. The ghoul matriarch is a mid-tier boss of the undead land, estimated at S rank within the rank 7 dungeon. Her primary abilities are debuff magic, and her arms can can transform into a bow for ranged attacks. Most alarming of all, the footage suggests the ghoul matriarch is not even the final boss. They also find footage of Jangwoo on the verge of death being healed by Suho's dryad. On closer inspection, it's not just healing, it also grants stat buffs. Without this ability, a clean clear of the rank 7 dungeon would have been impossible. By all indications, this is wide-range magic, the kind only the highest tier skills can pull off. The director's face falls. His mind goes straight to the special forces still inside. Based on how long they've been in, there's a very real chance they've already encountered the ghoul matriarch. If nothing is done soon, there may be no one left to save. Just then a message comes in. Suho and his team have come out. The room goes dead silent. This run took only 13 hours. The director's eyes snap wide open. I've got it. I know how to save them. He grabs his radio and orders the soldiers at the entrance to stop Suho before he goes back in. The reply comes back. Too late. He's already gone back in. Alone this time. The director is beside himself with regret. If he had known how capable Suho was, he never would have sent the special forces into their deaths. Suho emerges again not long after. This run down to 5 hours. The special forces have been inside for 2 full days now. Whether they're alive or dead, no one knows. A crowd gathers in the plaza outside, holding vigil for the special forces. The director is on the verge of tears. Every time Suho comes out, he turns right around and goes back in. Finally, after the 5th completed run, the director throws all dignity out the window and throws himself at Suho's feet, right in front of the cameras. Please, just 1 minute. I'm begging you, save them. Suho just stares at him bewildered. Mai-suk steps forward, gestures awkwardly toward the distance, and suggests they find somewhere quieter to talk. The 3 of them find a secluded spot by a pond. The director can't hold it together any longer. He tells Suho that he's the only one who can save the special forces. Their time inside keeps stretching longer, and by any reasonable estimate, their survival rate has already dropped to 50%. Suho's temper flares. Who told them to go in without permission? He lets the director have it, but after venting, the edge in his voice softens. He asks how he's even supposed to save them, since different teams enter through different gates. Mai-suk explains, there might be a way, but it's never been tried before. 5 years ago, a treasure dungeon appeared in the Outlands. It drew in countless strike teams, but the dungeon only had 500 portals. Before long, one of the teams ran into something strange. They entered to find the dungeon had already been cleared once. Because of that, the exit appeared ahead of schedule. Over 20 people went in. Only 1 came back. Analysis afterward led to one conclusion. As long as the number of entrants doesn't exceed the portal cap, when only the final gate remains, other teams can be pulled through it, overlapping with whoever is already inside. In other words, if Suho clears fast enough, he can enter the same gate the special forces went through, which means the 2 members who got left outside may have just saved everyone's lives. With that, the director drops to his knees and bows his head to the floor, pledging that Korea will compensate him for every point of experience and every reward lost in the rescue. Suho lets out a quiet sigh, hands in his pockets, and slowly gets to his feet. Alright, stop sniveling, I'll go get them. True to his word, Suho kicks his pace into overdrive. Each run, he kills only the boss and gets out. In just 4 days, he has already completed 68 clears. Meanwhile, inside the dungeon, after so many days of relentless pushing, the special forces are starting to wear thin. Su Young leads her squad on a scouting run as sensory team captain when she suddenly throws up her hand to halt everyone. Wraith detected. 140 meters ahead, panic ripples through the group. They drop to the ground and press themselves flat. Under the Wraith's death gaze, the surrounding gravity triples. Even breathing becomes a struggle. The moment the Wraith locks onto them, an arrow punches clean through its skull. Turns out one of the sharpshooters lurking at the back had already lined up the shot. Su Young orders an immediate retreat. Wraiths are pack creatures. If they get surrounded, there's no walking away. A message comes in from command. The radar is showing a massive swarm of monsters converging on their position. Seihi barks the order. Everyone, battle stations. But after days of relentless pushing, the squad is running on empty. Facing the wave of monsters bearing down on them, they have no choice but to fight to the last breath. Then a single red dot flares up on command's radar. It's the mid-tier boss, the ghoul matriarch. But this is their first encounter with her. They have no idea what they're up against. Before command can even send a data file, Seihi snatches up her weapon and charges in first. Su Young tries to call out a warning, but in the split second she's distracted. A half-beast sends her flying. By then, Seihi has already closed the distance, and the ghoul matriarch's curse has already taken full effect. The moment she turns and meets Seihi's eyes, Seihi is completely trapped. At that same moment, Suho steps out of the dungeon. This was the last gate in his sequence. The next time he goes in, he'll be in the same instance as the special forces. 87 clears in 6 days. The director is on the verge of tears. Based on all available data, the special forces survival rate has fallen to 30%. Inside the tent, Dongsu asks the others, a little guiltily, whether they should go help. They haven't set foot in the dungeon since Suho started the rescue runs. Jangwoo doesn't even open his eyes. You actually want to go back to that hellhole? Dongsu shifts awkwardly. I'd rather die than go back. Then lie back down and stay out of it. Dongsu obediently flops back down. Staring at the news on his phone, Dongsu thinks, don't take it personally, Suho. We just really cannot go back to that place. Just one mid-tier undead boss, and Su Young's squad is nearly wiped out completely. Even Seihi, ranked #1 among women in Korea, can't hold her ground. Meanwhile, the main force squad has located the final boss's lair. The captain plans to rally everyone and take it down in one decisive push, but a subordinate brings grim grim news. Base camp has just come under monster attack, and the sensory team has gone completely dark. The captain's expression tightens. The tide is turned against them as they huddle to work out a backup plan. Lightning erupts from the ground beneath their feet. A blue barrier snaps into place, sealing them in. Before anyone can react, skeleton warriors burst up from the ground in every direction. Not good. Death Knights, we're surrounded. Back where Su Young is. Sahi is down to her last drop of health. Su Young is barely alive, collapsed on the ground. A pack of lecherous goblins circles them, jeering and howling. Su Young seethes through gritted teeth. Disgusting creatures. Then out of nowhere, images of Suho flash through her mind. The tears come before she can stop them. Damn it! Why am I thinking about him right now? Then right in front of her, a dryad appears. Su Young thinks she's hallucinating, but the rest of the squad is shouting it too. They all see it. Sahi feels her health surging back second by second. Am I dead? Is this heaven? And then Su Young knows. He's here. Suho tears into the enemy lines, each strike taking down a goblin with surgical precision. He moves like lightning, cutting through them without mercy, with the dryad's magic flowing through everyone. The entire squad is fully restored. The sitting ducks of a moment ago are now pounding goblins into the dirt, but before they can even enjoy it, the monsters are ripped off the ground and sent spiraling into the air. Then the sky ignites, and every last one of them burns to ash. And that is the power of Suho's wide-range magic. He turns to the group, cool as ever. Everyone alright? Then something soft collides with his chest. Su Young has thrown herself into him. You're here? How did you even get in? The squad stares in stunned silence. Is the captain in heat? Sahi comes to just in time. She sees a wall of teammates nearby, all of them hooting and hollering. She pushes through, curious, and finds Su Young clinging to Suho, pressing herself against him. Sahi feels something snap inside her. Oh, you have got to be kidding. She already made her move? Though, something about the way they're moving looks a bit off. Suho doesn't react to her at all. He grabs her and flings her off, sending her tumbling and landing flat on her back. Suho realizes immediately he overdid it. He steps forward to help her up. When the dryad zips over with a message, at that same moment the monsters they just killed start clawing their way back up from the ground. This is the terror of the undead land dungeon. Every monster they kill can respawn indefinitely. Sahi suggests ignoring them for now and finding base camp first, but Suho shakes his head. Base camp is gone. The dryad just scouted the entire dungeon. He tells them, and there's more. 5 people are trapped inside the boss's lair. It doesn't look good. Panic ripples through the group. A team of 5, that has to be the main force squad. Suho tells them if they want to save those 5, keep up, and he's already gone, shooting off like a cannonball. No one expected him to move that fast. Su Young yells for everyone to move. Then a horde of ghouls materializes in the distance. The squad raises their weapons, bracing for the clash, but Suho is already at the front, and he unleashes his hunting ground. Every beast he has ever tamed surges forward. In this moment, he looks less like a hunter and more like the king of beasts. The squad, who are ready to fight, just stand there with their mouths open. Then Su Young senses something in the air, flying monsters closing in fast. In the distance, a crowned skeleton leads a vast army charging straight toward them. At the sight of it, Suho's eyes light up. Finally showing yourself, Lich. The name alone sends a wave of dread through the squad. The Lich is the undead monarch. Under his command, tens of thousands of skeleton soldiers pour forward, among them, towering death knights. Meanwhile, deep inside the Lich's lair, thick black smoke billows out from inside, and the source of that smoke is the Lich's heart, the very thing resurrecting the skeleton soldiers. The captain, still trapped inside, has pieced it together. To give his teammates a chance to survive, he decides to go into the sanctum alone and take it down with him. On the other side of the battlefield, Suho transforms and tears through a sea of fire. His fire magic sweeps through the Lich's forces, reducing them all to ash. He turns his gaze to the Lich, standing in the flames. Suho scoffs. Crawl back to whatever hole you came from, mirror. 4 glowing orbs circle the Lich's body as golden flames blaze across his form. Come out, wyverns! With that roar from Suho, the 4 orbs burst open, and wyverns emerge from within. Massive wyvern heads lunge at the Lich, devouring him whole in an instant. The crew watching nearby is completely stunned. Is this guy even playing fair? Lightning crackles and surges all around Suho. Keep up, we're going for the boss. On the other side, the captain has barely entered the sanctum before the ghouls close in on him. He bit off more than he could chew. Within moments, the ghouls have him pinned, and outside the sanctum, his teammates are barely holding on. Just as all hope begins to fade, lightning explodes overhead and a wild boar comes crashing through the air. Before anyone can make sense of it, a massive bear slams down right behind it. Everyone is frozen, jaws dropped. Suho descends from above, lightning beneath his feet, fire in his hands. One sweeping motion, and a wave of skeleton soldiers is obliterated. The rest of the trap team hasn't even figured out what's happening before green energy wraps around them. Skeleton soldiers are held back by a ring of fire. The dryad's power flows through them, restoring their strength. Suho scans the group and counts. One is missing. A squad member tells him their captain went into the sanctum alone. Suho's brow furrows. Stay here and wait for the others. I'll go get him. With that, he activates beast form and charges forward. He slams into the sanctum's barrier with the full force of a cyclone, and it shatters instantly. The crew is left completely frozen. Did we just witness actual cheating? Suho moves on a current of thunder, flames burning in his grip. Every monster in his path annihilated. Outnumbered 100 to 1 by ghouls, he tears through them without slowing down. In beast form. Suho moves like nothing in this place can stop him. When the last barrier in the sanctum shatters, he stops dead. Deep in the chamber sits a coffin, and suspended above it is the captured captain, Sun Jinwoo. What shocks him more is the beating heart inside the coffin, and Jinwoo's life force draining away, slow but steady. Is the lich trying to use his body to resurrect itself? Suho summons his fire without hesitation. The coffin explodes, and the lich's soul lets out an agonized shriek. The sanctum detonates. Outside, the crew is struck speechless. Then they notice the ghouls around them crumbling to dust one by one. A bolt of lightning splits the sky, and the dungeon exit finally materializes. As the dungeon countdown begins, everyone waiting outside erupts in cheers. The gate is open. Suho has done it. Suho carries Sun Jinwoo out of the sanctum slowly, green energy swirling around them both, knitting their wounds back together. After regrouping with the others, they walk out of the dungeon. After this, Suho's legend is sealed. 6 days. That's all it took to wipe out the dungeon that had all of Korea in a panic. Faced with reporters swarming him with questions, Suho simply transforms and takes to the sky, leaving nothing behind but a scattering of feathers. Sehi watches him go. She melts on the spot. This man is too much. He was made for me. I just know it. By the way, Su Young, do you like Suho too? Cornered by her friend's point-blank question, Su Young plays completely tough. She would never fall for a man like that, and grabbing onto him in the dungeon was just the adrenaline talking. Sehi bursts out laughing. Perfect. Then I'm going after him. We're friends, so don't you dare compete with me. The moment those words land, Su Young wants to rip her own mouth off. Meanwhile, Sonoda catches the news on his phone. 6 days to clear a rank 7 dungeon. Just what the hell is this guy cheating with? Then his phone buzzes. Low balance warning. Sonoda curses under his breath. Ever since Japan put out the warrant, his bank accounts have been frozen. Selling the bloodstones in his inventory would expose his identity. Then he spots a part-time job ad on the wall beside him. He needs money first. He gets to his feet, and a group of street thugs walk straight into him. Before he can say a word, they start mouthing off at him. When you're down, even dogs will bite. Sonoda keeps his mouth shut, jaw tight, and takes it, no matter how ugly it gets. But as they walk away, they start talking about Suho, and comparing him to Sonoda, calling him a worthless nobody. That breaks him. A wave of killing intent floods through every inch of his body. You're dead, you'll be the first sacrifice I feed to the regression stone. As for Suho, ever since clearing the dungeon, he has done nothing but sleep. That day, Sehi shows up at his door in a maid outfit, a home-cooked meal she made herself in hand. Junho and Dongsu both go wide-eyed the moment they see her. They tell her Suho hasn't gotten up yet. Sehi hands the food over to them, and says she'll come back once Suho is up. Watching her walk away, both of them are consumed with envy at Suho's luck with women. Then the snoring from inside the room hits them, and they both grimace. Suho has been getting more and more careless lately. He even transforms in his sleep now. If he ever accidentally summons a wyvern in there, the whole house is gone. Dongsu warns Junho never to disturb him while he's sleeping. Last time, a wolf-shifted Suho nearly bit him to death. The two of them are still whispering by the door when a saccharine voice rings out behind them. Is Suho up yet? Both of them jump. How are you back already? Sehi shoves past them both and bolts into the room. A burst of light flashes, and Suho has shifted into a cat, unbearably cute. Sehi runs over, scoops him up, and pets him awake. Suho, irritated by all the rubbing, asks what she wants. Sehi tells him her assignment ends tomorrow, and she wanted to see him before it did. She asks him if she wanted to join his guild, would he take her? Suho stares at her, completely at a loss for words. Just then, Dongsu suddenly remembers something. Hey, your beast shift is about to wear off, and you're completely naked. At that exact moment, Choi Soo-young's voice comes from outside. Is Suho awake yet? Junho and Dongsu freeze. The timing couldn't have been worse. A flash of light bursts through the room. Suho's face ends up buried in her chest, his naked body sprawled on top of Sehi. The sight is too much for Soo-young. She completely loses it. What the hell? Do you think you're a dog or something? She storms off. Suho stares blankly. What the hell did I even do? 3 men and 1 woman stand in the room, all eyes locked on Suho's naked body. Sun Jin-woo steps forward. Turns out he came specifically to thank Suho for pulling him out of the dungeon. Suho waves it off and says he needs to rest. And just like that, he's out cold. Meanwhile, in an apartment building across the city, a woman in high heels is making her way up the stairs. She notices a man following her. She hurries back to her room and slams the door shut. Just as she lets out a breath of relief, a voice speaks from inside the room. Miss Lee-san, okay, it's been a while. She narrows her eyes. Who are you people? We're with the Awakener Bureau Criminal Investigation Unit. What I want to know is, a woman who took a bullet to the head 7 days ago. Why is she standing right in front of me? At those words, the woman's eyes flood with crimson. The agent senses something's wrong and draws his gun. Outside, the man who had been tailing her hears the commotion. He kicks the door open and rushes in, only to freeze in pure horror. Lee Si-yeon, okay, is clinging to the ceiling upside down, and his partner is locked in her jaws, being drained. Back to the director. Ever since Suho pulled the Special Forces team out of the dungeon, he's been riding high. That shameless moment of kneeling before Suho had finally paid off. His superiors recognized him, and a promotion was well within reach. Just as he's about to enjoy the ride, Kim Mi-suk walks in and kills the mood. She opens a video call, and the department heads back at bureau headquarters are a sorry sight. Dark circles, long faces, all begging him to come back. They report that neighboring countries have been hit by waves of rank 6 and rank 7 dungeons, sending massive refugee waves fleeing their homes. Russia, unable to hold back the monster surge, is preparing to deploy nuclear weapons. The director frowns. What the hell does that have to do with me? I'm no savior. But his staff explains, Once those nukes go off, the monster horde currently pushing north will likely change course and pour straight into Korea. They've already begun setting up a defense line, but if S-rank monsters show up, Korea might not survive. That gets the director's attention. He asks how things look back home. Back home is just as bad. 14 dungeons have opened in Seoul in a single day. The public is in a panic. The director's head is spinning, and it doesn't stop there. The police recently transferred a homicide case to them. 2 of their own agents have been killed. The suspect has been confirmed as a vampire, one who has come back from the dead 3 times. That's the last straw. The director finally snaps. Dungeons and vampires? His little vacation at Suho's territory is clearly over. Meanwhile, Suho is meeting with Dong-soo to discuss the territory's development. After all their training, Dong-soo and the others have hit a rank more than capable of holding their own. Suho is thinking about leaving the base to train out in the field. Before that, he wants to build a river around the base and tame some stronger creatures while he's at it. Just then, Mi-suk shows up. She got a call from the director. The dungeons back home are spiraling out of control, and she wants Suho's help. But Suho, who lives by the law of the jungle, has zero interest. In his mind, hunting on someone else's territory just isn't done. Just then, an explosion erupts in the distance. The Bloodstone power station has malfunctioned. Suho rushes over and puts out the fire. The incident only hardens his resolve to build that river. Junho pulls a long face and tells Suho their finances are in the red. A river construction project doesn't come cheap. Suho sighs quietly. Time to make money faster. Right on cue, Mi-suk speaks up. She knows of a treasure dungeon, a rank 4 scorpion dungeon in Gyeonggi-do. Apparently, high-value gear drops there every hour, and each monster yields 4 to 5 bloodstones. Everyone lights up, though the entry fee for a place like this can't be cheap. Mi-suk explains that the dungeon is managed by the Gaul Guild, and they've actually been looking to invite Suho to help clear it. Even better, the Gaul Guild specializes in river construction. If they can strike the right deal, they might cut the project cost in half. The whole group is sold. Time to move out. Once Suho and the team step inside the rank 4 scorpion dungeon, they go into full harvest mode. Unlike their usual approach, they refuse to let a single monster slip by, which slows their pace considerably. But outside the dungeon, the world is falling apart. Russia couldn't hold back the monster breakout and went nuclear. The blast sends a massive horde rerouting straight toward Korea's border. What's even more alarming, the creatures that wiped out the border forces were wielding meteorite magic. On top of that, vampires from rank 7 dungeons are flooding out. Korea's regular military has no answer. Korea orders a full retreat to Seoul, sealing off the rest and calling in airstrikes. Mi-suk is still overseeing construction at Suho's base when the director's call comes in. The news hits her like a splash of cold water. Suho's territory sits in Gyeonggi-do, but Suho is still inside the dungeon, completely unreachable. If they don't evacuate now, the monsters will surround them, and even Suho won't be able to save everyone. The evacuation order goes out, and everyone in the territory starts packing up. At the Seoul border checkpoint, Choi Soo-young is waiting for her team to assemble. Suddenly, a woman in nothing but pajamas appears at the checkpoint. As an officer reaches for the scanner to check her, the woman explodes into motion, latching onto the officer and sinking her teeth in. A soldier behind her reacts instantly and puts a bullet in her, but the woman dissolves into black smoke and vanishes. Everyone stands in stunned silence. Then the smoke begins to reform. In that instant, Soo-young draws her blade and slashes straight through it. A shriek tears through the air as the woman's true form is forced out, her head severed clean by the blade. The other soldiers quickly incinerate the body. Soo-young's expression doesn't change. Without her blade, she never would have spotted that vampire at all. The weapon was a keepsake left by her ex. Forged from meteorite iron by master swordsmith Jiang Sun-pil of planet Gushan, this soul-reaping blade can cut through even a soul itself. Back at Suho's territory, Mi-suk is trying to reason with the landlady. Most people have already left, but the old woman refuses to budge until Suho comes back. Just then, a soldier comes running. Junho's son is missing. Mi-suk feels her head about to explode. Then something dark drifts past the window. They look up. A massive black cloud is sweeping toward the base. Vampire bats. Thousands of them. The moment Mi-suk sees the swarm, she orders everyone to seal the windows. Unfortunately, the base's windows don't stand a chance. 2.5 seconds later, every pane of glass shatters. The room is chaos. Before the smoke even clears, 3 vampires step through. Mi-suk doesn't hesitate. She launches her incendiary attack. 4 orbs of light swirl around her. With a shout, she fires them off. The 2 vampires at the front take a direct hit. Mi-suk turns and orders everyone to fall back to the beast farm. But before they can move, the 2 vampires she just hit stand right back up, completely unscathed. Before she can react, a fist connects with her face. The hit sends her crashing down, her head ringing. The vampires get riled up the moment she goes down. 2 of them move in to feed, but the 3rd one isn't having it. All 3 break into a fight right there over who gets to claim her. While the vampires are busy bickering, a motorcycle comes blasting through. 1 clean slash, a sharp crack, and the first vampire drops. The 2nd strike lands before the next vampire can even bare its fangs. It's Soo-young's soul-reaping blade in hand. She orders the soldiers to get the wounded out now, but their escape route is cut off. A wall of bats blocks the way. In an instant, the bats transform into vampires, and more appear behind Soo-young. She shatters one with a single strike, then turns to help the others, when Snowy charges in out of nowhere and tears one apart in a single bite. Look, it's the Beast Patrol! The crowd erupts with relief. Snowy hasn't come alone. A pack of gray wolves is right behind. Wolves are the natural enemy of vampires. Under their jaws, every last vampire is torn apart. But then the vampires shift their target, straight towards Soo-young, who has no wolves shielding her. In a flash, she throws up a protective barrier, but there are too many of them. She's surrounded in seconds. Just as their fangs close in on her, Suho drops from the sky. Fire spirits erupt around him, and every last vampire is is reduced to ash. Suho surveys the devastation around him, and his fury ignites. Who gave you permission to set foot on my territory? Suddenly, black smoke rises from beneath Su Young's feet. Suho unleashes wind magic to sweep it away, revealing Su Young cradled in the arms of a woman, unconscious. He checks his system panel, and his expression goes cold. A vampire queen? He demands to know what she thinks she's doing on his land. The vampire queen answers with pure arrogance. This territory is mine now. She runs her tongue along her lips, eyes drifting down to Su Young in her arms. Suho smiles slowly. Well, looks like I've got a lunatic on my hands. Then you can just go ahead and die. Fire magic ignites instantly. A fireball screams toward the vampire queen. She twists aside, but the fireball detonates right by her ear. Scorching heat sprays across her face, cracking her skin on contact. Before she can recover, Suho is already on her, lightning charging every step. Then the vampire queen feels it, a terrifying pressure closing in. Her form dissolves, melting into black smoke. Suho's dagger cuts through nothing, but he immediately sends his fire spirits to hunt her down. Fire spreads through the entire forest. In an instant, the black smoke catches and ignites. The vampire queen lets out a wail, and her body plummets. Now that he has her location, Suho moves fast. When he reaches her, the vampire queen is sitting on a rock with Su Young still in her arms. Suho quickly pulls up his system panel. Su Young's health is full. Whatever the situation, she's safe for now. Suho grins and drops into a fighting stance. The vampire queen presses one finger against Su Young's face. Move an inch, and I'll put a hole right through her. Suho goes still. The vampire queen speaks. She is the last princess of a fallen vampire kingdom. In 10,000 years, no living being in this universe has ever managed to hurt her. According to our kin's reports from 1200 years ago, Earth was a primitive, uncivilized planet. So how is it that a primitive human managed to wound her? Suho blinks. He genuinely has nothing to say to that. That said, you're also the first one to survive a spirit's attack and still be standing. So stop hiding behind weaker people and face me. Just who are you? I am the king of beasts. The vampire queen laughs. I don't care who you are, this territory is mine. Then what the hell did you ask for, idiot? The vampire queen mutters a curse and turns to Su Young. My daughter, open your eyes. Su Young's eyes open. Blank, empty. Suho goes pale. He checks Su Young's system panel. It reads, analyzing. The queen gives the order, kill the man in front of you. But she doesn't notice the strange glow pulsing from the blade in Su Young's hand. The moment Su Young's grip tightens around the soul-reaping blade, her consciousness snaps back. She spins and takes the vampire queen's head clean off. One motion, no hesitation. The queen's severed head looks dazed. What just happened? Then her expression twists with fury. If I can't have her, I'll destroy her. The queen's endless ranting grates on Su Young's nerves. She kicks the head away. Then Suho notices the queen's body. Blue flames consume it, one finger pointed straight at the sky. Suho looks up, and a massive meteorite is plummeting straight toward them. Su Young's eyes go wide. The queen's mocking voice rings out. Ha! This is only the beginning. My furious warriors will wipe out every living thing. The meteorite is less than 2 meters from Suho's face. He lets out a roar. Beast form activates instantly. Suho throws a single punch and stops the meteorite dead. Su Young's pupils shrink. Her eyes go wide as saucers. The vampire queen's expression is pure disbelief. That's sacred power? Then he must be. With a sharp crack, Su Young's soul-reaping blade shuts the vampire queen up for good. Seeing Su Young standing strong, Suho finally lets out a breath. As long as you're okay, and thank you for protecting my family. Getting thanked by the man she has feelings for, Su Young is at a complete loss for words. Just then, Junho and the others come running. The moment they see Su Young is alright, everyone exhales. But Su Young has no memory of being captured at all. Junho tells Suho they need to move. The military is about to start bombing the area. Suho is completely confused. Before Junho can even explain, Su Young's eyes flash yellow. Suho senses it too. He presses his palm to the ground and activates his tracking skill. In the distance, a tide of red creatures is surging straight toward him. Su Young shouts, eyes tense, there are about 1.2 million of them. That number leaves everyone speechless. How are we supposed to deal with that? Run! But Suho turns to Junho and warns him, don't let anyone else touch his prey. Su Young cuts in. It's too late. The military bombing has already begun. Suho ignores it all. He shifts into his golden eagle form and rockets forward. The others exchange anxious looks and charge after him. But against high-tech weaponry, can they really come out of this alive? Meanwhile, the United States has deployed its most advanced nuclear-capable aircraft to intercept the monster horde. When the news reaches them, Korea's leadership lights up. They've poured enormous resources into Seoul. If the monsters can be stopped at the outer perimeter, the damage will be next to nothing. A staff member briefs the president. The American aircraft will intercept the monsters 4 kilometers outside Seoul. At that distance, Seoul will be safely outside the nuclear fallout zone. The problem is, Suho's territory falls outside that range, but the president waves it off. This is about Korea's survival. There's no time to worry about Suho's territory. By now, the aircraft are directly above Suho's territory. Just as they move to engage the horde, a blinding flash of white streaks across the sky. It's Suho. In his golden eagle form, he drops like a cannonball toward the earth. The monsters are right in front of him. Suho presses his hand to the ground, blazing fire swirling around him. Taste the fury of the earth. His roar shakes the air, and cracks rip across the ground in every direction. The earth collapses beneath the monster's feet. In the blink of an eye, every last one is swallowed into the ground. Su Young and the others arrive just in time to watch, and stand there completely dumbstruck. Is it over? Then a roar erupts from underground. A giant monster tears through the earth and crawls out. Suho glances at it, completely calm, then shouts. Wood magic activates instantly. Thorn vines coil around the creature and crush it without mercy. The monster howls in agony and spits fire bombs from its jaws. Suho scoffs. You pieces of trash dare to perform in front of me? He growls low and drives his palm into the ground. Countless fire spirits surge forward at his call, sweeping into the monster horde. In an instant, a million monsters become a sea of fire and ash. The sheer scale of energy released takes its toll. Suho's eyes slowly close. Meanwhile, in the Korean presidential office, everyone watching Suho's power is in a state of complete shock. Even the director never imagined domain magic could be this devastating. On the battlefield, several surviving monsters crawl out from beneath the ground, but Suho has already burned through every last drop of energy. His body collapses on its own. The others behind him panic instantly. No! Suho is down! They charge forward with a shout, unleashing a flashy combo of skills, and finish every last monster off. A few days later, in a small convenience store somewhere in Korea, Sonoda Hiroshi lands a job as a store clerk. At least he won't starve. He overhears customers talking about a recent string of murders. Hiroshi lets out a quiet, contemptuous laugh. He opens his regression stone panel. He needs the blood of 298 more people to level up. By day, a store clerk. By night, a killer. Everyone assumes the vampires are responsible for the recent murders, but every one of them traces back to Hiroshi. He checks the time on his phone, then eagerly pulls up the news. Based on his memories from previous loops, Seoul should have been leveled by the monster horde by now, but his face goes blank. Suho wipes out 1.2 million monsters with an earthquake skill. The number stuns him, but something else sparks in his mind. Earth, plants, fire, wind. Could that be sacred power? The thought pulls Hiroshi's mind back to one particular night. It was around his 21st loop. He was hiding in a cabin on the outskirts of the city. The old woman living there kept praying, saying a god had appeared in the east to save humanity. He could summon tornadoes, shake the earth, drive away evil, and provide food and medicine to heal the sick. Hiroshi had dismissed it all as the ramblings of a delusional old woman. Now it turns out someone like that actually exists. Though the person the old woman described had a long scar across his face, that doesn't match Suho. Maybe there are multiple people who carry sacred power, and if that's the case, there must be some item that awakens it. A spark goes off in Hiroshi's mind. He remembers what his ex-girlfriend once told him about a sacred fruit that grants eternal life, the crimson spirit fruit. That has to be what awakens sacred power. But how did Suho get his hands on it? If Hiroshi loops back to before the Great Calamity and moves alongside Suho, couldn't he get the crimson spirit fruit for himself? As always, every answer leads back to the regression stone. After Suho wipes out the 1.2 million monster army, Korea decides to elevate his guild to rank 0. His territory is upgraded from District 13 to Suho City. As Suho City, it will enjoy full autonomy, just like Seoul, and formally sign a territorial defense treaty with Korea. The condition: Suho stays in Korea and defends its territory. In plain terms, Korea is handing over land in exchange for Suho's protection, but Suho has no interest in playing guardian for others. He just wants to protect what's his. Mi-suk assures him, it's not charity work. Korea will compensate him every time he steps in. Suho shrugs. Killing monsters or killing chickens, it's all the same to him. The ink is barely dry. When Mi-suk makes another proposal, she wants Suho to hire her. Suho and Su-young both stare at her, completely blindsided. Walk away from a cushy government job to work for Suho? Mi-suk smiles. She was a senior official at the Awakener Bureau after all. If hired, she'll do everything in her power to bring top talent into Suho City. Suho thinks it over. Mi-suk is sharp and capable. With her around, running the territory would be a lot less of a headache. With Suho's approval, Mi-suk says she'll finalize her resignation within a week. On her way out, she lets Su-young know. Orders are coming down from above. She's being assigned to the vampire task force. Su-young's temper flares. I've barely had a few days off and they're already piling work on me? They really think I'm their workhorse? My body hasn't even fully recovered yet. She slams the table and storms off to her room. Ever since the fight with the vampire queen, something has felt off about her body. What she doesn't know is that the bite mark on her neck is quietly changing her from the inside out. A week passes. Su-young returns to duty and begins hunting vampires across Seoul. Mi-suk submits her resignation. While the director is desperately begging her to stay, other countries have set their sights on Korea. Korea's helpless response to the monster invasion has been on full display. Multiple cities are now pushing to declare independence and sign territorial defense treaties with foreign powers. Meanwhile, on an island in Japan, two men are discussing how to absorb Korea. As far as they're concerned, the only real threat in Korea is Suho. Outside Seoul, every major city is looking for someone to shelter under. Suzuki admits what he really wants is Jeju City, because the gateway to planet Aruka is there, but the other man tells him not to worry. According to a reliable source, Busan is about to open a gateway to planet Gucheon. The people of planet Gucheon are deeply interested in the Namgung clan's sword-forging art. As they speak, a portal suddenly opens behind them. Dr. Tordler steps through, accompanied by Reynolds of British intelligence. Congratulations, Doctor, you finally cracked the portal generator. For humanity, and the order of the New World, it's time for us to make our move. Tordler grins. Indeed, Suho, the regression stone, weapons capable of clearing rank 7 dungeons. There are still so many interesting things ahead.